Billy Gallegos, sir. Thank you so much for joining me today,
Absolutely.
brother. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to come up here and sit with me and tell your story. I'm I first off, I need to make sure before we get started, I give a shout out to Mike Vining for this
Oh,
link
absolutely.
up because it's because of him that we were able to get together and I was able to get your
Absolutely.
contact info. And so shout out to Mike. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for setting this up and for helping connect us because your story is unbelievable and one that I think that, especially given the circumstances of things that are happening today currently, is very pertinent to what's going on in the world. And like your story it needs to be shared because you've experienced a lot of things that a lot of people can't even begin to imagine. And I mean, I'm really excited to hear what your experiences were. I know it was probably a very dark period of time in your life, more than likely, just because of the circumstances. But it's definitely a historical piece, not only for the Marine Corps but for America, that I believe is extremely valuable to document, so that people can remember the things that you guys experienced while you're over there. And I'm just really excited to be here, and I'm grateful for you taking the time
Cool.
to come do this with me. So thank you.
Well, thank you.
Yes, sir. Before we get started, I want to kind of read a short bio for everybody out there who isn't familiar with who you are, and they will be very familiar very shortly once we get into the story. And believe me, this is going to be one of the most powerful, I think, interviews I've done in a long time. I'm very excited about it. So, William A. Gallegos. William Gallegos was born in Pueblo, Colorado, and served in the Marine Corps starting in 1977. That's when you enlisted?
Right.
You attended Marine Corps Recruit Depot in San Diego, California in 1977, and you were assigned to Marine Security Guard Battalion in Quantico, Virginia. Upon graduation from Marine Security Guard School, you were assigned to the American Embassy in Tehran, Iran. During your assignment in Iran, the American embassy was overrun by militants, and you were held captive by the revolutionary government of Iran from November 4th of 1979 until January 20th of 1981 for 444 days in Iran.
In Iran.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Can't even begin to imagine. Upon your release from captivity, Sergeant William Gallegos completed his military enlistment and was honorably discharged from the United States Marine Corps. During his military service, he earned numerous military awards, including the Defense Meritorious Service Medal, Prisoner of War Medal, Good Conduct Medal, and the Department of State Award for Valor. Upon his discharge, he returned to Colorado, where he earned a Bachelor of Science degree in Criminal Justice and Criminology from Metropolitan State University in Denver, Colorado. William Gallegos began a career in law enforcement as a Denver sheriff and joined the Denver Police Department in 1994. His assignments with the Denver Police Department include street patrol officer, vice and narcotics, and Denver Police Intelligence Unit, where he was on loan to the Federal Bureau of Investigation Joint Terrorism Task Force from 2004 to 2018. His police awards include numerous commendations as well as 3 Denver Police Distinguished Service Crosses and a Purple Heart. He retired from law enforcement in November of 2018. That's heavy. That's a lot. Like, I'll tell you, man, with everything going on right now and the stuff that's happening in Iran, like I said, your story being held in captivity for 444 days.
Yes.
I can imagine that you've probably had to. I'm sure that you probably had some emotional stuff left over from that experience. I would imagine that
Oh,
you've had to deal with over the years.
absolutely, absolutely. And I don't like to call it PTSD, but it's I have suffered from that greatly after I got back, and I mean severely.
Yeah,
But I worked my way through it because I couldn't get help from anywhere. So, but basically, one of the things I did was keep busy, and I went to work, and I became a police officer, and that just kept me going, and then I worked the streets of Denver for a long time, then became a detective, and they sent me over to the Joint Terrorism Task Force, and I spent almost 14 years there, and I got to tell you that was a great experience for me, especially in the terrorism field and that kind of thing. It kept me going. It kept me busy.
yeah,
But I knew a lot of guys that were former military guys, and some guys were in special forces and that, and talk to me, and we became friends. And they'd look at me and go, some people hide crazy really well.
I can't. Well, I mean, dude, I
And I
can't
go,
imagine like spending
yeah,
444 days in Iran as a detainee,
yeah,
like a prisoner of war.
yeah.
That I don't know. Like, there's no way for anybody to be able to wrap their head around what that must have been like. There's just no way if unless you experience it firsthand.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to imagine like the things that we complain about, especially myself. Like, oh, I didn't get enough sleep last night.
Yeah.
Like it really it pales in comparison with the things you must have experienced while you were held in
Oh yeah.
captivity there.
Yeah. It wasn't great. And I'll tell you, it's just like the whole beginning, the whole start of the whole thing, like the first day when they came to the embassy. Well, let me get started. So they'd been doing demonstrations in front of the embassy for weeks, and then one particular night, the ambassador had a dinner at the house. Said, "I want everybody to come to dinner." And all the Marines, I want everybody there. I said, okay. But they left a couple Marines over at the embassy on duty. And I remember that night we had the dinner and everything went pretty well. And I left, was going back to our apartment. And we didn't live on the compound. The Marines didn't because they'd blown up the Marine house previously. And so we couldn't live in it. So we lived outside the embassy compound across the alley in the Dr. Johnshi apartments. So we couldn't take weapons with us out there or anything else. So once we left the compound, we had nothing on us. But anyway, so I remember that evening after I left, I forgot my boots. I had 2 pairs of boots, but one pair I left at the embassy with our React gear in case we had to put it on. But we needed polish, and they ran out of polish over at the embassy, and they need to be polished because it's been sitting there forever. So I went and picked them up, and I took them back, and I polished them up. Went to bed, got up in the morning. I'm walking across in the morning, and I remember about halfway there, I said, "Oh, I forgot my boots." And I said, "Oh, it's okay. I'll be all right. I'll go out to lunch and get them." And as I'm walking, I just started hearing this buzz. I mean, they used to come every morning and demonstrate and yell, mock bottomatic, death to America and England, all kinds of stuff like on, and sing songs and all kinds of stuff. But that morning there was a weird buzz as I'm walking. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. It was like a weird buzz in the air. It was odd. It was kind of odd. I go, what the heck's going on? So once I got into the embassy and checked everything out, I walked around, I looked up and I walked upstairs and I looked out the windows and they were already gathering outside and there was thousands of people out there already. I go, what the heck's going on today? And it was just crazy. It was just crazy. And then it just started, man. They just started chanting so loud. And I went up and looked out and you could see out the cameras and it was just completely, they said, if you read a lot of articles, it says, oh yeah, 3,000 militants attacked them. Like, no, you got to look at the pictures and the photos. There was more than 3,000. There was 100,000 or more people out there. They completely surround the embassy from one end of the street to the other, all the way. It was just crazy. And they were out there yelling and screaming and all kinds of stuff going on. And I was like, oh my God, what's going on today? And so I went and started doing my regular duties. And then I just remember I said, I got to go up and check and look outside again. So I go up and I look down out the front of the embassy and I look over the corner and I see the Pastaran opening the gate. Yeah, the Pastaran were actually part of our protection detail for a while because they had a group there that were civilians and they were doing all kinds of stuff over there and taking pot shots at night at us, stealing from the commissary, things like that. So they got rid of them. Then they had like the police and then the Pastoran would be there most of the time. Then I saw them, the Pastoran would open the gate. Gates open, everybody's running in. I look down, I see Rocky Sickman, Marine, Sergeant Rocky Sickman. And I look at him, I go, what the heck? And he's running. He takes off running. I can see him. And then I see a couple of guys behind him in suits. I go, who are those guys? So I run downstairs, and as I'm closing, they already see it outside that they open the gates, and people are started jumping over the walls. And I go, oh my God! So I ran down there, and they were already closing these big steel doors in the front of the embassy. They have regular doors, and had these steel doors you close at night, and they're like bomb proof and all kinds of stuff. And it's open about I don't know about a foot and a half. So I just push it as hard as I can. And I'm holding, I grab it, I'm holding that door open. Rocky comes running up the stairs in his 3-piece suit and 2 guys in suits, and one's got an American passport, and the other's got some other kind. I can't see what it is right away. And he says, "Let him in, let him in." So I come behind me, hold that in. I let the door, and I let the door shut and come in. And it turns out Rocky gets in, and then the 2 guys with them. One guy was named Jerry Plotkin, civilian, and he had a South Korean associate with them that worked with his brother's business in California. And it was kind of interesting. Um, because Jerry Plotkin later on, as we went through the whole situation, and they kept us there. They let the Korean individual go, and they kept Jerry. And Jerry was Jewish. He had a huge diamond encrusted Star of David on him, beautiful with the gold chain, and they took that off him. But in a suitcase, he had $250,000 in cash because he was going to give it to the Korean guy as part of the part of the deal for whatever business they were. They brought it was called manpower or something. They bring Koreans in to work in the mines and the field stuff like that. So immediately, Jerry ended up with us because they thought he was a Mossad agent.
Oh, wow.
Poor Jerry.
Who thought he was a Mossad agent?
The Iranians.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
think everybody's a Mossad
Yeah, but
agent over
specifically
there.
him because he was Jewish. He had the Star of David. He had
Yeah.
250,000 in cash, American passport, and the guy's never been in the military. He's from Brooklyn, New York. Had a thick Brooklyn accent, and but he's living in California now. And I mean, it turned out to be a really great guy, an awesome guy. And out of the 444 days, as with Rocky Sigmund, out of the 440 days, I spent 400 days with both of them. And it was kind of interesting. But anyway, it was that day it happened, and then they attacked the embassy. They finally got in. And they were doing all kinds of stuff. And we're running around making sure everything's closed up, and so many things happened in there. And feel free to stop me if you have to. But
Yeah.
I just remember I'm upstairs, and they say we need some people to go downstairs and see what's going on. I said okay. So I run downstairs. Rocky Sickman runs downstairs, and I think it was sometimes I get a chemo brain. Kevin Hermany. So we run downstairs. As we're going downstairs, I stop at post one and I grab a box of CS gas grenades just in case. So I take them downstairs and we just start putting them down on the steps and some on the upstairs in case we need them. And I get down to the basement and I look and nothing's going on. And I have some really cool photos that the Iranians took, but another person got a hold of them and then he sent them to me. And so I remember they're pulling on the bars on the windows. I go, they'll never get through those. So we go down, we check the other side, and as we're walking back, we heard like a ka-ching. You're in the military, and other people know the military. You know what when you throw a hand grenade, the spoon flies off, and it makes a very distinct sound. Well, that's what we heard. We go, what the heck? And we're going, what the heck was that? And we're looking, and we're like, get against the wall, and we're looking around, and we don't see anything. And then we hear, psh, and we go, what is that? Then we hear another spoon fly and hit the ground. We go, what the heck is going on? We come around the corner on the steps we came down, and the CS gas canisters are going off, and they're popping the spoons off. And so, like about 6 of those went off. And I'm going, what the heck is going on? So right away we're starting gas. We put our gas masks on and we go and look. Well, what happened was nobody really checked that box of hand grenade or CS gas grenades from the previous time in February of 1979 when they came to attack the embassy the first time. So what happened was the Marines took all the pins out of the gas grenades and they just put rubber bands and scotch tape around them in case they needed. They could just toss them and they would open up or whatever. I don't know what that purpose. Maybe that was it. So after it'd been sitting there that whole long in the box, nobody ever checked them. So when we took them out, the scotch tape was already brittle from the dry air and everything there. And then the rubber bands, the same thing. So they were just popping and going off. And it was kind of interesting. After we got back from Iran, I read this article. It says they militants attacked the embassy, break into the basement, Marines gas Iranians. Well, that's not true. Marines gas Marines first. Then we
Oh,
finished gassing
no.
the Iranians. Yes.
Yeah. Jeez. Well,
So
man, there's this is going to be a lot to unpack, but I definitely I want to make sure that I don't forget to there's certain questions I want to
sure,
ask like, as we're progressing through this, but let's backtrack just a little
sure,
bit before we get to that piece. So you enlisted, you said it was 1977,
yeah.
correct? And you were
I actually started out as a warehouseman,
okay, really?
but I never really did it.
So
I
you
get
were a 30, what, a 3051?
something. Was it 3051? Yeah, something
Like a
like that.
supply
Yeah,
warehouse?
some play warehouse guy.
Okay.
But I never did that. He sent me to Okinawa, and I got to tell you, I did everything but pretty much work in the warehouse. I think I worked in the warehouse for a month, and then they'd send me off to do other stuff. And I
What
used to
year was this?
78
Okay, so you went through recruit training. Did you
and
went to
77.
the warehousing school in Camp Johnson?
No, I went Barstow.
Oh, it was in Barstow at
Yeah,
the time.
yeah,
Okay, so you went through it in Barstow. You
yeah.
graduated from there and went straight to Okinawa.
Right.
And then where did you get in Okinawa?
In Okinawa, I was in Camp Butler for a little bit. They sent me to Camp Zukron. I went a bunch of, and then they finally opened an old army base that was there called Camp Mashimanado.
Camp Mashimanado. I've
Mashimanado.
never
I don't
even
think
heard
it's
of
there
that.
anymore. Yeah, it's probably
No.
not even there, but it was called Camp Mashimanado at the time. And so the Marines took it over, and it was right on the beach.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was cool. So they started put a bunch of stuff in the warehouses there like that. It was actually pretty cool. And I was there for a while, but I used to get in trouble a lot for like I catch people like going through my gear or something, you know.
Oh, okay.
So there'd be a little incident going on. So
Like
I
going through your personal
yeah, going
gear?
through my personal gear or getting into your lockers and stuff like you catch guys doing that
Oh, wow.
and you know so I was like, oh, okay, so there would be a little incident going on and I never got uh, never got written up or anything for it. They just send me to go work in stupid places and
Okay, that was the
mow
punishment. All right,
mow
we're gonna give you some bad
yeah
details.
yeah mow lawns. There's a lot of lawns.
Yeah.
Paint rocks white,
Okay.
polish a lot of brass. So I did a lot of that and then work in a lot of different places and just stupid things. And so I never, yeah.
And so you were in Okinawa until what year?
So I was in Okinawa till nine- 1979.
Okay, and then
The
you went.
beginning of 1979, and then I went to Quantico. I got sent to well, this is what happened. So I got in trouble, and this time I'm working in the freezer, and ice cream on one side, batteries on one side.
Batteries on the other side.
Yeah, they had batteries. They used to keep batteries in the freezer back in the day. They used to, that's where they keep them so they wouldn't whatever you know. That's
Go
I think
bad or
yeah, go
something?
bad or something like that. And well, it was kind of funny because right before that, probably about a month or so before that, I was working in the trash dump.
A trash dump?
Trash dump
Really?
in Okinawa in the heat in the summer, and they had one of those old World War II communication vans with all the windows over it, and then it just had like a little wind-up phone to the front gate. And I
A
remember,
wind-up phone?
yeah, it was like one of those old phones from like
Oh,
World War
wow.
II, and up to go to the front gate where the MPs were in case you had to call them or say something to whatever. But so I remember I'm working in the dump, and I just watched them. They dump trash, and then Okinawa would come and pick it up. And it was kind of
Okay.
interesting one time, and just a little story with it. I remember one time I'm standing, I stood up on top, I'm watching, they dump a bunch of trash, and I see about like 20 cases of magazines. I didn't know they were magazines till they popped open, and there were M16 magazines into the trash. I go, what the heck?
Really?
So I go, well, that don't sound right. So I get up, call up for him. I go, yeah. I said, I don't know what's going on, but I says, this truck that's coming out right now, the trash one, and I gave him the numbers and everything on it. I said, there's a bunch of magazines in there, like M16 magazines. They go, what? And I go, yeah.
Were they empty?
No, they were full.
They're full
Yeah,
of
and
ammo.
one of the box no, not ammo, just the magazines, but the
Oh,
box,
okay.
they were in the boxes full of them,
Yeah.
and they wouldn't throw them out there like that.
Yeah.
So one busted open, and I saw it, and I go, "Oh, okay, cool." So the next day, I'm sitting there, and in the morning, and I see these guys walking full dress blues, and they're walking past, and I go, "What the heck?" So I walk over to the gate, and I'm looking at them, watching. They look pretty sharp, and because we didn't get dress blues back then, you only got them if you were in a special unit, and they issued them to you, or you had to buy your own.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. So before you just had green class A's and that was
Yeah.
it. But
Yeah, they issue those out to everybody
yeah, they do
now.
that now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
crazy. They made you pay for your own dress blues back then.
well, yeah, so I never had any till I went to Marine Guard and issued me 3 sets. But
Okay.
so I see them looking at 'em, so they walk over to me, go, "How you doing?" I go, "Good." And they go, I says, "We're with the Marine Security Guard Battalion, and we're here doing a little presentation tomorrow in the auditorium. You ought to come and check it out." I go, "Oh," I go, "What's that all about?" I didn't even know what Marine Security Guard was at the time then.
Yeah.
And I said, "Oh, okay." So I went back that evening and I told, "Hey, Sarge, they're having a little presentation. Why do you think I'd go over to the auditorium and check it out in the morning?" He looks at me, goes, "Yeah, go ahead, but when you're done, get back to work." I said, "Okay." So I went over and I checked it out, and they showed all kinds of cool slideshows and their president with the president at visiting embassies and princes and kings and all kinds of stuff with they're standing guard. And I said, "Oh, that's awesome." So I go to leave, and they have these big tables, and they are like, you got to fill out an application. And I just walk past. I'm like, I don't know what that's about. Guy goes, "Hey, Corporal," goes, "Hey, you, come here." I go, "What?" He goes, "You gonna fill one of these out?" And I go, "Oh no." And I go, "What's up for it?" He goes, "Apply for the Marine Security Guard." And I go, "Oh, no, I get in too much trouble all the time. I'm never gonna make that." And he goes, "No, fill it out." So I did. It was just basically put your name and stuff like that in there. So I did fill it out. So about a month later, I'm working in the freezer. This corporal comes running up. He goes, "Gallegos, Gallegos." And I go, "Yes." "Commanding officer wants to see you now." And I go, "Oh man, what do I do now?" So I throw my shirt
Oh,
on.
no. You probably thought you were in
Yeah,
trouble.
I did. So I go down. I'm standing, go to his office, and I walk in and tell him I'm there, and they send me into his office, and he's just sitting at his desk. He looks up and he sees me, and I'm standing at attention in front of his desk, Captain. He just flips a page, and about every minute or so, he'd look up at me and go,
Shake his head?
"Yeah."
Oh no.
I go, oh my God, what? I couldn't think of anything I did. I hadn't done anything. I
You're just
was
like
thinking
you're
about it.
probably like replaying in your head
Yeah, and I
everything you've
could,
done for the past few
yeah.
weeks. Like,
What
what
did
could
I
have I
do?
possibly
Yeah, what
done?
have I done? What did I do? Did I say something? Something. I was like, no. And then finally he looks up at me and he goes, at ease. I go, he goes, I don't know what, I don't know how you did it, guy. He goes, I don't know how you did it. I'm thinking, oh my God. So I said, sir, what I do, sir? He goes, I'm gonna tell you what you did. You've been accepted to Marine Security Guard Battalion. I went, sir? He goes, you've been accepted to Marine Security Guard School. I just stood there looking at him. He's looking at me too. And I go, yes, sir. He goes, don't ask me. I don't know how you did it, but you did it. He goes, when you leave here, you have a bunch of paperwork you have to fill out, get it done. I said, yes, sir. I left and filled it
That's
all out.
crazy. So he made you stressed out intentionally to mess with you, and then you're like the whole time you weren't in trouble. He's I don't know
Yeah.
how you got accepted to this
Yeah.
thing. Did he just like think of you as a troublemaker or something?
Not
Or
really, because I mean, he knew what was going on when I was always doing my stuff, but he couldn't just let you go. You had to do something. But I never
yeah,
got an Article 15 or Chapter 11 like that, so they just made me go out and do that kind of stuff,
yeah.
and it was just kind of interesting.
So you left and you went and you had to fill out a bunch of paperwork
So I
for it.
filled out a bunch of paper for it was basically for a clearance stuff for clearance.
Okay, you had to get a
Yeah,
different clearance.
yeah. So I had to you had to have a secret clearance when you went to MSG, and I didn't have a secret
Oh,
clearance yet.
okay.
So I just filled out a bunch of paperwork, the one parents' names, all that kind of stuff like that, and
Yeah.
so I filled all that out then, and then I finished I was already finishing up my tour of duty there in Okinawa, and then I went home for about a week or so, and then of course when I left, they told me you're going to MSG school, so I went straight to Quantico from there.
For MSG
Yeah, for
school.
MSG
Yeah, they
school.
still have MSG school in Quantico as
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
And I've got a ton of friends who've been on embassy duty since since I,
Mhm.
first started getting to know a bunch of Marines. And I had friends that served at the embassy in Kabul. I had friends that served in Nigeria, in Niger, in South Africa, Russia,
Wow.
Spain, a few places in South America. I mean, and most of them overwhelmingly have had pretty good experiences. Obviously, very different
Yeah,
from yours, right?
yeah. Sure.
But it's a great program. I know guys like they were hurting for Marine security guards for a while just because they need so many people to fill all these slots and stuff like that. And so they were actually offering people the opportunity to sign up for MSG straight out of their schoolhouse. Like, they were taking guys straight from infantry school to go straight off to MSG before even going
Wow.
to the fleet and stuff like that to
Yeah,
help supplement the security guard forces for these embassies. But
yeah,
it's a super cool gig. There's a lot of really good, you make a lot of really good connections with folks at the State Department. I
sure.
know guys that went from embassy duty to go work at the State Department
Yeah,
afterwards. They get out and they go work at the State Department because they already have like some rapport that they've built, and
absolutely.
a lot of really good experiences to travel. I know guys that met their current wives while they were on MSG duty.
Yeah,
Funny enough, but yeah, it's interesting. There's been a lot of different experiences, varied experiences, widely varying, obviously, based on the country you go to. At the time when you went through Marine Security Guard school, did they give you like did you have to fill out a wish list for like where you
no,
wanted to go? No, they
no.
just were
They
like you're
just
just
picked you and
going.
go, which was interesting because I remember when I went to the school and it wasn't easy, and I go, "Oh, God, I hope I make it through this." And it was kind of interesting. You had to learn all kinds of stuff and State Department.
Like what?
You got trained. Well, you got everything from uh, counterintelligence, counter surveillance, and then just a bunch of different things dealing with diplomats, and then all the
Yeah.
stuff at the embassy, with classified material and all kinds of stuff like that, and security, all your not do your security checks and all that kind of stuff like that. So it was kind of interesting, but there was a lot to learn.
Yeah.
So I had fun. I actually enjoyed it and made it through because I think there was like 60 of us when we started. Only 30 of us graduated, something like that. Yeah,
Oh wow.
yeah,
So it was a pretty high attrition
yeah,
rate.
yeah.
Okay.
So I said, "Oh, I made it." So we're getting ready for graduation day, and they had us outside marching around in full dress blues and down to the auditorium because they're gonna have people are coming in, families and stuff like that. And then, of course, my family couldn't make it, but other families would come in, and for the graduation, they had a big deal down at the auditorium and playing music, and the band was there and everything, and just a regular band, but the local band or Marine Corps band or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But so I remember we were standing outside. It was like Thursday, and Saturday was the graduation. And we're standing outside, and I'm towards the back of the formation, and my friend Pete and Garl was standing next to me. Hey, Pete and Garl, and the commanding officer's out front, and he's talking about, all right, you guys have made it through, and you're the best, whatever, and every climbing place you're gonna be going, and all this kind of cool. And he says, but I need a couple of volunteers. Go to a hot spot. You go to this hot spot. When you come back, you can go wherever you'll be able to pick the choice of duty station you want. Pete goes, and he's standing right next to me. I go, Pete, what are you doing? He was a recon marine. He
Okay.
goes, Pete, what are you doing? I go, what are you doing? I go, what are you doing? He goes, no. I go, raise your hand. I go, no. He goes, no, raise your hand. He goes, Psh. He grabs my hand, and the commanding officer goes, you two, come see me after.
Wow. So your buddy like made you
Yeah.
raise your hand.
So I go, thanks, Pete. Well, I'll tell you what happened.
Appreciate that, Pete.
So I don't know what happened, but anyway, we got the process and we go to pick up our papers and stuff. And I'm looking, I go, what? I hadn't seen Pete for a couple days. I go, where's Pete? So I get up to, when I go to pick up my passport and everything. And I go, where's Ngaro? And the commanding officer goes, Pete won't be joining you. I go,
Why?
oh, he wouldn't tell me. He just said that was
Oh,
a problem. I said, okay.
that's unfortunate.
Yes.
So he raised your hand and he couldn't even go with you.
Right.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to him. And I didn't even see him after that. I don't know what happened. They sent him out somewhere. I don't know what happened to him. So who knows?
Hopefully he's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure he was. I think he just got a little trouble doing something or whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, he's a good guy. And then I'm supposed to say hi, Ike. But anyway, yeah, thanks, Pete.
Appreciate it, Pete.
Yeah.
I owe my whole
Yeah.
life's experience to
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, and so then next thing I know, I'm heading to Tehran.
So that was the hot spot they were talking
That
about.
was the hot spot they were talking about.
So at this point, they already knew that the embassy there was like a
Oh,
sketchy
yeah, absolutely.
situation.
Absolutely.
And this was 1978.
1979.
Oh, it was already
It was already
1979 at the point.
1979,
Okay,
right.
so yeah, things had been
Yeah.
building up at
It was
that
like
point.
it was like July of 1979 when I left. When I
Oh
went.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then so how long from when you graduated embassy school did it take for you to actually get to Tehran?
Like 2 weeks.
How did you get there?
So I left DC, flew me into New York. Had a layover in New York for like 3 or 4 hours, and then I left New York and I went straight to Frankfurt, Germany. And they told me I'd be meeting some other Marines there.
Okay.
So when I got there, because I guess they needed a whole bunch of other guys to come in for some reason or another. So I get to Frankfurt and I'm sitting at my gate, and then all of a sudden I look over and I see 3 guys walking toward me in 3-piece blue suits. Because when you graduate, you get your dress blues, and then they give you 3 suits.
Really?
Yeah, one what they give them to you. Go to this warehouse, they set you all up and tailor them and everything. And one was a 3-piece blue suit, wash and wear. The other one was a brown suit, wash and wear.
A brown suit.
Yep, tan, like a dark brown kind of.
Yeah.
And it was wash and wear also, but you could turn the vest inside out, and it was plaid. And
Interesting.
and then they'd give you a sport coat and a pair of slacks and shoes and everything.
So
So
they
I-
give you a bunch of dress clothes.
Yeah. They give you
Okay.
your suits. They just give you everything back then.
Wow.
I don't know if they do that now, but who
Yeah,
knows what they
I'm
do.
not sure.
Yeah, I'm not either. So I look over, I see these guys in 3-piece blue suits walking toward me, and I had my 3-piece blue suit on too,
Okay.
and we all had the same ties. And I go, oh, these must be these guys. They look at me and they come right to me too, and we meet each other, whatever. So we all end up getting on the plane in Frankfurt and and then head off to Tehran. And it was kind of interesting. And if you ever saw the movie Argo,
I have seen that movie.
yeah, when they're flying into Tehran and you see the mountains and stuff, that's exactly what it was like. When I
Really?
looked out the plane, I was like, oh, wow. And I didn't expect to see it. I'm looking down, I see buildings all over. I thought it was maybe more like maybe going to Afghanistan or somewhere, like, no, it was well, it was a lot of buildings, cars everywhere, that kind of thing. So I remember we get there, and right before we land, I mean, the flight attendant looks over at us. I remember we're getting on the plane. He looks at us. He goes like this, and the last guy getting in, he goes 1, 2, 3, 4. He goes, CIA. We go, no, Marines.
He thought you were
Yeah,
CIA
'cause we were all
guys?
in suits.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and so we sit down, and right before we land, he comes over. He looks at us, and we're all sitting in the kind of the same row. And he looks at us, and he goes, all right, gentlemen. He goes, looking straight, he says, we're about to land, and you're about to step back 2,000 years. I'm going.
That's what he said to you.
That's what he said to us. And I look
Wow.
at him thinking, what the heck's he talking about? I'm looking out the window. It looks pretty, modern. So anyway, we get off the plane, and everybody starts walking towards these 2 big yellow lines, because you got to go meet these shuttles, and they take you into the terminal. So we hop on these 2 lines, and then all of a sudden, these Iranian Pasdaran come out, and they start yelling something real quick, and everybody moves to this yellow line, and we're going, I think we need to go to that line. And but it was too late. The Pasdaran surrounded us, like 4 of them, and got us and said, "We show them our passports." They says, "Come."
So that like nobody from the embassy came to meet you there?
Well, they couldn't come out to that part of the area of the airport.
Okay. And
S
just for clarification,
Yeah,
the Pasdaran was that like
Revolutionary Guard.
the Revolutionary
That's a
Guard,
Revolutionary Guard.
the Iranian Revolutionary Guard?
Correct.
They were called the Pasdaran at that point?
That's what they called them, Pasdaran or Pasdarani.
But
Yeah,
they were part of the government at the time.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they weren't like, necessarily threatening or
Not really, no.
okay.
They just asked they were armed, and they just said, come
Okay.
with us."
So you followed them.
Yeah, so we followed them and went in, and they just asked us some questions, showed them our passports, and then and we didn't speak Farsi at the time, because the time back then you used to be able to go. They'd send you to Foreign Service Institute or something like that if they wanted you to learn language. I guess you
Yeah.
went for like 30 days or something like that, or we didn't have any of that. So they just pretty much asked what we're doing, where we're going, all that, and they kept us for like 45 minutes just hanging around. And we're going, "What the heck?" And everybody else already cleared out of the airport. So we're sitting there waiting. We're waiting for our bags to come. They finally let us go. We're waiting for our bag, and then finally they show up, and they'd gone through everything in our bags.
Really?
Yeah, stuffed our duffel bags, everything, stuffed everything back in. So we grabbed our stuff, and there's guys waiting for us out in the van, and it was a sergeant, and he was with the local driver, and they stuffed this van, and drove us through Tehran. I told you it was like a modern city back then,
Yeah.
like Denver back then in the mountains, Denver area, and they were building new buildings, and that kind of stuff, and you'd watch, and they were using Mercedes as taxis.
Really?
Oh yeah, and then sports cars driving around all over the place. I mean, it was a wealthy country at one time. It was very wealthy. I mean, it was one of the wealthiest countries at the time because of the oil.
Yeah, because the oil and everything.
Correct.
I heard that there was a period of time back in the 70s and like 60s where Tehran was a very big tourist
Yeah,
destination. People would go snowboard or, well, mostly skiing at the
skiing.
time.
Right.
Skiing was really popular. So
Right.
people would travel all over the world to go skiing in the mountains in
Correct.
Tehran. And that's one of the things I've always found, outside of everything else, just to be so unfortunate with the current regime there is
Yeah.
that, they could have a booming tourist economy if it was friendly to if like the government was friendly to people,
Yeah.
like
Yeah. And at that time it was different because, but then once I got there, it was fine. Then they took us to the embassy and introduced everybody, and we'd been there for a while, and about a couple of weeks, and we hadn't gone out. And we said, "When are we going to get to go out?" That kind of stuff. And so they said, "Okay, let's go." So they threw us in a van. They took us around, showed us around town, stopped a couple of places, and we had lunch. And they took us by the bazaar and
yeah,
that kind of stuff. And then I remember shortly after that, I'm a skier. Not now. I don't, nothing works anymore. But
yeah.
I'm a skier, and I went and bought skis.
Really?
Oh yeah,
While you were there?
yeah, because I wanted to go skiing in the winter.
Man, that would have been
Because
so
winter was
cool.
coming. I know it would have been awesome, and I would have loved it. It would have been awesome. I was like, "Oh my gosh," but that didn't happen. So anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, it was pretty much a modern town. I kept thinking to see people, on horses or donkeys and pulling water out of wells and stuff like that. But no, it was a modern city.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I didn't realize later on what they meant by step back 2,000 years was their mentality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if culturally speaking, and obviously there was a lot of things at play at the time, but like, culturally speaking, there was a lot of cultural traditions and stuff, especially from the people that ended up taking power,
Right. Right.
and a lot of those belief systems are very ancient,
Yeah.
and not very Western,
Right.
the government and the new government,
Right.
obviously, that took over after the revolution. But so you guys were, what month was that when you actually arrived? You said
I arrived like in July.
July
Yeah.
of 1979.
1979.
And then how many months were you there before things started to seem like it was getting kind of sketchy?
September.
September?
September of
And was
79.
that when they first bombed the Marine building?
No, that was done before. So the Shah of Iran was let into the United States
When did that happen?
in 1979, like right around September of that year. I believe it was September of that year.
Okay, so September was when the
Right.
Shah left.
Right. No, no,
And
he'd left in February of 1979, like January, February. He got through a coup.
oh,
They threw him out of the country. So he
okay.
was traveling all over the world, staying different places. I
Okay.
think the last place he was in Belize or something like that. And then apparently he had some type of cancer, and I don't remember what type of cancer he had, but they said he needed to be treated here in the United States for it. So he asked President Carter if he could come into the country and be treated, and President Carter said sure. So once he made it in the United States, the Iranians were like went crazy. They
Yeah.
started coming around at night honking horns and yelling and all kinds of stuff. And then like about a week after then, all the demonstrations started slow. They were small, 100 people
In September?
in September that year. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was like a daily experience working at the embassy like for you when you like in the September timeframe?
So September timeframe was once the demonstrators started. They started every day, just on weekends. They started on weekends, and the ambassador would send a couple Marines out to the gate, and all we had on us was a pistol and a baton.
What kind of
But,
pistol?
38. I think it was a Model 19.
A 38
Yeah,
Model
never
19?
shot one. I shot 45s, but I never shot the 38.
Was that not a revolver?
Yeah,
It was a
yeah,
revolver?
it was a revolver,
Oh,
and we had
wow.
50 rounds, and I think we only had 12 rounds on us.
So you didn't have M16s when you're on
We had
guard there?
shotguns.
Oh,
They
shotguns.
had shotguns, but they wouldn't let us take the shotguns out to the gate with us.
Really?
Yeah. It was they were 870s with the fold over stock on it,
Okay.
and pretty cool. And the training for that was pretty cool. And when I got there, I never shot a shotgun, but I'd always shot rifles
Yeah.
and some pistols, like 22s and stuff. My mom taught me how to shoot.
Okay.
My dad was a Marine, but my mom taught us how to shoot.
Oh, your dad was a Marine.
Yes.
Okay. That's funny.
Yes.
So he was a Marine, but your mother
Yeah,
taught
my
you how to
mom taught
shoot.
us how to shoot. Yeah.
That's funny. You said that you would go out to
Oh
the
yeah. So we
gate,
go out to the gate, and then we'd just stand there. They would yell and
and
scream,
the
and
gate was like it was just like the
it was bars. It was
bars.
bars.
Okay, so you could see through the gate and see the
Correct.
people outside of the gate and stuff
Correct.
like
And
that.
he just wanted them to see us.
And that was the most outer cordon of the whole
Correct.
like property,
Right.
right?
And
Okay.
the front, and we always just went to the front of the embassy where they came, where the main gate, where you could see through the gates and the stuff. Because the other walls, I believe, were 14 feet high and 4 feet thick, something like that.
Okay. So
Yeah.
the inner walls were like 14
Yeah.
feet high.
Yeah.
Got that was the one with that giant wrought iron like
Yeah. Right on gate. That's
yeah,
at the
yeah.
front. Yeah.
Okay. So you were out at the gate with the bars and you guys would
Yeah.
just like be looking at the
We'd
protesters
just
and
stand there and walk and look at them and that kind of thing. And then it kept going on and on. Then they started coming every day. They'd bring kids in the morning and drop them off in buses, and they'd sing songs and get on the bus and then leave.
were these college
No,
students?
they were just young kids, like grade school kids.
Okay.
Yeah, middle school, grade school.
Yeah.
And then the demonstration started getting bigger, and they were coming every day.
Every day.
Yeah, and the ambassador says, "Yeah, we're not coming out. We're not going anymore. This is what we're going to do this weekend when they show up." And it was a big group of people show up. They said, "We're going to play baseball, diplomats against Marines." I said, "Okay." So we went out and played baseball that day, and I just remember it was funny. We were probably about second or third inning, and I um I was at third base. I bent over and I heard this weird sound. It was like a flutter in my ear, and I go, what is that? And I was like that, and then I could just feel like went past me like a flutter. And next thing you hear, boom. I go, holy crap, what's that? And he says, everybody run to the cars. And we're running the cars, and you hear machine gun fire. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh
So we get
no.
into where all the staff parked the vehicles. We all got in between the vehicles. And ambassador says, what was that? Somebody says, I think they shot something over at the consulate. And the consulate was no longer in the embassy. It was on the backside of the compound. So
Oh, okay.
ambassador said, send a couple Marines over there. She tells the gunny, send somebody over to see what's going on. So gunny sent a couple Marines running over to see what's going on. They wanted to check that, and they come back as, yeah, they shot an RPG or something at the console on the outside, and they had just built them as kind of like these parapet things, been like that. And he said they didn't hit the windows or anything; it just hit the inside and damaged it, and that was it. He says, all right, this is what we're gonna do. And you can hear some more machine gun fire, but it wasn't like hitting close, so we didn't know where it was going, but we could hear it.
So you couldn't tell where the fire was coming
No,
from. You just
couldn't tell at
heard
the time. Just
it
machine
sounded
gun
like
fire.
machine gun
Yeah.
fire.
Well, we knew it was machine gun fire.
Yeah.
So he says, all right, we're going to go into the embassy. This is going to happen. So it's like on the, I believe, north side of the embassy. And there's a door there. It doesn't have a handle. I think it just has a button you push to intercom for the Marines, and then they'll pop it open, and you go in and close it. And there's a stairwell in front with the bricks in front of it. Gunny says, I'm going to run up there. I says, I want all the diplomats, everybody, the staff to run up there. Marines, you go last. I said, okay. He says, I'm going to count to 10. I said, I'm going to run up there. I'm going to push the thing. So you guys count to 10. You get to 10, run up there. He gets there, he's like 1,001, 1,002, and 3, and they just started running after him. He didn't have the door open yet. So we go, crap. So we went with them just to make sure nothing happened to them. So we're going with them, and all of a sudden I hear that flutter again, and you hear boom, and it was like in the grass, maybe 50 feet from us. And I just felt like something was sting past me, and the other Marines like this, and I remember it threw me sideways a little bit, and a couple of other Marines too, and it's like threw us sideways like a concussion or something, and I was like, holy smoke. So we get in there, we go inside, and I remember Mike couldn't hear him. I was here for a little bit, and then he was ringing a little, and then And we finally get in, we close the doors, and they're looking out the gates. And next thing you know, they're just, you can hear more machine gun fire outside, and we get ready, get our weapons, get all our stuff, and we're just inside there. We checking things out. We probably sat in there for 24 hours, and then it finally quieted down. Yeah,
Really?
we didn't hear anything else.
So there wasn't anybody outside, like on the outer perimeter at that point?
Cameras that we had, we didn't see where they were at that part. They weren't in front of the embassy or where the other camera was. We couldn't see them. They only had two cameras. And then if they were on the backside or anything, we didn't see anything. So they might have been on the backside shooting in or whatever. But they didn't get anybody. Nobody got hurt. So after that was all done, we went outside. And I remember we went over to the grass to see where that thing hit, and it was an RPG, and it went in the grass, it stuck into the grass, and then boom, exploded.
Really?
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
wonder
so
how they managed to do that. They must
I
have
don't
shot
know,
it from a building or
building
something.
or something across from us. Yeah.
Yeah, because like to get over
Yeah,
the
because they
wall
had to
down
come over the
in.
wall, so they shot it from. They had to shoot it from a building or something,
Yeah,
or just shot it up over. I don't know, but who
yeah.
knows? But yeah, I just remember that happened, and then I remember we just all went back to work the next day, and that's what it was, just doing our regular daily, checking for security violations and just doing the regular stuff. And
And where were the posts located for
so we had
this?
one post one, and that was at the main entrance, and that was the main post.
It was just right at
Yeah,
the wrought iron gate
at the no, it
or
wasn't even
the
the wrought iron
bars?
gate. It was inside the embassy itself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we didn't have a post on the outside.
Really?
No, no, we just
That's
had
so
post one.
sketchy.
Yeah, it was an office inside. I wish I had some picture I'd show you. It's cool because I remember one of the Marines that I went there. Great guy. He was a sergeant at the time, and Robert Mendez, cool guy. Whatever he said came out of his mouth. You were like, you just listened. He's like my mentor while I was there. 'Cause he was sergeant. He was cool. He just knew his stuff. He was good. He was good. He's just one of those guys. He actually left and went to work for the State Department later. And
Sergeant
that kind of stuff.
Mendez?
Yeah, Sergeant Robert Mendez. Yeah, Bobby Mendez, and so there's a picture. He sent me a picture of him when he got there, and he's sitting behind post one. We had bulletproof glass, and there's a AK, or not even it wasn't AK then. It was a G3 bullet round sitting in the bulletproof glass, just sitting there. He's just sitting there looking at you like that.
Wow.
Yeah. So he didn't get taken with us. He actually left before the incident happened. They went on R&R or something, and they sent some guys away, and then they were going to come back. And so he didn't captured with us. But yeah, he
Wow.
was a great guy, great guy. And but so we had post one, and it was an office in the main doors. You went in, and then we had an office there, and then they had a window, bulletproof window. The other post was only in the evening, and overnight was at the ambassador's residence. And
Was
that was,
that off the
no, it was on
campus?
on campus.
Okay, it
Everything was
was.
on the campus, and then you just sat outside his door at night. And if you were there in the evening, if you were there in the evening before the other guy came to relieved you for the overnight shift, he'd always invited you to have dessert with him at
Dessert.
dinner. Yeah, he'd have dinner and then invite you to dessert, and you come in and dessert. And he had a great cook, Luigi. He was an Italian cook, and he made some great pastries and food and stuff. But he always invited us for dessert. Yeah,
Right there in the embassy.
yeah, right there in not in the embassy, in his house.
Oh, in his house.
Yeah,
So they had like a kitchen in
yeah,
there?
and his house had a kitchen. His house was like a mansion. It was huge. Yeah,
Really?
it was beautiful.
All on the embassy
Yeah, on the embassy
grounds.
grounds, they had two houses. They had the charge d'affaires house, and then they had the ambassador's house. But the ambassador liked to be called charge d'affaires.
Charge
The
d'affaires?
affairs, yeah, like the second in charge. He didn't want everybody to know he was, because back then it was who was doing it was the Bader Meinhof gang, Carlos the Jackal, Elich Ramirez Sanchez. They were all kidnapping ambassadors at the time all over the country. If you knew that, get for ransom or whatever, that
In
kind of thing.
Iran that was happening?
It didn't happen in Iran at the time, but it happened on other places around the world.
Oh, wow.
And those were the terrorist groups at the time.
Okay.
Elich Ramirez, it was Carlos the Jackal, the Bader Meinhof gang, all got different kind of little terrorist groups. And there wasn't really any Islamist terrorist groups at that time that we knew. I mean, there were some around, but they weren't really messing with us, the Americans, or anything at that time.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So, because I mean, that incident took place with us was actually a completely new era of terrorism.
Yeah,
If you
because
look in
that's
history.
that's something I have that I don't really think about that
Yeah,
much. Because like a lot of the terrorism, like a lot of the terrorist groups are Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps sponsored
correct.
groups.
Sure.
So they came from when the new government stepped in.
Correct.
So before that, it was probably very different across the entire Middle East, I would
Right.
imagine.
Right.
It
was.
which is it's for folks like me that didn't grow up back then, like it's
Yeah.
tough to have that frame of reference, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But that's interesting to hear that from you.
Yeah. And I didn't know that at the time too, because I mean, I'm from Colorado. I knew Colorado history, and and U.S. history, and then we didn't have CNN or anything like that. And it wasn't until after I got involved in that incident, then came back and then realized what was going on and all this new stuff. And then, but I was always interested in terrorism, so
Yeah.
I knew about the Bader Meinhof gangs and Carlos the Jackal and all these other different little groups, and because I was always interested and read about them in magazines and Reader's Digest and Newsweek stuff like that. Interested in
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. But it was kind of interesting, yeah.
That's something that a lot of people don't think about because I mean the world after 1979 was very different in the Middle East across
Correct.
the entire area of
Yeah.
operation. So let's move forward a little bit. You said things started getting more intense in
Correct.
September, October,
So about
November.
October, that kind of thing. So I remember yeah. So we went in. So it was pretty intense with the demonstration stuff. And then I talked about going to get my boots the one night after the ambassador, we had played. I says, "No, we're going to have dinner." And then I remember went back that day, and it's November. This is November 4th, 1979.
Okay.
So I forgot my boots, and then that's when they attacked. They came in, and so we go down the basement. We gassed ourselves
Yeah.
first, and I remember I'm sitting down there, and I could hear Iranians on our radio, and they're screaming on our radio. I go, "What the heck's going on?" So I start switching channels. Then you get the other guys and switch on their own channels. I go, "What the heck is going on?" So finally, I get one of the channels. I get upstairs, and I says, "Yeah, we're downstairs." I says, "I got to tell you right now, they're pulling the bars off the windows." They go, "What?" I said, "They're pulling the bars off the windows. It's not gonna be long before they get in here." And I says, "We need you to send two of you back up here." So I said, "Okay." So I turn around to look, and Rocky and Herman already ran back up the stairs. When I
Yeah.
heard that. So I'm down there by myself. So I go back down the other end of the embassy in the basement, and they already got the bars off the windows, and they're coming in the window. So I back up, and
The protesters
yeah, the
and
protesters were already coming in.
now were these college age?
Who knows? To tell you the truth, they say militants, college people, who knows? Because
Yeah.
you talk about Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, he was there, and he was an intel guy back then, and he was one of the main guys that put it up. And they say, "Oh no, no, he didn't," but he actually had a website talking about how he put that together and all this stuff. And everybody's, "Oh no, he wasn't involved," And I got pictures showing him when he was there, standing next to some of the hostages and stuff like that. And he was there when I was there.
Ahmadinejad.
Yeah, yeah, Ahmadinejad.
Wow, you mean the same one that was the president back in like George W. Bush time?
Correct. Yeah. Well, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. Well, was he president? Yeah, he was president
I
then.
think he was,
Yeah,
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 because I recognize that name. I
yeah, yeah,
remember hearing it on the news all the time
yeah,
back in like
yeah.
the early 2000s.
Yeah, I'll tell you another story later about that. But anyway, so that was going on, and he was there, and
So they were flooding through the windows.
correct, they were coming through the window, and I saw them coming in. I go, "They're coming in. They've breached the basement. They breached the basement." And I didn't hear anything. I just hear Ronnie and John. I go, "What the crap is going on?" So I pull up my shotgun, and I rack around, and I stand there in front of them, and they're coming to the window, and they got like 6 or 7 women in front of them, and rifles are hanging, and the men are pushing them forward. I go, "What the heck did I do? What
The
should I do
men were
now?"
pushing the
The men
women
were pushing
forward.
the women forward, and
That later became something they've done a lot since then
and
too.
they did that because what they said at that time, and it was one of the females that was there at the time, Mary Maru. She says she became a foreign minister, and they talked to her years later. They talked about it. She goes, "Yeah, we were pushing, hoping the Marines would shoot us, and that they would carry us outside into the crowd, so they would come in and just kill everybody or do whatever." So but we didn't. I'm down there. I don't got my rifle. I'm sitting there looking at them, and I go to rack around. They're coming towards me, and I rack around, and they stop. And I'm pointing right at them. I go, "Do I shoot above them? Do I shoot them? They're not pointing guns at me, but they're coming toward me. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do?" I'm thinking in my head.
I mean,
My
this is probably like, in split
Yeah, yeah,
seconds decision time.
yeah, yeah. At the same time, I'm a warehouseman, but I'm a Marine. But all Marines are basically combat right out of trained right out of boot camp.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there thinking, but I've got tunnel vision, and I'm just right there. I have no idea what's going on around me at the time. So I rack around in my shotgun, and they hear it. That particular sound when you rack around in your shotgun, and they stop and they look at me, and I'm sitting there looking at them, and I went, "What do I do? Do I shoot them in the legs? Do I shoot above them? Do I shoot around just to scare them, see what happens?" And because they're not pointing the rifles at me, and I'm looking at them, and I'm going, and then I thought of something, and it hit my head right away, and I go, "Son of a gun!" So when you take a shotgun and you check it before you load it, you always rack around, you pull it back, and it makes a very distinct sound. It has a hollow sound, right? That's what my shotgun did. I never loaded it. Well, I had my pistol. I was so busy getting stuff done, just through my day, I never loaded. I had the box of rounds in my pocket. I said, "Son of a gun." So they start marching, coming toward me again. And I rack another round. I move forward. What I did first was I pulled the trigger. I couldn't get it out. So I pulled the trigger. I knew it wasn't in there. I pulled the trigger because I knew there wasn't anything in there. I pulled the trigger, so I racked another round. They stopped. So I start moving forward, and I'm going chick, chick, click, chick, chick, click, like 6 or 7 times. And they all backed up into the room again. And it's funny because one of the Marines in a book, Guess the Ayatollah, he says, "Oh my God, Billy Gallegos was down there all by himself, and we were all so afraid because he was so gung ho. He was dry firing on the Iranians."
He was dry firing on the Iranians.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my
You were
God."
by yourself
So I was
down
by
there.
myself down there. So, and that's what I had to do. Once I got him back in the room, I stepped back around the corner and I loaded my shotgun. I popped back out, and this time, bam, I pop around there. It sounds perfect. So I'm sitting there this time. I'm sorry, I keep hitting this thing.
Where did you shoot that round?
So I didn't shoot around at the time. I just put a round into my shotgun. I'm ready to go. It's all loaded up. So this time I'm aiming. I made him. I'm getting ready to shoot. I go. I'm gonna have to shoot him in the leg or something if they keep coming out, because they get a hold of me, I'm done. So I'm getting ready to shoot, and then I hear like an echo, and I tell you, I got tunnel vision, my first combat situation, and I'm just like, I hear Billy, like an echo, Billy, and I go, is that God? Is that Jesus? Somebody's like, it's in my ear, but it's like an echo. And I go, what is that? And then I hear, and I look, and it's Ellen Golzinski, the RSO, Regional Security Officer, State Department. The other regional security officer, left earlier that day to go to a meeting with the ambassador at the foreign ministry. So they weren't there when all that happened.
Oh,
So there was only
wow.
one RSO there. So he's looking at me, he's talking, he goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "Yeah." When he goes, "Do not shoot, do not shoot. Lower your weapon." So I just put it down to here. That's it. I didn't put it all the way down. I put it down, I'm ready. And then he
This
goes,
is
he's
the State Department
right,
RSO
right,
told you not to shoot.
correct. He says, "Don't shoot, don't shoot."
Okay.
And I said, "Okay, okay." And he looks at me, he goes, "Do you see those two guys back there that like were giving orders after they're already coming in? And you can see them in the background in the back room." And he goes, "I know those two guys. I've dealt with them before." And I go, "What?" He goes, "I dealt with them before. I'm gonna go talk to them." I says, "Al, don't go. Al, don't go." And he hands me his pistol. So I took it in my thing. He goes in there. Next thing I know, boom, they snag him, spin him around, blindfold him, tie his hands, and suck him out the window. Gone.
They sucked him right out the
Yep.
window. Oh my God, dude. What was going through your head when you saw that happen?
I went, "Oh crap." I got on the radio and I was on a channel where I'm talking to everybody. I says, I gave I called in. They go, "What's going on?" I says, they have Golozinski. They have RSO Golozinski. He's been taken. The radio got quiet. Well, you know what happens now, right? Because he's gone. Who's in charge? Marines.
The Marines were in
So
charge after he's gone.
Gunny's in charge now. Yeah,
So Gunny basically took
yeah. I said,
responsibility
"They're in
after that.
here. They're all over the basement. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do?" And they says, "Get back up here." But before I left, I stuck the end of the CS gas grenade launcher on my shotgun, and I pulled that first round out, popped it out, and I took it out, and I put a green round in there, and I started wiring. I stuck a CS gas grenade in there. And what it does is it's got a green round and it shoots the gas grenade. I'm walking upstairs and they're coming towards me. And I remember I'm seeing them. There's a guy. I'm starting to go up the stairs and I look over and there's another window and I just go,
So you fired a CS canister
CS
out there
canister. Yeah.
to fill
At
the whole basement up.
well, I hit an Iranian with it, but
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
And it goes,
Did you see that happen?
yes.
You saw it hit him? Oh,
He goes,
my.
poof, and then pipe powder everywhere. And I go, I'm up. So I got upstairs. I closed doors behind me. I go into post one.
Was that door able to be locked?
Yes, you could lock it from the inside. So I locked it and I closed it and I shut it. But it wasn't a big, it was just a little lock. It wasn't nothing fancy.
Yeah.
So, and the other one just had one of those push-up things up, up on top. So I lock it. I go into post one because there's some shelves in there, and there's firearms in those shelves. And so I go in there, and we used to get in there to get stuff out, and they kept an Uzi in there and some hunting rifles from some other people that had left there a long time ago, whatever. And there was some ammo and stuff in there.
An Uzi?
Yeah, the Uzi. They had
A
a
little
they had a
submachine gun.
local. They had some locals as a protection deal for the ambassador
Yeah.
when he went out, and he went out with the RSOMA, and they had Uzis,
Oh,
and
wow.
they kept a couple there. So I remember I ran up there and I got to get those guns. I got to get them if I'm going all upstairs. So I go in there and I'm doing the lock, 3 combination locks. And I apologize if I'm like going through my head and I forget because it's that medication that screwed me up.
That's all
But
good.
so I'm trying to open, I couldn't open. I opened them every day. I opened every day for months. All 3 of them had the same combination number, 030. Tell you right now. I couldn't open them then. So I run in the gunny's office, I grab a crowbar, and they were just wooden shells. I pop the locks off and boom, boom, grab all the weapons. I'm going up the stairs. I get up to the top steps. It's a metal door, and you got a cipher to open. And I'm pushing the thing, trying to get the cipher open. I can't get it open. And I'm knocking the kicking door. They look and they go, "It's Gallegos." And they look out and they open the door, and I go in and take them in.
So you had it like you were carrying
Right,
like bridle carrying a
right.
handful, like a armful of weapons
Yeah,
upstairs
yeah,
from downstairs to clear out post
yeah.
one.
Go
Did you
out post
manage
one.
to get all of the guns out of there?
Yeah, there was just a couple in there. Was a few. The Uzis were gone because they took them with the when they went on the detail.
Okay.
But the hunting rifles were in there and a couple of little pistol things. But it was funny because on the wall there's this big black box. It has this big button on it. It's got all these wires sticking out. It has a little antenna on it and stuff like that. And they said if anything ever happened, when you go to the range security office, you can push this button. If somebody's not around and they're attacking the embassy, whatever, you push that button, and it goes to like let everybody in the whole world know that you're being attacked. So every night when we used to relieve each other, we'd push each other towards that thing and, and try to push the other guys. Come
Of
on,
course, naturally,
yeah,
yeah.
naturally,
That's what
Marines being
Marines do,
stupid.
yeah.
So lucky it never got pushed. But I remember looking at it and I didn't see it on. I got all those weapons in my hand. And I just reach up with them out and I go, chink,
So you're
pushed
the
it.
one that hit the button.
Yeah, but it was everybody already knew what was going on.
Yeah.
There was just nobody had done it before. I said, "That's cool. I'm going to push that button." So I clink. I pushed that button. Little red dots go, tick, 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 and the big one, red one, turned on red. And I was like, "Oh, that was cool."
I wonder if that alerted like people back in DC and
Everybody,
everywhere else at that
DC,
point.
Pentagon, everywhere, State Department, everywhere. Yeah,
So
just
that was like, hey,
White House,
SOS.
White House. Yeah, it was like a SOS signal or whatever out to everybody.
Okay.
So I get upstairs, I get in, and I said, "They're all over downstairs in the basement." And they go, "Okay, okay." And so we just start doing stuff up there. We got our gas masks on because there's gas coming in from another door. Because I threw a few more gas grenades while I was down there also, and that's just gas everywhere now coming up. And they got those doors open. They just kicked them open, and they came upstairs, and they were all over the place. And there was all kinds of things going on upstairs. And they're on the. We get all of a sudden I hear a knock on the door, and we go over to the door. Marines are looking there. We got to show. And we go, "What's going on?" They go, "Who is it?" "It's Al Golzinski, RSO." They look out and they go, "They got Al. He's blindfolded and tied up. And he's at the door and they got a gun to his head." Al says, "Open the door. If you don't open the door, they're going to kill me."
Oh my God. Who was at the door?
On the inside,
Yeah, on the inside.
Marines and the gunny.
Okay.
Yeah. And we're looking out and we look at each other and we all go like that. We said, "No." And we go, "We're not opening the door. We're not opening the door." And you didn't hear anything. That was it. Then they said, we watched the little people and they took Al back down, I guess. So we didn't open the door. So we're up there like about another hour, and then all of a sudden, all the Marines report to the ambassador's office now. Report to the ambassador's now, and so we go into the ambassador's office, and we get in there, and they say, "Listen carefully," and they're all on the phones. They got the intercoms on the phones open, everything like, and you hear like click, 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 and they go, listen carefully, Marines. The President of the United States is ordering the Marines to stand down. The President of the United States is ordering the Marines to stand down. Do you understand?" We're just sitting there. And then they said it one more time, and I said, "Are you?" I said, "They'll kill us."
Yeah.
And I just remember everybody looked at me like, "Did you just say that?" was
I
like,
bet
"Yeah,
the tension
it's
in
it."
the air could have been cut with
Yeah,
a
for
knife.
us, with us. And we're like, unbelievable. We're thinking to ourselves. We didn't say anything because all the other diplomats in there, stuff like that. And then one of the diplomats says something. He says, "You know what's going to happen if you don't follow those orders. You know what's going to happen." We're like, "What the heck?" So we all walk out and we're talking about it. I said, "They're going to kill us." And then the rest of them told us what's going to happen. I says, "Shortly, we're still talking. There are negotiations apparently with the foreign ministry and whatever, and they want you to open the doors, and they're just going to have a sit-in for 8 hours." We go, "What?" "But you're going to have to put your weapons away, do whatever, hide them, do whatever you got to do, but you're not going to have any weapons when we open the doors."
Jesus.
Yeah,
So the embassy is completely surrounded
correct.
by thousands and
Thousands
thousands
and
and thousands
thousands.
of
Yeah,
people,
and
and you're
armed,
and you
Some of them armed.
some
Yeah,
of them are armed, and you guys are up there in like the what floor?
so, top floor,
The
third floor,
top floor, the
third
third
floor of the
floor of this
embassy.
place. You just got told by the president of the United States to stand
Yeah,
down. What's going through your head?
I was going, "Where's the helicopters?" Because normally most embassies, if you're close enough, but we're so far into that country, there was nobody coming to get us. Nobody's coming to get us, so we were on our own.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
because all the military's already gone. All the other military, our military, Air Force, everybody's gone. They kicked them out of the country in January, and everybody left right after that.
January of 1979 they
79, yeah,
left.
yeah.
So you guys were
January, February,
completely
yeah,
alone and
yeah,
and afraid. Like
correct,
or unafraid, I
yeah.
guess.
Not unafraid, but
But yeah.
in a way, but Yeah, so they finally tell us we're gonna open the doors. We said, "Okay." So Marines, we say, "We're gonna open the doors, but we're gonna let all the diplomats out first. So if they start shooting or killing or doing whatever, or as they go down the steps, we'll just slam the door shut, get our guns, and we'll take care of ourselves."
Oh, so you were like, okay, we're gonna have the diplomats go first, so
Yes.
that way, if they do decide
Yeah.
to start firing, that we're just gonna be able to hole up, and protect ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Jesus.
we did. We let them out, and then the Marines were like they didn't do anything. They just took them downstairs. So next, we were next. So it's my turn. I finally come out, and I just remember. I don't know how. I don't know what happened. But next thing I know is I'm tied up with my hands behind my back, and I'm being carried face down by my legs and my arms, and I'm being at an angle, and they're carrying me down the stairs. So I must have got cracked in the head or something because I just couldn't feel it at the time. And I remember I'm tied up already, and I'm at an angle hanging down. They take me outstairs, and I could feel the air start to hit me because it was like 32 degrees outside, and it was little snow earlier, little drizzle. So I get up there and they're going, Mach Bottomatica, Mach Bottom. But that time they're just starting to take the Marines out. And then all of a sudden, Mach Bottomatica, Mach Bottomatica. And they start to take us through a crowd. And I can hear the crowds and they stop and they stand me up. And I'm just standing there. It's like on the steps of the front steps of the embassy. And I can hear everything going on. And then all of a sudden they bring some more. I can tell because it's just Marines behind me coming with them coming. And they kind of stop and they're like pushing on me. And then all of a sudden they stopped. And I just hear, everybody's hissing like snakes, thousands of people
At
hissing.
the same time,
Yes. And I'm like, "Oh my god, what's going on now?"
that had to be so freaking
It was
terrifying.
so terrifying. I was like, I was like, "Oh my god." And then they picked us up again and they took us to the ambassador's house and sat us in a room. We're blindfolded and everything.
Yeah.
And I go, "Oh my god." And then we get in, they take our blindfolds off. We're sitting there at a table and it's an Iranian and a hostage, Iranian all the way around the table. And then it wasn't until years later I found out what they were doing when they were going, "Sss, sss," and that's what it sounded like. It sounded like a big hiss to me, but they were going, "Sss, sss." They were phonetically saying CIA.
Oh,
Yeah,
so they thought that you guys were CIA or
yeah.
something?
I don't know why, but
Huh.
CIA. Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and I'll tell you another story about that later because they did think we were CIA later because somebody told them we were CIA.
Yeah.
And
So
but
you're inside of the
so
ambassador's
now we're
house
in
at
the
this
ambassador's
point.
house sitting at a huge table, it was dinner table with a bunch of other hostages. We're all in there. And then I remember looking around. I'm looking around. I look back in the corner. I see a guy. I keep looking at him. I go, dude, that looks like my friend from high school. Looks almost like him. Ed was his name.
Yeah.
And he had big curly hair and those big thick glasses. And he looked like that guy. I can't remember his name. He used to be on SNL back in the day. And I can't remember what his name was, but
John
uh,
Belushi?
no, no, no. It was a
No?
guy before that. And, he had the thick hair and the glasses. He was playing a part. And then he always wore like cowboy shirts
Hmm.
and I can't remember his name, but it looked just like my friend Ed. And I looked up one more time, and next thing I know, I felt the guy next to me. I look, and it's him. He goes, "I saw you looking at me." They all spoke perfect English. "I saw you looking at me." I go, "Yeah." My hands are tied like this, and he goes, "Why you look at me?" And I just kept looking. He goes, "I know what you like. You would like to choke me." And I go, "My hands are tied." And he says something. They untie my hands. I stand up. I go to reach for him because he's reaching for me, and I'm out again. I get hit in the back of the head.
Oh, they hit you in the back of the head at
With
that
a
point.
rifle or something. I don't know what. So when I wake up, I'm under a table like this, and I'm under a table, and I'm tied. My hand tied on one end, my feet are tied on the other end, and it's really thick gauge wire tied to my hands. I'm going, oh my god, my hands are thumping, from the blood pressure, just thumping, and my feet are too. And then I go, oh, and then all of a sudden that goes away, and then I could feel the back of my head hurt so bad. I was like, oh my god, I just
Yeah, I
got hit in the
bet.
back of the head. But I had since I didn't have my boots on, I had my core frame shoes, dress shoes on because I didn't get my boots. I didn't get to go back and get my boots with my
Oh,
camouflage
no.
utilities on. So I was able to kick them off, and that relieved the pressure on some of my feet before I
You're
was
wearing
tied.
core frames instead of boots at this time.
I have a
Jesus.
I
That's like the worst. That's the worst
I have this
luck.
I have this cool picture. I mean, if you want, I can pull up my phone, but I have this cool picture of me, and it shows me, and I got my shotgun. I'm down there where they're trying to come in the window, and I'm leaned down. And I got my shotgun up like this, and I'm all in my pants aren't bloused because I have core frame shoes.
Oh my god, that's terrible.
I know.
Oh my god.
So
Did you
and
have those core frames while you were detained?
no,
Okay.
because they took all our shoes and everything away from
Oh,
us.
okay.
So
So you woke up and you kicked off your core frames.
I kicked them off, and I relieved the pressure on my feet from the dumping. I was going, oh, and then they came over, and the guy comes over and he unties me, and there's other hostages in there, and another marine over in the corner, and then all of a sudden. I'm sitting there and they tie my hands in front of me, and this little Iranian walks up to me with one of our shotguns. And I know he didn't get one of ours because we took him apart and we hit him and did all kinds of stuff so they wouldn't find our stuff. And he's got one of our shotguns fully intact. And he walks up to me and he takes one of those green rounds for the CS gas grenades to shoot, not the regular shotgun round. And he puts it in, he pulls it forward, and he pops it back and he pulls the trigger. I was like, holy shit. Because there was no other rounds in there. He just put in that one. He'd pop it back. So when he popped it back, the breech was open. He'd put the round in there. He'd pull it forward. And then thinking, because going like that, he'd pull it back and the round would pop out and he'd click it again. And he'd look at me. How do you work this? How do you work this? You are Tofengard. You are Tofengard. We saw you. You are Tofengard. Tofengard means man with a gun.
Oh.
And
So
I'm
he
like,
knew that you were one of the guys that
yeah,
was
because
using a
pretty
gun.
much I'm the only one they saw with a gun in the basement when I was down there because they were out there taking pictures and all the Iranians that were down there looking in the windows and stuff. I was the only one they saw with a gun.
That's insane. Is there footage of that out there?
There's photos. I have that photo.
Photos
but
of
that's about
you.
it. But outside, I don't know. There may be because they're looking in, but nothing inside. There's some photos that I have.
Wow.
And, yeah, and I have some on my phone. But so I was like, oh my gosh. I said, you're not doing it fast enough because I say he's gonna shoot me. He's gonna shoot me anyway. Whatever. So he tries it faster. It doesn't work. Brown peps out. And I'm going, oh my god, thank God he didn't know what he was doing. So he just takes a rifle and he goes cracks me in the head with it. And I was like, that was the end of it. Didn't ask me anymore.
Jesus. So you've been hit in the head like 3 times at this point.
At that point, yeah, just 3. But yeah. So, and I see that little lump on my head. That's a G3 bump. Never went. When I had hair, I couldn't tell until it went away. And I said, oh, yeah, look at that.
From a G30.
G3.
Oh,
G3
G3.
rifle. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
308, the big 3A FNs. Yeah.
An FN.
Yeah. Yeah. 30 FN3. Yeah. They weren't carrying AK-47s. They had the G3 rifles, the FN, those FN 308s. Yeah.
Interesting. Where did they get the G3s from?
Germany.
Huh.
I'm sure they bought them. That was their standard issue rifle.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Iranians, yeah. Their military.
That's crazy. It's so weird to think about that because, like,
Yeah.
now obviously, like, all of their rifles and weapons are all like Russian made.
Yeah, now they have
weapons.
AKs and all that stuff kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
and RPKs and
Right.
PKMs and all that. Yeah, that's interesting. So he hit you in the head. That was your 3rd time at that
Yeah, at
point
that
getting
point,
hit.
at that
And
point.
what happened after that?
So they take us downstairs and they put us in a big room. And they sit us in a chair and they tie us to the chair, kind of like these. And they attach the chair and our feet to the chair. And we're tied like this to a chair. And I'm sitting down there and we're blindfolded. And I just remember sitting there and all of a sudden I hear chirping going on. Birds chirping, thousands of birds. So in the morning, the birds would chirp.
Yeah.
So it's already the next day. It's like 5 o'clock in the morning, maybe. And I'm blindfolded, so I can't see what the daylight or what. And I can hear the chirping. I go, oh my God, it's already the morning. So it's already, whole day's gone by. I haven't eaten, had anything to drink, anything, like sitting in this chair. And then I could hear other hostages trying to talk, and they're going, don't to speak, don't to speak. And then I hear one guy, Bob Odie. He was the oldest one there. They brought him out of retirement. He was born in like 1910 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, but he'd been retired, and they brought him back to Tehran. He'd been there before, speaks Farsi, whatever.
What was he there? What was he? Was he serving or?
He was serving. Yeah, he was. I don't remember what his title was.
But he was in the Marine Corps.
No. He was a embassy staff.
Oh, he's part of the embassy staff.
Part of the
Okay,
embassy
gotcha,
staff.
gotcha. But
He
he was
goes,
born in
"All right."
1910.
Yeah, born in 1910.
Jesus.
Great guy. He was a great guy. He was an old guy then. He goes, I don't know what's going on, but I got to go to the bathroom. He goes, and I need something to drink. And he says, and I'll tell you right now, if you don't take me to the bathroom, I'm going to piss right here on the floor, and I'm not cleaning it up. So next thing you know, a bunch of lights come on, and then you can see him coming around, and then I get my blindfold taken off, and they pick him up and they take him to the bathroom. He's probably like down the ways a little bit from me, and there's all kinds of people in between. They got all kinds of people in there, hostages and Iranians and everything. And then I'm sitting there going, thinking. And then I see this guy. He's got a pitcher of water. He's got a little glass. He's coming by. He's giving people drinks of water, and he's like 3 people away from him. I'm going, thank God. And right before that happens, my chair gets tilted back, and I get drug into another room. They sit me down, drop me down, and they're looking at me. And there's a bunch of guys in there with guns. And there's a couple of guys that walk up to me, and they go, what is your name? Gallegos, William. Social Security number. United States Marine Corps. What is your name? I go, Gallegos, William, United States Marine Corps. Bam! Social Security number, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Probably in there for like 10 minutes whacking me around. And then all of a sudden they stop. I could hear the door open, and then I could hear another chair getting drug in, and it's Rocky Sickman. And they put him about the distance of you and me. And he's there, and they start him, and they go, "What is your name?" He goes, "Sick man," and he doesn't get to whack him in the back of the head. "What is your name?" He goes, "Sick man," whack him in the back of the head again. "No, what is your name?" He goes, "Sick man," doesn't get finished, they whack him in the back of the head, and he goes, "We know you are sick man. What is your name?"
They thought he was saying that he was a sick man. They said, "We know you are a sick man."
So I go to help save him, and I go, "That is his name, that's his name," and they look at me and they go, "What is your name?" He goes, "Sick man," and they stop. A couple guys walk out of the room, and I'm sitting there looking at him, I'm just kinda laughing a little bit. Because what's going on? And they come in the room, and the guy's got a glass of water, and the other one's got aspirin in his hand. He walks up to him. "We know you are a sick man. Please don't take aspirin." I just started laughing so hard I was crying. He just started laughing
They
so
gave
hard
him
too.
aspirin and water because he kept saying he was sick, man.
Yes.
Oh my God. See, that's funny because
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
translation,
Right.
that's wow.
So it was kind of funny. So yeah, that happened. Just went on for a little more, and then they drug us back and put us in the room, and then later on we just spent most of the day down there, and I never did get a drink of water. And then they took us up and put us in the room. I got stuck in the ambassador's bedroom, and they took all the furniture out and everything, and they just had us sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they had a guard at the door, and there was guards outside the door, but they had one inside the door sitting like on a. They brought in the school desks that they had from the embassy sitting around somewhere,
Yeah.
and so yeah, they had the guy sitting in there watching us, and you couldn't talk to each other. He was just, "Don't to speak, don't to speak."
Yeah.
So yeah, we're like, "Oh, okay."
How long were you like basically being held in the embassy for?
So so not in the embassy at that time. We were over at the ambassador's house. So we were in the ambassador's house till like Christmas.
Okay, so you stayed, but the ambassador's house was on the
On the
embassy
compound,
grounds,
right, on the embassy
on the
ground.
compound,
Yeah,
and so you were captured in November,
right,
correct?
right.
And you stayed there until you said
So we're still
Christmas?
in the compound well, we're actually in the compound after Christmas. I'll tell you what happened. So Christmas comes, they take us downstairs, they put a whole big dog and pony show for propaganda, and they take us down, and they sit us down between Iranians. They have us sing us Christmas songs and all kinds of stuff. And we come in, and they got this table with all kinds of candy and candy bars and stuff that apparently the Pope had sent. Bunch of food and peanut butter and stuff like that.
The Pope had sent
Apparently,
stuff.
the Pope had sent it. That's what they said. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, and then he sent an emissary at the same time, Bishop Arian Capucci.
And was he there?
He was there, actually came
Oh,
and
wow.
talked to us at one point in time. And funny with the story about him because I think he was in prison in Israel for the Israelis had him in prison for like 10 years or something for whatever I don't know.
Interesting.
So anyway, I grabbed. He says, "Please help yourself." So I grab a bunch of candy bars and stuff, and then I put them in my pockets, my camouflage my side cargo pockets. So I go in and they have us sing songs, guys playing whatever, and they just take the cameras around, show everybody, and then they pick us up and walk us out. As I walk out, they go, "Please," and they stop us and they take all the candy and stuff out of my pockets and put it back on the table. I go,
Is
"Son of a gun."
so were you able to eat any of it while
No,
you were in there?
never got it. Well, wait. So um, they take us back up to the room, and I'm sitting in the room and I'm waiting for Rocky. At that time, Rocky was with me for about a couple of days. So I say out of the 4 days. Yeah, so about that time, Rocky was with me. So Rocky's with me. I'm waiting for him to come in the room. He comes back in the room and he's standing there. He says, "All right, gentlemen." He goes, "I got presents for all of you, Christmas presents." I'm looking at him. I go, "What are you talking about?" I don't see anything in his pockets. And I go, "What are you talking about?" And he reaches down the front of his pants and down the back of his pants. He starts pulling out candy bars.
He shoved a bunch of candy bars in his
Stuffed them in his
pants.
pants when they were doing something. He stuffed a bunch into his pants.
Rocky did this.
Yes,
Wow.
Rocky Sickman's a great guy. You got to know him. And we're like brothers, right? We've been like brothers ever since we got back. And my family, they call him uncle, and his family calls me uncle, and we see each other all the time and call each other all the time. And like every week we've done ever since we've gotten back. But um, so yeah, he passes out the candy bars and that kind of stuff. So yeah.
But how did it go between that point and when you guys were sitting in the ambassador's house? Like, were you able to shower? Did they feed you?
So
What
we
were
didn't
you
have any
eating?
shower. We didn't get to shower. We didn't have a bathroom in the room we were in. They'd take us to the bathroom,
Okay.
but you weren't allowed to shower. So you just go in and we'd wash ourselves within the sink in the
Okay.
bathroom, and because you weren't allowed to take a shower.
Yeah.
So and then when they take us back to the room, so we were in them about that time till right after Christmas. So then they moved us back into the embassy itself.
After Christmas.
Yeah, so like maybe January.
What had you been eating up to that point or drinking? Like
They were bringing us food. They actually they kept the cook there, the Italian cook there for a while, and he was bringing food, but they said he was cooking for us, but we never saw that. We all we saw was rice, boiled potatoes, boiled eggs, sometimes broth, noon bread, some dates every now and then dates, and some paneer cheese, goat cheese.
okay.
Yeah,
So you were eating something, but it
yeah,
probably wasn't very
not a
much.
lot. No.
Man, but and you were getting water? Did
Yeah,
they
we got
give you
water. They
water?
always brought us water. We always had water. They always had a pitcher of water or something there for us. So then they moved us back into the embassy, and we were in the embassy, and they had us in a room there, and it was myself. It was myself, Jerry Pluckin, and Rocky in one room. And we're stuck together. Though. We're stuck together in there. And but this time they were treating us different than a lot of the others, and we could know in a certain way what was going on.
Treating us as in the Marines or
Rocky and I and Jerry Plotkin, because I told them they thought he was a Mossad agent, and they had us with him. They separated everybody who they thought were CIA and whatever.
oh, okay.
Yeah. So, the way we got food, the way we were treated, all kinds of stuff. And I remember um, I never got a, I never got any mail from my family ever. Everybody else got mail, but I never got mail from my family because there was an incident one time when they came around, they were talking to us and they said something to us, and they didn't know where we were. And I remember because they were always bringing the news people and whatever, and they said something. And I said, yeah, we all feel like mushrooms. And one of the Marines that used there before us knew exactly what we were talking about. Because down in the basement of the warehouse, underground, a couple of levels, some agency used to be down there. And now everything was gone, but we used it because it was nice and cool down there. And you go down these stairs like a hidden door, and you'd go down there, and we'd go down there, and they had a big screen on the wall, like a movie theater screen, and a projector down there, and that was about the only thing down there. So they'd bring movies in, so we go down and watch, and we had a refrigerator, kept our beer in there, and all that kind of stuff. So we call it the Mushroom Inn because it was dark and cold.
in the like a secret door down into the
Yeah, into
basement
the
of this
basement from the
building
warehouse. You walk around this door, and you'd walk around this little thing, and it was kind of like hidden. And then you'd push a cipher, and then you'd walk down into the
in the
couple.
embassy.
No, it wasn't in the embassy. It was on the embassy compound,
Okay.
but it was the warehouse.
The warehouse
Yeah,
embassy compound.
right.
So that's interesting. And you said that used to be
Some
used by
agency,
the
some agency, who knows?
yeah.
But I don't know. I could probably imagine because a lot of it on the floor on one whole end of it was up in the air on like stands where they might have kept like computers or who knows what. So who knows?
Interesting.
Yeah.
So you
So
said that you felt like mushrooms.
yeah. So I said, yeah, we felt like mushrooms, and they knew exactly because they didn't know where we were at that time. And what they had done is they moved us from the embassy into that place.
Okay.
And I remember why they did it because they kept moving it. They moved us one by one. They took us out and they threw us in the trunk of a car. And then they drove us around to the embassy or whatever. And then they drove over there and they pulled us out, backed us in, and then they took us downstairs.
Because they didn't want you to know where you
Right.
were.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So they took us down there. And then it wasn't until later that I found out that happened that the Marine said, I said, Sergeant Guy or Gallegos just told us that where they are. They're in the Mushroom Inn. And then I remember the Marines went to my mom's house and said something to her. They said, hey, your son said this. We know where they're at. He told them this about whatever. And then apparently that was a Newsweek.
It was in Newsweek
It was a Newsweek. They put it in Newsweek.
that you were
Said
at the
something that I
Mushroom
was,
Inn.
well, that I was able to get something out.
Yeah.
And then it got back to them, and I got pounded for like 3 days in a row. And I was like,
Really?
son of a gun. Yeah. So anyway, they moved us back to the embassy again after that, and they moved us back into the embassy. And it was funny. A lot of things are going on back here, all kinds of different things, the inception of Delta Force and all kinds of different things. Because I always thought, this is already 6 months later, whatever. I'm waiting. I'm going, where's the Marines? Because we already told something like that happened. Recon's coming to get you. And that's what they train for. Where are they? Every night I'd wait and I'd listen. I'd sit in the window, fucking window or a door, whatever I could hear, hear the wind coming in. At night, I'd sit there and listen, waiting for somebody to go, U.S. Marines. You know, never heard a thing. Never
So
heard a
you
thing.
were
Never
you were
heard a
hoping that
helicopter. Never heard anything. Yeah, we'd hear helicopters, but it was them flying over, not us.
yeah.
And because they were using Hueys and stuff at that time, and I'd hear a helicopter flying over, I go, oh my God, and I'd wait. I'd wait for a whisper or something, U.S. Marines, and he'd wait for something, or hear, back then our battle gear, you could hear our battle gear, not like now you can't hear, but back then you could hear that old battle gear you get clinking or whatever.
So you guys were hoping that you were going to get
Hoping something.
rescued.
Yeah. So after I remember a week went by, nothing. 2 weeks went by, a month finally went by, and I'm like, oh my god, they're not coming for us. Another month went by, they're not coming for us. So anyway, we're back at the embassy after they took us out of the Mushroom Inn, and we're up there for about a month or so. And I remember it's like about April, mid-April, about April
Of 1980?
of 1980. They have us up in this room, and they had those old big school desks, just Rocky, I, and Jerry. It's a small room, and there's one of those big old oak desks back in the old day. You know, like when I went to school, they had these oak desks. They were like 500 pounds. Well, all the drawers were gone. I took all the drawers out of them. So I'm looking back there, and for some reason, I just keep looking back there. One night, I don't know why I never paid attention. I reached back there, and I reached back in the corner, and I look, and I pull out, and there's a handful of rubber bands, thick, nice, long rubber bands. I go, cool. So I start linking them together. Pluck goes, what are you doing? I go, what do you think I'm doing? He goes, don't do that. You're going to get us in trouble. They're going to come here and pound us. You're going to get us in trouble. I go, whatever. So I link them together, all the rubber bands, and I fold them over, get a couple of pencils because they give you pencils and stuff, and if you want to write home or something. So I took the pencils, some pens, and I made a slingshot. So they used to give us, they used to come in that room and they'd give us vitamins. They were Geritol,
Geritol.
Geritol
The
tablets.
Iranians were giving them to you?
Yeah, but it was Americans used, everybody used them, but it was Geritol tablets. They were vitamins they used back here, and they'd give them out. But it was the kinds we would take. It was like over a certain age you would take them, and they were hard capsules. Now they're gel caps, I guess. But so anyway, they put them on gave them to us, and we just put them on tables. We didn't take them, they were for us, and they smell like iron. So Jerry would take them. Jerry Plugman, because he was like 50 then. I was
Okay.
50 years old. So great guy. But he he just put him in a pile. So I go, yeah, yeah. So it got dark. He's go, what are you gonna do with that? I mean, it's like, oh, you're gonna get us in trouble. And Rocky goes, that's cool. So that night they turned the lights off inside, and then the lights are out. And then there was a window in there, but there was a parapet that the U.S. Embassy put in place so they wouldn't sniper in. So it was a parapet in the middle. It was 1/4 inch steel all the way around, and then they had rocks and sand inside. So, but there was a window, and you could step out the window sill, and the window up on top opened out. So we had that window just sitting open. We could listen and stuff and get the cool air come in there. And so I pop up there at night when they turn the light. We waited about a couple hours. We got up there. It's probably like 11:30 at night or something like that.
You're not bound at this point. You're
No,
just okay.
we're just in the room sitting there at that time. And so we get up there and we pop up. We're looking up, and I grab a bunch of those capsules. I drop them into the parapet, and then I grab the slingshot. I look out, and all the staff vehicles are still parked out there behind us, behind the embassy. So I'm looking out behind the embassy, and then there's the building comes this way in an L shape. And we should go up there and look before that was happening. You could see one of the guards. He would come out and he'd walk out, and he'd step out from the shadows, and he'd look around. And he'd have his G3 rifle and a radio. He'd go back. So that night I popped up there, and I took one of those tablets. Bam! I let one go, and I hit one of the vehicles. It goes pink, 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 pink. He kind of looks out a little bit like that, and I take another one. I go, bing, and it goes pink, pink, and he walks out a little more, but he's like, look around. He don't really know what it is. Rocky goes, give me that. It's my turn. So he grabs it. Rocky he reaches in the parapet, and he takes back. He lets loose. Bam! He hits a window. Pop! Shatter! Window falls on the ground. He takes another one real quick. He goes, pop! Shatter! Another vehicle hits the ground. Guy comes out, got his rifle, and then he goes, Commando America E, Commando America E, saying American commandos, American commandos. He's yelling. All the lights in the compound go out. It was a firefight. Tracer rounds flying everywhere. They were shooting at each other. We're sitting there watching, ducking to make sure it didn't hit us. It went on for like 15 minutes.
They were shooting at each
At
other
each other.
because they thought that American
Right,
commandos, had
commandos were
arrived.
coming on the round because that guy's going, Commando America E.
And that's because of you guys.
Just because of Rocky.
Because of Rocky?
And it wasn't there years later. We were somewhere. I go, remember when we did that thing on the window? He goes, yeah. And I go, how'd you pop him with just those tablets? He goes, I didn't. When I reached in, I felt the rocks, and I shot rocks at him. I go, oh my god!
Wow.
So I was like, holy crap!
Did that ever get published on the news or anything?
No, no. But it's in somewhere. It's
boy.
written somewhere, a couple places. But
That's crazy.
But so I just remember that all finished, and we just jumped down on the floor, and we just had blankets. We're laying on our blanket. And they kicked the doors open. They have rifles looking at us, and we're going, gee, Chimigi, like, what's going on? What happened? And they just look at us, and they close the doors, and they leave. And I was like, holy smokes. And then 3 days later, they come and grab us upstairs and drag us down to the basement. They go, strip down. So we stripped down. And they used to tell strip all the time, but they always told you to leave your underwear on. So we stripped all the way down to our underwear, except for Rocky. strips right now. There was like the three of us, and there's like six or seven more people in the room lined up against the wall, hostages, and a couple Marines, and there was some mostly embassy staff,
Yeah.
and they have us up against this wall.
Did you know the embassy staff fairly
Yes,
well?
yeah, pretty
Were
much.
there were women there too,
There were
weren't there?
women there too, but there were no women when we saw them there. They only kept two women, and we never saw them.
Okay.
So they let a bunch of them go early. Let a bunch of people go early. A bunch of
Okay.
Marines and other staff, and so they said strip, so he stripped out, except for Rocky. Rocky strips all the way down to his birthday suit. They're going, nah, nah, Rocky Sickman, please don't put your underpants on, Rocky Sickman. And they got their pointing their guns. And in the back of the room, there's like 10 guys back there with rifles just standing there. And the other guys in front are tugging with rifles. They're going, put your under around Rocky Sickman. He says, all right. So Rocky turns around, spins around, bends over, gives him a full moon, bends over, grabs his under, puts him.
Oh my God. This dude was living life on the edge. He just didn't care at
We
this
didn't
point.
care. None of us cared at that time. I was already gone. We said, nobody's coming for us. They threaten to kill us all the time. What are they doing? Why we're still here? Who
They were
knows when it's
beating
gonna
you on a
happen?
regular basis?
Not at that time in the beginning. In the beginning, mostly, yeah. In the beginning, a lot. After, no. And a lot of people didn't get beat. Only certain people did. Only for whatever happened.
You being one of them.
Me, one of them, most of the time, because I fought back a lot. Most of my problem was you'd be blindfolded, they'd be taking you to the bathroom, and they'd like shove you into a wall, and I was like, that's it. Boom. I turn around, just start fighting, and 5, 10 guys would jump on you and beat you and drag you back, and then you're like done. So yeah. So I caused that a lot of myself, but I learned quick that when you got 5 or 6 guys pounding on you and you're done and you can't move and you're pissing blood for 2 months, it's not really beneficial to
No.
me or anybody else.
Yeah.
So
So anyway, Rocky's putting his underwear
so he
back
puts his
on.
underwear on, he stands there, and this guy comes out with a metal detector, but it's not a regular metal detector. It's an old Vietnam era minesweeper. Got a backpack on. It's the big round thing on the front. And he's going over our clothes.
Hmm.
I go, what the heck? And then I look over in the middle of the room, and there's 2 boxes, and there's our shoes, and they have all the heels pop off them. And then all our watches and stuff they had, they're all taken apart, and they're just laying there on the ground. And then the guy, he's got this little guy with him, walking with him, and he's got this book. And he passes me, and I look and I see it, and I go, what the heck? And I notice it right away. I'd seen it before. And then he goes back and he comes back, and I go, Rocky, he goes, yeah. So it was like one of those books, a James Bond book with all the gadgets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
with
they
the
thought you guys
pictures.
had like guns in your shoes or something
Yeah,
crazy?
guns or devices, listening devices, or I don't know what, or watch issues. Yeah, so they were checking all that stuff out. Then they were going over our regular clothes because I don't know if information was getting out somewhere or things were going, or who knows what was going on, because then they did that. So go dress, get dressed. So at this time, we're wearing handcuffs. I didn't tell you about my first escape attempt.
So you had what month did you try to
So
escape?
that's right, very early. So probably December. December.
Okay, so about a month after you
Yeah.
first got captured.
Yeah. They were taking us back and forth to the embassy one by one, taking us to rooms. Whose office is this? How do you open that safe? How you, and they've already rifled me. You can see what's going on. Blindfolded in and out, take you in, then they take it on. What's this? Who's that? Whatever, whatever. They already knew everything because somebody had already gave them all the information, told them who CIA guys were, told them all that stuff. We always told them there's no CIA here. I always told them they never got anything out of us. Never. And but one person did, military person. And it wasn't a Marine. Wasn't a Marine. Wasn't Air Force. Wasn't Navy. That's all I'm saying.
Gotcha.
And
And that person gave them information?
gave me information. Matter of fact, it wasn't until later when I found out where Rocky and I were treated different, and Jerry Plotkin. This guy, there's an interview. It's in the internet. It shows him, and it shows the interviews that the Iranians were they were interviewing this guy, interrogating him, and he kept telling them he was a Marine, and then he told them there are Marines here that work for the CIA, and he gave
Oh.
up 4 of our names.
So he lied
Lied.
and said that some of the Marines were
We're
working for the CIA.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Putting people's lives at risk.
correct. He did that.
That's
And
crazy.
we only knew that because later, and at different times, and I mean, go on, but at different time, I remember when we were in captivity at the embassy, one time they took us and they were taking us through the rooms, and they took us somewhere and bring us back to our room. And they stopped and they opened the door to his room and they pushed us in. And we knew that wasn't our room because we count the steps, we know which way we turn. And they opened the room and they pulled off our blindfold. We actually had hoods on at that time, pull our hoods off. And that guy is sitting in there in a recliner chair with a TV, and he's got on the little shelf next to him potato chips, bread, peanut butter jars, jelly jars. He looks at us and he goes, then they grab us and pull us back and close the door, put our hoods on, take us back to our room.
So they just showed you how he was
Yes,
living,
yes,
maybe to be like, hey, look, if
yeah.
you tell us
Because
stuff,
they
like,
always try to do that, and we just no. We said we don't know anything,
yeah,
and they go, "Well, what do you do?" I says, "I only open doors and change light bulbs."
you said
That's
you
all I
open doors and change light
Yeah,
bulbs.
because sometimes people come in, you'd open the door for them, like dignitaries, you'd have to go there and open the door for them or something, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I said,
Technically, you're
"Yeah,
telling the truth.
yeah." So I'm telling the truth,
Yeah.
and I got to tell you, we knew a lot of stuff, and I'll tell you how we knew a lot of stuff. So you know what burn bags are, right? So in an
Kind
embassy, they
of.
put all the classified material that they want to destroy into a burn bag.
Okay.
Well, it probably should have been shredded before they put it in the burn bag. But you get a lot of guys get lazy and they put tons of thick documents in these burn bags. So at night you'd pick them up and then you'd take them down in the basement to a huge shredder and you'd shred them and then you'd burn them
Okay. In the basement.
in the basement. Well, we never burned them because the burner didn't work.
Oh no.
They were somebody's supposed to come and fix it. So there was a whole one side of this building just full of shredded material, and they were thick shredded, the old style. So we're waiting for do it. So, you know, when they came, they had all that information. We didn't do it. We didn't get to do it. We didn't get to shred any of that. So when we'd go down there at night to shred stuff, we'd be sitting there going, you'd be reading stuff. There was actually eyes only stuff, which should have been destroyed and burned right there and done. You'd see eyes only stuff. You go, Rocky, this is like James Bond eyes only stuff, which is true. And
Oh
you go out and
wow.
we go, oh wow. So we knew stuff we weren't supposed to know.
Yeah.
So we'd be shredding these documents, reading stuff, looking at, going, oh yeah, look at this, look at that. So that was kind of funny.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, I don't think it happens anymore, but
I hope not.
no.
I mean, there was like, so I talked to a couple guys last year during the anniversary of the evacuation of Saigon.
Yeah.
Some guys that worked at the embassy there. And they didn't specifically take part in it, but I remember watching a documentary about when they were burning all of the
Mhm.
classified materials, and they basically, well, and they also burned a lot of money too before they
Right,
left. Like
right.
they locked a couple Marines, I
Yeah,
think, in a room, and they're like, "Don't leave this room until you've burned all this."
right.
I guess the shredders there must have worked, or the burners must have
Yeah,
worked, but that's crazy that
yeah,
such a hot spot,
yeah.
they didn't have somebody
No,
come like repair it.
yeah, somebody's supposed to come and repair it, and they never showed up, or they were waiting for them to show up, and they never did. Which reminds you, so after we get taken, they took the embassy, the communication room.
Yeah.
You know, they had the communication room. There was a Marine in there with the guys that went in there, and they were in there shredding all kinds of stuff,
Yeah.
and I have a photo of that to my phone, but they were shredding stuff and they were destroying all the encrypted gear and and all that stuff
The
and
radios
destroying
and
the
everything.
radios and destroying everything, and and then they they had burn barrels, but the burn barrels weren't for the shredded material. It was for all the encrypted, you know, whatever they call them, the tubes and all the different kind of electronic stuff. They'd throw it in there, that acid, and they'd pull the tabs and it would melt them all so they couldn't be used.
Okay.
So that's what that was for. So they had a ton of shredded material up in that communications vault, which is basically, run by the CIA at the time. And I mean, there was communication gear all over the walls, everything, and
Yeah, they captured a lot of
they got
stuff.
all kinds of stuff in that room. And they trying to get in that room. The guys inside didn't open the room. They destroyed everything they could before they were actually. I have a photo where they have a weld and they're trying to get into it. It took them 14 hours. They still never got into it. The guys finally opened the door and came out.
After they destroyed everything they could.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Lucky.
Great guys. And there was one Marine in there with them.
There
So
was
yeah.
one
Yeah.
Marine in there, and
Yeah.
then was the other guy
And
CIA
the other
or
guys were all communication guys working for whoever. Yeah.
yeah, working for whoever. Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. So whatever. But I mean, we had access to that too if we ever had to. Like if something happened and we were stuck in the embassy and they couldn't get any of the embassy staff in or whoever ran that room, we actually could get into our safe and open the vault, get in there, open the vault, and then do whatever we had to do to destroy everything if that was necessary or
Yeah.
get communications or whatever kind of thing. But yeah, but anyway, they were doing that at that time and they got a bunch of information. I remember I have a photo of actually a document that I found on the internet that the Iranians had, and it's a secret document talking about some sources or people that they had that were Iraqi or that were in Iraq coming into Iran to do some stuff or something like that.
Oh
It was
wow.
kind of interesting. They got all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the like Iran and Iraq
Yeah,
had that war,
right.
which a lot of people
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know a lot about.
No,
So I imagine there was, the Americans probably were trying to capitalize on the animosity that was shared between the two nations, since one was
absolutely.
primarily Sunni and the other was
Yeah,
primarily Shia.
yeah.
I think Iraq at the time was primarily Sunni,
Correct.
and I think that Iran was primarily Shia. But
Correct.
So yeah, I want to talk. You said you had an escape attempt.
Yeah. So anyway, they were taking us back and forth to the embassy, and then they keep taking me back to this room with a bunch of other guys that I kept sitting in,
Yeah.
and they take us one more time back and forth. So one night they brought me back, and they didn't put me. I counted my steps, and they put us in these we were in these little cottages that are on the compound. So I was in the first cottage with the other hostages, and then one night they took me out, and I'm counting my steps, and I made a quick right, like where I'm supposed to make my left and go into the cottage. They kept walking me, and then they took me into like the second cottage, and they opened the door, and then they turned me, and they opened the door as soon as you walk in, and they shoved me in. So I'm standing there going, "What's going on?" So I pull off my hood. I'm looking around, and there's carpet on the or rugs on the floor. There's a tin on the floor with some bread and some dates and stuff like that. So I walk around. I look out the window. I don't see anything not out there. I walk around the other one. I walk and there's a bed in there still. Wherever we went, they always took everything out. And then I'm between the bed and the window, and I'm looking out, and I go, "What the heck is going on?" So I walk back over. And then I hear something down the hall, and I go, "Oh crap!" So I run around, and I get between the window and the bed, and I duck down. I just kind of sit there like this. Door opens, and a bunch of females come in, and they look over at me, and they go, "Salam alaikum." I go, "Salam, salam." And they sat down, and they kind of didn't look at me. They just because they're not going to look at me, pay attention to me.
Iranian
Iranian
women.
female, yes, in full chador. So they sit down on the floor, and they start eating some dates and stuff, and they brought some drinks in with them, some tea and stuff, and they were sitting there eating.
And what were you in that room for?
I have no idea. I'm still not figuring it out. So
They're like, here, let's put him in a room with a bunch of women. That doesn't
yeah.
make any
No,
sense.
but I don't think they knew I was coming. I don't know what they were doing. And
There
I don't
was a
think because of
miscommunication
the
on their
women
part.
talked to me because they thought I was one of them. Dark
Really?
hair, dark whatever, and they thought I was one of them, and they talked to me like I was one of them, and I was over there between the wall, and I was just hiding back there looking, and they had no idea. So they just sat and they ate some bread and dates and stuff and drank the tea, and then they got up and left. I was like, "That was weird."
Yeah, I would say that's the weirdest.
Yeah.
Like, that's a weird
So it's like a
situation.
bunch of sheets, dark sheets and stuff in the corner. I go, "What the hell?" So I go over and I grab one and I throw it on and I pull it over and I open the door and I look down the hall and you could hear the TV going on and Iranians talking back there and stuff. And I go, "What the heck's going on?" So I walk out, I open the front door and I walk out and I start going down towards the front gate where you come in and out. And there's all kinds of lights and stuff all over the place, and guys milling and walking around. And I start walking towards the front gate. And nobody ever asked me this. I had to tell it myself. Nobody ever asked, "Did you ever do this? Did you ever do that?" No, I had to tell it. And I go tell my talks and stuff like that. So I start walking towards the front gate, and this guy looks at me. He's got a G3. And he's looking at me, and he's a Pasteron, and he's looking at me. And I go, "What the heck?" And he stops, and he starts to look at me, and he goes, and I'm trying not to look at him. I'm trying to act like I'm, whatever, because like a female covered.
Yeah.
But I got camouflage pants on and no shoes.
Oh yeah. There's no way. Yeah.
I'm not covered all the way. So he looks at me, and next thing I hear something behind me. I can hear something up behind me, and then bam, back of the head again.
Oh,
I'm out. So I get taken back, and I get put in the room by myself, a different room, and this time I've got handcuffs on.
oh, okay.
Before they were just tying our hands with rope and stuff or cloth, and I said I had cloth on. They tied me with some cloth, and then shortly after that, I just remember they came in, and it was I'm getting a little ahead of myself. It was the Red Cross, people from the Red Cross. They were speaking French to the Iranians, were speaking French to them. They were in suits and they had the Red Cross bands on. And they want to take pictures. And then one tried to talk to me and he goes, "Don't to speak, don't to speak." And I said, "Whatever, I'm talking." I was tired of thing. And then they left. And then shortly after, I was like, that night, they came in and they put handcuffs on us. It wasn't because of me escaping. It was because of a guy named Malcolm Kelp, former Green Beret, working for one of the agencies, but was at the embassy. And I think he escaped like several times. And the last time he got pretty far, and they captured him, brought him back.
Oh,
And
he
then,
got out,
oh yeah,
and then they brought him
brought
back.
him back. And then and that's the story that I've been told. And
Yeah,
great guy. And and then they brought handcuffs and put us all in handcuffs.
because of him.
I think so because of him. Yes.
He probably got beat pretty bad
Oh
when he
yeah, yeah,
got back.
yeah.
Jesus. So let's see, you spent. Well, let's see. You were in the embassy compound. You said up until April. Is that correct?
So about April. So I told you about them shooting up. We caused them to shoot, break the windows and stuff. So like three
Yeah.
days later, they dragged us in the basement. They got us. They told us to get dressed.
Yeah.
So we get dressed. They come and they put our handcuffs back on us, and then they turn the lights on, and then the guys in the back stand and face us with their rifles, and then they go in Farsi, "Ready, aim, fire," and all you hear is click, 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 click.
So they lined you up, and you thought you were probably getting ready to just get put
Yeah.
down.
Well, they put us mock firing squad.
Jesus.
And we're going, I said, oh my God. I just stood there. Jerry Pluckins on this side, Rocky's on this side. And we're just like, oh shit, nothing we can do.
This is it.
Yeah. So then they come over and they put our hoods back on us and whoever blindfold, they put our blindfolds on us and they did it again. This time they made it sound like they were racking around and they put it, and they did it one more time. I go, my God, this is it. This is going to happen. And they did it again, went through the whole thing and it click,
Oh
click,
my
click. And then nothing
God.
happened. I was like, thank God. And then they swept us away, took us upstairs in our room. We were up there for probably half hour. They drug us back downstairs, threw us into a van, unhooked us, put our arms together, put our handcuffs back in there, threw a blanket over us in this van. And I remember I'm covered up, and then I could hear Thomas Ahern, former CIA guy, and he goes, "Who is that?" I go, "It's Billy." And he goes, Billy. He says, "Can you get us out of here?" I says, "Dude, they got me tied up so bad right now and hooked up to these other Rocky and another guy right now." And I said, "They got our feet tied up and everything right now." And he goes, "Damn it." And then the van took off. And
Jesus. So you had just thought you were gonna be killed,
yeah,
essentially. Like, they lined you up. They did it to you twice.
right.
What was going through your head when that was happening? Like,
That was for sure. We're finally gonna kill us.
this is it.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, they always pointed guns at us all the time. They always had guns on our faces. Always, there was one incident where when they first took us down in that basement in the mushroom inn, they
Yeah.
took me down the back stairs. I remember that. And they took me down the back stairs and they pushed me up against the wall. And then I remember I was leaning against the wall and I was like, oh my God, it's so nice and cool. It felt so cool. And then all of a sudden I smelt gunpowder. Like they'd been shooting a gun down there. I go, oh crap. And then I heard a gunshot, bam! And so back of my head, and I was like, I just felt this weird like vibration in the front of my head, and I was just like out. I was like, I couldn't see anything. I don't know what was going on. And then I remember I opened my eyes, and I was laying on the floor, and there was a bunch of guys in this room where they'd been in that underneath in the warehouse, and they're all looking at me and go, "It's okay, everything's okay, everything's okay." And I got up and I had a pillow for some reason. They brought a pillow with me.
Who shot the weapon?
I have no idea.
But
It
somebody
was an
shot.
Iranian. They shot it, making me think I was getting shot or something, and then they cracked me in the back of the head.
Jesus
So I thought I got shot.
Christ.
I thought I got shot. So that was the first time. So anyway, I'll tell you what they did. They drove us off, and we drove for days, and they stopped. And then at one point, they dropped us. They stopped, and they took Ahern out of the car.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
The guy, the
yeah,
CIA
the
guy.
CIA guy. They took him out of the car, and then they drove us, and we drove for like 2 days.
2 days.
They wouldn't let us stop for the bathroom, give us not drink. We had piss ourselves and everything because they wouldn't let us. So we're like, holy smokes.
Wow.
And some other stuff happened between then. It take forever to talk about, but I just remember why that all happened. That was the next night, that Delta Force had attempted the raid.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
yeah,
That's the night where they
yeah.
landed.
April 20th, April 21st, something like that. Yeah, of
Wow.
1980.
Which,
They had landed and everything went wrong, and they had to leave, and then they found out they were there,
yeah,
and they went over there, and that next night they went and grabbed us, and did that to us, and then moved us.
what's interesting is Mike Vining explained that
Yeah,
to me. And so that happened, and they moved you guys a few days or a couple days after that took
correct.
place. Wow.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
crazy.
and it's
This is all happening in different places. So you're going
yeah,
through these experiences,
yeah,
and all these other folks that were Americans were in the country while you guys were
right.
experiencing this stuff. Man, that is insane.
Well, it's kind of funny because I think that's the first time thought we were in the Mushroom Inn
Okay.
because I'd said that and they got back and they were ready like to go there another place and the embassy to itself, but they thought we were in the Mushroom Inn. But for some reason, they had just moved us like right after whatever everything happened. They found out that was down the Mushroom Inn or whatever. They moved us back to the embassy, but they didn't know they moved us back to the embassy. It was funny. Somebody's on a plane and the old Marine, the old Marine cook in the Marine house at the apartments where we had Hadait, a Pakistani guy, crazy son of a, but
The
the
Pakistani cook?
Pakistani cook, crazy son of a gun. And we paid him. The way we paid him was a carton of cigarettes, Marlboro cigarettes. That's all he wanted. Carton of Marlboro cigarettes and a half gallon of J&B whiskey. And
That's what you paid him.
yeah, and he'd take it out. And he probably because there was no booze in the country. He probably took it and sold that for $2,000-3,000. Who knows? And the carton of
Oh,
cigarette, he could sell a cigarette there for like $3, just a regular cigarette back then, Marlboro.
wow.
Yeah, and we only paid like $3 for 3-4 bucks for a case of cigarettes and
Because
like
you had like a
$3.
commissary?
Yeah, we had a commissary. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
We were the only embassy in the compound that had booze. The Canadians used to come and come over and bring old hockey films to watch down in the mushroom inn with us. We take them down there with us to watch hockey films, and they drink our beer and get drunk, and we take them back home. Yeah.
That's funny. You know, the Canadians really deserve props
Oh
for
yeah,
what
yeah.
they did for us there, man. Like that's one of the things a lot of
They
people.
never got it, but they deserve it.
Yeah, they definitely deserve props for that because, like, I mean, and like you were talking about earlier, that movie Argo
Yeah,
captured that whole situation
yeah,
with the agency, staging a fake film
yeah.
organization coming into the country to film
Right.
a sci-fi film,
Yeah.
and the Canadian ambassador and the Canadian embassy they risked a lot to hide the. I think it was six
Right.
individuals.
6.
Yeah, the Canadian
Yeah. They
six.
all worked in the consulate.
Yeah, and they hid them out for a period of time
Right.
to get them out of the country. Did you guys ever hear about that when you were
So
there?
so well, not really, not really. We had no idea what was going on with them,
Yeah.
and well, in a way, I didn't hear it. We didn't hear it till later on. So later on, we had a tap code, and Malcolm Kelp gave us that tap code. It's nothing
Okay.
he learned, whatever. It was in a book by I want to say it was Alexander Dolgan Solinsky. It was a guy that was in the it's been so long. He was in the gulags in Russia, and they were passing around books for us to read, and it was in there, and that was the tap code he used when he was in the gulags.
Wow.
And then Malcolm Kelp said, "Take this letter, move it here, and take this number, move it here." And we passed a little note saying tap, so we had to memorize it. We memorized that, and we tap code.
So you guys were able to memorize that to
Yeah,
communicate. Where did they so after the failed attempt to rescue you guys from uh the Delta Force group of folks and everything, and you were moved with a van for two
yeah,
days, and you basically stayed in the van. They wouldn't let
right.
you out at all. Where did they take you
They
guys?
took us. They moved us to Shiraz.
Shiraz? Wow.
That's way down there,
Yeah, it's a
near the Persian Gulf,
yeah.
not far.
So they took you to Shiraz, and was there like an actual prison there or anything?
No, it was a old building, like maybe one of the Shah's family. It was a beautiful old compound building, and they took us and they stuck us in our room there. Oh,
Okay.
wait. Go ahead of myself. They took us to a building. They put us in this building. We were in a back room, and what happened was one night we're sitting there, and they come in and says, "We don't have any food. You have to cook your own food." And Rocky goes, I don't really know how to cook. Like I said, I don't eat it. I said, well, I'll cook. Take me kitchen. They took me to the kitchen. I'm looking in the cabinets. All I could find was some old spaghetti noodles, a couple of cans of clams that were puffed up, and I said, we're not eating those.
Mm.
And then some tomato sauce. I said, well, I'll just cook that and make it for us. So I start putting stuff on the stove, getting ready to cook it, and then all of a sudden the doors open up, and Pastaran come in, sharp-looking dudes in uniform, trim beards, hair trimmed, looking sharp, tough-looking guys. Like 4 of them pop the door open first, come and grab me, and they come and turn off the stove, and they grab me by my arms. And then an Ayatollah walks in. The Ayatollah Khalkhali.
The Ayatollah walked in
Khalkhali. Not Ayatollah Khomeini, Ayatollah Khalkhali. They call him the hanging judge. He was in charge of all the criminal courts and of the military drug
before
courts.
before the
After,
overthrow?
after
Oh,
the overthrow.
after. So he
Yeah,
took
Khomeini
over.
put him in charge.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he walks in, little guy. So he walks in, and he walks straight up to me, and there are like 4 more guys behind him. And then the guards that are with us already come into the room, and there's like carpets on the floor and stuff where they come in, they sit and eat and stuff like that. He walks straight into the room, walks over to me, puts his hand out to shake it, and the other guys are holding me. And he says something, they let it go, and so I go, okay. So I shake his hand. He pulls me down, and he gives me that kiss on both sides of the cheeks. Was a great sign of respect. They just don't do that to everybody. So
He
so
pulled you to
So he
him?
pulled me to him and he gave me that little touch on the cheek on both sides and then let go. And he said, please sit down. And they're interpreting for me.
Yeah.
He said, sit down. So I sat down. I got a guard here. And he's sitting over there and they're interpreting. And he starts to tell a story about how he was put in charge of the military and the drug courts. And they called him the hanging judge because everyone went through drug. We hung him. So I figured, and I knew he was using the paper all the time. You see him on the news. I go, oh my gosh, it's Ayatollah Khali. And I go, shoot, they're going to hang us. They're here
That's
to
gotta
hang
be
us.
the craziest.
Yeah.
What was going through your head when this is all
I thought they
happening?
were going to hang us.
You're like, we're
We're dead.
cooked.
Yeah, we're gonna hang us. And Rocky and guy in the other room, I go, what the? No, he sits down and he starts to tell a story how they put him in charge of the military and drug courts. So he starts to tell me about the military experience. He says, I decide it's time for me to go to the military. So he says, I get in my car, I drive up to the first base. He goes, I got my flags on the car, which over there, did no flag. They still do it in Europe. The flags on the cars, like they're diplomats or whatever, tells what they are. He goes, we drive up and he says, no one salutes me. No respect. So he says the pastoran had to say something, and they open up and let him in. He says those guys that let him in, their uniforms are they're wearing half a uniform. Their boots weren't shined. Their beards weren't trimmed. Their hair wasn't cut. They didn't look clean. He said same thing where he drove all around. He says he went to another military base, same thing happened. Went to another military, same thing happened. Went to another military base, same thing happened. So he said he went back to Tehran. He got 30 of his commanders together and said, "This is going to happen. You have 90 days." He says, "You need to get everybody cleaned up and looking just like military and trim their beards and clean their uniforms and shine their boots and all that kind of stuff." So 90 days go by. He goes back and he checks them again. He goes, "Okay, but not what I said. Okay, not what I different bases." He says he goes back to Tehran. He brings back the 30 commanders and 200 troops, has them all shot. That's what he said.
He's telling you this
Yeah,
story.
they say it's a true story. And so he tells me that story at the time. And then he says, "I had them all shot." And he says, "I never had a problem again." He goes, and they're interpreting. He says, "But he says it never happened again, but they never looked like Marines." That's exactly what he said. U.S. Marines,
Wow.
said U.S. Marines, but they never ever looked like U.S. Marines. So he gets up to leave, and they grab me again, and he walks over to me, and he puts his hand shaking, he pulls me down again, touches my cheek on both sides, and walks back. I'm going, "Okay, what's is this?" And I stand there, and he goes like that, and he pushes the guy away. He comes up, and he's just a little guy. He reaches up, and he's reaching up, walking toward me, and he's got 245s under that little outfit, they wear with that little cape looking thing. I
Yeah.
see 245s. I'm going, "Holy shoot." And he comes up and he puts his arm around me like this. And he goes, "This is a U.S. Marine. If you fall asleep on duty, he will kill 100 of you." That's exactly what he said.
Wow. So he had an immense amount of respect for the US
Absolutely.
Marines.
Absolutely. And then turned around, saluted me, walked out the door and left. And all
He
the other guards
saluted
in there,
you.
yeah, he saluted me as he walked out the door.
It's gotta be the weirdest.
It was the weirdest.
That's
I'm
gotta be
like,
the
"What,
weirdest thing,
guys? What
man.
the heck is going on?" It was just so much thing going through our minds and different things they did to us. And then you get respect by like the top leaders, and then you got to deal with the bozos again. But
That's so
so
crazy.
we're there one more night. We're there at night, and then next thing I know, we heard this explosion, and the whole house shook. Well, let me tell you. So when I was in the kitchen, when I went to cook, I looked and there was a phone, and the receiver was off, and they took the cord out. But I'm looking on the wall, and there was a list of numbers, and it was all in English, and one of them said U.S. consulate. So I don't know if we were in somebody's house from you worked for the U.S. before or something. I have no idea. I
In
don't know. Yeah,
Shiraz.
in
And there was a
Shiraz.
bunch of like
Yeah,
English.
yeah, English, but then it said U.S. consulate on one of the numbers on the
Yeah.
wall. So we go back to the room, the whole house shakes, explosion, and they come popping in the room and they grab us, pull us out, put us in a van, and drive us away for about 3 hours. And they stick us in this compound because we're kind of looking now because but they didn't tighten us up good. So we're looking under the paper on them, and you can see this compound. It's a beautiful, big, like beautiful home and a big compound. They take us up and stick us in a room.
And this is 2 hours away from that other
Yeah, from
building
the
in
other place.
Shiraz.
Right.
Do you think you were still in Shiraz
Oh
at the
yeah,
time?
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. So one night Rocky and I decide to talk to each other. Plotkin goes to sleep. Rocky and I said, "We got to escape from here because we could look out the window. There was no glass on the windows. There were just shutters and like a screen." I said, "We look out there every night and watch, and the guard would come by about the same time, and he'd just keep walking, and he wouldn't come by for like another hour or so." I said, "We had two choices. We could jump out the window, jump over that wall, and then just keep going, or we could jump on him, take his weapon, tie him up, and then go and have a weapon." So we decided we're going to take him out, take a weapon, and go. And Jerry Plotkin's asleep, and he's an old guy because we're talking about this. I don't know if we're going to be able to take him, or he's going to make it jumping over the wall or whatever. But
Yeah.
so he wakes up the next morning. He goes, "You sons of son of," I said, "I heard you talking about escaping, and you're not leaving me here." I said, "All right, but you're going to have to make it over that wall. We'll help you, but if you don't make it, we're leaving you." He says, "I'll make it." So the next morning he gets up and he starts jumping. We said we're going to leave in 3 days. So next morning he gets up and he's doing push-ups and he's running in place.
Oh
He
my
goes, "Dude,
God.
it's gonna take longer." He was a great guy. At first, he was kind of different, but then he started becoming a Marine with Rocky and I. Because Rocky and I used to do 300 sit-ups every day and 300 push-ups every day.
While you were in
Well, in
detention.
detention, yeah, yeah.
Oh wow.
And one day we did 1,000 sit-ups and never did it again because we had blisters on our butt bone back there, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the push-ups. Oh my God, that hurt so bad. I didn't make it to 1,000, but we were close.
So you're trying to stay in
Just
some
stay in
kind
some
of
kind of
shape.
shape. Yeah, stay in some kind of shape. Yeah. So, um, So anyway, we decided we're gonna do in 3 days. Well, that night when he's doing the push-ups, it got dark, and then we hear thunder. I go, "Rocky, thunder." In the background, you could hear it in the background, like, "Dum, dum, dum, dum." "Dude, we leave tonight. If it's gonna rain, we can make it through that desert. It's gonna be raining." I said, "It'll be," he said, "All right, we're gonna do it." So you hear like thunder again. So Rocky walks over and he opens the shutter. He looks out and he's sitting there. Door opens. Guard walks in, sits by Rocky, and they're both looking out. And Rocky looks at him and he goes, "Gee, Miggy, gee, like what's going on? What?" Guy jumps up and walks out. Rocky says, "Come." I run over to the window and there's not a cloud in the sky and it's dark and you look in the back and you can just see like little light in the background, and you look back there and way back there you just see, you hear thunder and then you see artillery. That's how close the Iraqis were. It was artillery. It didn't take them long. It wasn't even 10 minutes. They came up and grabbed us, didn't even blindfold us, skipped our handcuffs, boom, put us in the van and drove us back to Tehran.
So that was not thunder.
It
That
wasn't
was
thunder. It
artillery.
was artillery from the Iraqi artillery.
Really?
Yep.
Was it? When was the Iraq-Iran war? Was that 1980?
It was 1980. It started like 1979 through 1980. Yeah.
Okay, so that was right during that time. So you guys were seeing like the
Yeah,
artillery
yeah.
impacts.
So we're thinking that night we got moved, it might have been somebody shot something in the Shiraz and hit a billet close to us or something. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so they took you back to Tehran from there.
So they took us back to Tehran. A couple days, drove there, same thing, wouldn't let us out of the car, nothing like that. So we finally get Tehran. They put us back in the embassy in a little room,
Oh, so they brought you back to the
to
embassy.
the embassy, and they stick
Okay.
us in a little room. So Rocky and I get up in the morning and we're doing our push-ups, and then we get up and we're doing a little box, and they open the door and he goes, "Oh, you like to wrestle?" I go, "Yeah, I don't wrestle." Rocky goes, "I like to wrestle." He goes, "Oh, very nice. You like to wrestle. Oh, good." And I go, "Oh."
Oh God, here we
Plotkin, yeah,
go.
Plotkin goes, "Oh my God, what did you just say?" And he goes, I says, "I thought you was talking about arm wrestling." Rocky said, "Arm wrestling."
Oh my God.
I go, "He did not. He did say arm wrestling." He goes, "That's what I thought he was saying." So the next morning, we get up, and it was right after breakfast. They brought some bread and some dates, and some tea. I got to tell you, that tea there is awesome.
The Iranian
Iranian
tea.
tea. I've tried to get it here a couple of times to make it, and I have a neighbor and all that stuff, but it doesn't taste the same. But the Iranian tea was really good. So anyway, the door opens. The guy walks in. He goes, "Oh, you like to wrestle?" He says, and he opens it. He says, goes like that, and he comes in. But a bunch of other guys walk in first, and then this guy walks in, and he's like a huge Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he's like 6 foot tall Iranian, and he's got a tank top on and sweatpants. And he walks up to him and he goes, "This is Mahmoud. He's our Olympic wrestler." Because they didn't go to the Olympics that year. So he goes, "This is Mahmoud. He is our Olympic wrestler." And I go,
Oh my God.
so he says, he stands there and he looks and he says, "You would like to wrestle?" And I go, "Nope, nope." Rocky
Nope.
goes,
I'm
Rocky goes,
good.
"Oh, Rocky goes, all right." I go, "Rocky," I said, "Just start with him and we'll finish him. Just do it. You can." Rocky's a pretty strong guy. He's a good, strong Marine.
Yeah.
So Rocky goes, "All right." So he goes to pull off his sweatshirt. And as he's doing that, the guy lunges at him. And Rocky turns. It's a small room and they fall onto the floor in the corner of the room. And they just stay there. And Rocky's on top. And then Rocky backs off and he goes, "Oh, I hurt my wrist. I hurt my wrist." And he's like this. And then the guy's still there. And they go over and they pick up their guy. He's conscious, but he gets up and he's like, "Oh, his arm funny." They take him and they walk him out of the room.
So nothing like they didn't even really wrestle. He like
No, because there's our blankets are on the floor. We're laying and they tripped on the blankets.
oh Jesus. It just
So
totally
they
went
leave.
went
Yeah,
wrong.
went wrong. So they walk out. We're going, "Oh my God." Plotkin goes, "They're going to kill us. They're going to come back and kill us. They're going to beat us to death." Nothing happened that night. Nothing going on. Next morning, they come in. You could hear them coming down the hall again. They open the door. A bunch of guys come in again. And then Mahmoud walks in and he's got this arm in a sling,
Oh no.
dislocated his shoulder or something. Got this arm in a sling and he walks up to Rocky and goes to shake his hand. And he drops his head like that. Rocky shakes his hand and they all turn around with their heads down and walk out the door.
And that was it.
That was it. Then they came and got us that night and they took us to the prison.
Oh man.
Took us to a prison.
And what prison was it?
Komite prison.
Which one?
Komite or Evin prison. Evin.
Okay, Komite prison.
There's two. We call it, they got Komite and then they have Evin prison. They took us to Evin prison.
What's the name of the most notorious
Evin.
It is Evin. So that's the one that you guys went to. And that's where they're known for holding like
That's where they
political
just
prisoners.
blew the doors off it when they were bombing, when they
Oh.
bombed Iran.
Oh my God. So you guys were there.
Yeah.
And how long did you have to spend in that prison?
So we were there, I want to say like about, I want to say it was May, April, May, end of May through October of 1980.
May through October of that
1980.
year.
Yeah.
And what was that
I'll
like?
tell you what it was like. We got there that night and we got settled in. They took us up in the room and they put us with a bunch of other guys. There's like six of us in the room all together. Alan Goldsensey was with us. Richard Moorfield, he was the consulate general. And I want to say it was Dwayne Gillette. And then we got a couple guys switches out a couple times, but we were there, and I remember getting right over there, and then all of a sudden we heard a bunch of screaming going on, and crying and screaming and yelling and torturing going on. We go, oh crap, that's why we're here. It went on all night long, all the next morning, and I'm going, when we're next one, they're coming to get us, and we're just sitting, and then we started listening more, and we're listening more, and it was all in Farsi, and even the guys that were screaming crap was Farsi, so they were torturing Iranians.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
They were probably torturing people that worked with the Americans.
or whoever, or when what that prison is where they take you when you disobey the laws of Khomeini and Islam.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's where they took all those people, and you just heard that going on, and you were like, oh my god, and it was they were actually torturing Iranians, but we had to listen to that. It was not nice.
That's that's got to be very weird
Yes,
because I imagine you probably anticipated it being some Americans that were being
yeah,
tortured at the time,
right,
but it was Iranians.
right. I still wake up sometimes and listen hearing it.
Really?
Oh yeah, certain things outside, like if the kids are out there playing early in the morning or something, come out. I hear it and I wake up. I wake up going, oh, I have to look around, make sure I'm at. I always have to have my wife. You can ask my wife. She'd tell you. I sometimes I wake up. She's looking at me going, "Oh, where are you?"
Yeah.
But and then she says a lot of times at night. She goes, "I go through a lot. Sometimes I don't remember, but I remember a lot of stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. So did you were there for you said May until October,
right.
so
May
that's
through October.
June, July, August, September, October. So about
So
5 months there
yeah.
almost.
So yeah. So let me. So it's about 5 months. I'll tell you one thing. While we were in the prison,
Yeah.
they never bothered us in there. They left us alone.
Really?
Yeah, they
They
left
didn't
the.
beat you, they didn't torture
No,
you?
didn't even really talk to us. Never really gave them nothing. They'd come in. Sometimes they had one guy. We came in. We called him Green Jacket because I was a green jacket on. He was an intel guy, of course. He'd come and ask questions. I was talking, see if he could ask. They always tried to. They always tried to convert us to Islam. They always
Okay.
wanted to convert us to Islam. Tried talks about that. But Rocky and I were very devout Catholics, and so the
Yeah.
other guys too, Christians. And we were like, no, we just talked to them. We were very nice and talk about religion to this guy and whatever and that kind of stuff. But never really talked politics. We were in complete isolation. We had no idea what was going on outside. They never told us anything that was going on outside.
So you could just hear people being tortured?
Yeah.
That the entire time that you were
Most
there?
of the
You
time we were there for like that first 2 or 3 months and then it backed off. And then every once in a while you'd hear it. But I remember one morning there was a little window up in the corner and Rocky and I would lift each other up to look out and we'd lift the other guys something. So one morning Rocky lifts me up and I look out and they had a bunch of guys out there kneeling and like wrapped in white around their bottom part. And then they had like 5 or 6 guys out front rolled up in white sheets and you could see blood. And they had all those guys kneeled in front of him, just looking at him like this is what's going to happen to you or something. And Rocky got up to look. He goes, "Oh my God!" We let the other guys look up at that same thing, and then they were out there for I mean I don't know, hours and hours, and they moved them. We got up and looked out, and they were gone. Yeah. So anyway, so we're there. So about I want to say I was October of that year, and I don't know if you ever heard about the October surprise.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
hearing yeah.
So October surprise, October that year, they came and got us, and they took us out of the prison, and they moved us to I don't know if it was a foreign ministry hotel or some hotel, but they took us to this hotel and they stuck us in this room and they had bars on the windows. You could tell they just put them in. They had bars on the windows and we had a bathroom with a shower. I was like, oh, nice.
Did you ever shower at all when you were in the prison?
Tried to, but the water was so cold and sometimes you have hot water. So we tried, but we'd get in there, we'd take a shower, just
Just do a
cold water.
bird bath kinda?
Luckily, it wasn't too cold. But when we got to that place, so it was bird bath, but we got that place, oh, showers. We got in there and the water was ice cold. And then it was cold because it was already October and it was getting cold. So you just still did bird baths. So you just still did bird baths. But I
Yeah.
remember they took us there and we were there for a long time and they never came and talked to us. They just brought us food. And then one time they came and got us, and they took us downstairs or to an area downstairs, a level down, into a room, and they had like once again people from Red Cross,
Okay.
and they would look at us. They were doctors, and they would take our blood pressure, check our hearts and all that kind of stuff, and ask if we were feeling okay and that kind of stuff. But we were not to say anything else. And then they take us back. Did that a couple times.
Why do you think they didn't like abuse you very
Because I
badly?
think there were negotiations going on about that time, maybe. I don't know. I don't
Maybe.
know. I have no idea, to tell you the truth. No idea. So we were there about that time all the way through Christmas. And then I just remember they used to tell us all the time, we're going to put you in a bus and blow you up. We're going to put you all in a bus and blow you up. You know, amongst all the other things they said they were going to do to us. So I remember they came and got us and took us into a room and were interviewing us. Have you been tortured? Have you tortured? What kind of torture? Were you ever tortured? Whatever. I just like whatever. I didn't say anything. I go, what do you mean by torture? You know, that kind of stuff. And they go, CIA. We go, we don't have any CIA here. You know, we never gave anything up except for that one person.
Yeah.
If you ever look him up, I think he's in prison right now here.
Interesting.
Yeah. So,
Hmm.
yeah, he's in prison here. But um, they came and got us, and then it was my turn. They came and got me, and they took me down the stairs, and they took my handcuffs off, and they took my hood off, and there was a bus there. And you just had to walk out into the bus, and all the seats were gone out of it, and there was already almost most of the hostages in there already. Oh man, this is like gonna blow us up in the bus. And I was like, oh my gosh,
Again with the psychological
yeah,
stuff.
psychological stuff. They stuck us in the bus.
And did they like close the doors up on it, or
Then they closed the doors up and they drove us off.
they drove you off?
Yeah.
Where did they take you?
So we drove for about 45 minutes. And as we got closer, I could hear a jet engine. We went through some gates. I could tell we're going through gates and stuff. And I could hear a jet engine. And then I go, what the heck is going on? So they started taking us out, and I got to my part to come out. And there was like a gauntlet of like 15, 20 guys on each side, and the lights were really bright. We were used to like, because even at that place, we didn't have lights. We were using candles and stuff. And they pushed me out. They go, boo, boo. And so I went down and I got, and they go, Mark, about a minute. And they started spitting on you and punching on you all the way down to the end. And I could see down at the end, it was really bright, but I got down the end, there's two short guys there in black BDUs and a black parka, and they had little tiny machine guns. And they're sharp features, dark features, sharp looking, in shape. I got down, they literally grabbed me by both arms. And they go, you are safe. Please know you are safe. Do not do anything stupid, with an accent.
With an accent.
With an accent, like a Middle Eastern accent, but not Arabic, not quite Iranian.
Hmm.
Lifted me up and ran me up a set of metal stairs and sat me down. And I could still hear the jet engine. I go, is this an airplane? Because I couldn't tell from that to where we're going. Sat me down, and I was in the back part of the plane. And there was like about 30 more of those guys in the back of that plane. And they said, please to go this way. So I went that way through the other part, and they had, we can shut it
Through the plane.
through the plane. And I went to the front, and they had other hostages, and they're all looking at me. They go, are we going home? Are we going home? I said, I don't know. I don't know. Are we going home? I said, I don't know. They just said we're safe. So I sit down, and we're waiting, and they finally bring the ambassador on the plane. And we're asking him, everybody's going, hey, are we going home, sir? What's going on? He goes, I don't know. I just said everything's okay and we're safe. They said, Marines, please do not do anything stupid or try to take over the plane. They said everything's fine and we're safe. So they shut the doors. We sit down. Turns out they were Algerian commandos.
Algerian
Algerian
commandos.
commandos. Yeah, I have a picture of the plane that we were on. When we're getting off, it's an Algerian plane,
Wow.
commercial plane. So they go to the back. We sit down in front. We're getting ready. We finally take off. And they keep saying, just know you are safe. Just know you are safe. And so we take off. We're in the air. They come out, and they're giving us cookies. And I have a picture where we're in the plane. It looks like we're drinking alcohol, but it's not. We're drinking apple juice and orange juice and coffee. And we're sitting there talking. And I just remember, are we safe? What's going on? So we're in the air for about 45 minutes, hour, maybe so. And all of a sudden we hear, and the pilot keeps talking to us, and he's got an accent, Middle Eastern accent. And all of a sudden we hear something click, click, and he goes, listen carefully. Our pilot says, listen carefully. Someone wishes to speak to you. Listen carefully. Click, click, click. And he goes, this is Commander so-and-so, United States. I don't know the names. I keep trying to find this day. United States Navy. He goes, you are now leaving Iranian airspace. He goes, if you look out to the left and right side of the plane, we will be your escort. So boom, we lift up our shades, we're looking at it, and we can see the fighter jets coming in close to the plane. It's full moon, bright out. You can see the plane. They're coming in, American fighter jets loaded to the T, and we're like saluting out, and they're like waving their wings out. I was like, oh my God. We're like, yeah. And everybody in the plane's like, if he could hear us going, are we going home? What's going on? Are we going home? And all I could say, just know everything's okay. Do not attempt to take over that plane. You're safe. That's all they would say. That's all they would say.
Did you talk to the ambassador? Did anybody talk to the ambassador to ask him
At that
if
time, yeah, we were out and he was walking around the plane asking me. He had no idea either.
really?
No,
Wow.
no.
So about 45 minutes into the flights when you
45
found
minutes
out,
to an hour, yeah.
did they tell you where you were headed?
Yes. So shortly after that, the pilot on our plane says we will shortly be landing in Algiers.
Oh, wow. So you're going to Algiers
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. So we're in the air and all of a sudden the plane just goes, sharp turn, man, at an angle. We're going, what the heck's going on?
Yeah.
And then we look out the windows and the other planes are following us. The pilot says, listen carefully. We will not be landing in Algiers. Shortly, we will be landing in Athens, Greece. When we land, you will not get off the plane or attempt to get off the plane, and you will remain seated. After a little while, we land, and we're in Athens, Greece.
Wow.
And we're looking out the windows, looking out the windows. The guys from the back come forward. They were not menacing to us. They just had their little machine guns. And they were looking, and we're looking out, and you could see vehicles on the outside, the lights surrounding the plane. And we were just out on the runway somewhere. And then finally, one of the guys, the commandos, comes out and he says, please to close the shades. So we all close the shades. We were on the ground for about 3 hours.
Probably refueling.
No.
No.
So we finally take off. And then we go to Algiers. We land in Algiers. The story is part of the deal for our release was the Iranian had billions and billions of dollars in assets in the banks here in the United States. And what was going on was they had 2 airplanes loaded with $8 billion in gold or cash. Who knows? One of the planes had problems, had to land, had to get another plane in, loaded it. And then once they took off, we took off and landed in Algiers.
So they were waiting for that other plane to get loaded up or to take off?
Take off again, yeah.
With how many billions of dollars?
I have no idea.
Just
I say
billions.
8. I think it was 8. I read at one point in time, but I don't know. I could be wrong, completely wrong.
So that's the whole reason you landed there.
That's what they tell us, yeah.
Wow. What's going through your head at this point? Like, do you feel like this is like, are you still unsure that you're good? Or
I have no idea because we have Middle Eastern people flying us, and they're telling us we're going to Algiers.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on?
So you're still kind of like not sure if you're free
We have no sure what's going on. Yeah.
But all the hostages were there together, so you were
Everybody.
able to talk to each other.
We all talked to each other, what was going, everything. We were all had the same thing to say because we were all kept in complete isolation the entire time.
What about your gunny?
Gunny, same with us. He sat with us. He had no idea either.
Was his experience much different than yours?
Yes.
Where did they end up taking him?
I have no idea.
Did he know?
No. He ended up on the prison with it later. We were all at the prisons together. But before that, I have no idea where he was or the others.
And this is like 444 days
444
later.
days
So you
later.
hadn't seen him in a long time
No.
by that point.
No.
Did everybody like have beards and stuff? Like
Some did, but we always kept clean cut. We always kept our hair short like they did. Because if we get out and we go, they wouldn't recognize us. But a lot of them had long hair and stuff. But the guys, like our guys that guarded us, all had short hair and kept trimmed or whatever. And I always kept just delighted. I can't grow good beard. I can't now. I couldn't then, and we just kept our hair short and clean. But like Jimmy Lopez let his hair grow really long. His hair was like down to here.
wow.
Yeah.
That's got to be wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you take off from Athens and you're flying to Algiers.
We land in Algiers. They get us off the plane. They take us in the terminal. Bright lights everywhere, cameras everywhere. All along the walls are guys with tables and guys in suits. And then I look over and I see a couple of guys that I knew from the State Department that had came to the embassy right before we got taken. Actually, like a couple of weeks before we got taken, they came to the embassy to do what, I'm not sure. But they worked at the State Department.
Yeah.
And I see them over there. And then we sat there for like an hour, nobody telling us anything. Ambassadors like trying to talk to somebody. They just says, please sit down, please sit down. Finally, they get him up and they take him over to one tables. And they talk to him. He says, come on. And at that time, they're bringing us drinks and orange juice and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we get up and they line us up and we all start walking around. People are shaking our hands. Everybody's taking pictures. They walk us around. We get to those parts, State Department people there, those two guys. And then they walk us out to the building to head out to the terminal. We're going down this ramp, and they have these Algerian military guys in full dress uniform, white uniform, big hats with the big gloves, with the puffy gloves.
Yeah.
And as we start walking around, they saluting us. All of us, not just the Marine, everybody. They're saluting us, and I go, "What the heck's going on?" So we salute back, Rocky and I. And we start going down. I look down, two DC Nightingales, military markings with the uh, medical aid crosses or whatever you want to call them. And we're getting down there, and the engines are on, and you can hear them. And we start getting closer, and this gal's down there going like this, kind of in uniform. And they're going on each side, the two planes, and they're yelling at us at the bottom of the steps. And they're yelling, but you can't hear them because of the jets.
Yeah.
And we're getting closer, and they go, "Run, run." So we start walking fast. We get on, they split us up and put us on the planes. Rocky stays with me. And we get on the plane, and I mean, as soon as they got us the plane, they closed those doors quick, and they just started moving down the taxiway. And then we're gone in the air.
So those were American planes.
Yes, American
Okay.
military planes,
Oh, military planes.
medical military airlift planes, yeah.
Why were they telling you to run?
To get on the plane as quick as you can.
It's like, we need to get the hell out of
We're
here.
gonna get that. We're just get you on and get out before something happens, yeah.
That must have been probably, I mean, that was like you're at the final stretch.
Yeah.
Probably still stressed, like not sure what's going on.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And so you get onto that plane, and like, did you talk to was it Air Force personnel?
Yeah,
on
so
there?
there were nurses, mostly nurses, and then the pilots and stuff, and they came out, and it was funny, and they came out, and they had these little tables, kind of like you are, little small tables. You put two guys on one side, this side, but you could face each other.
Yeah.
And they came out, and they started bringing us TV dinners, the old Air Force, old when you
Microwave dinners?
microwave type dinners you used to give on
Yeah.
the airplanes. They brought those out for us. And then I remember it was kind of funny. This gal's walking. She's got this big. She comes out from the backside, and she's passing stuff, throwing something down. I can't see her. And then she gets to our side, and then she, boom, and she tosses down Playboy magazines.
What? Air Force
I am not.
medical personnel just tosses out a couple of Playboys?
I am not kidding you. Tosses Playboys out and then tests them, give them to the.
That would never happen.
Not today.
That is the craziest thing.
Not today.
They're like, you could use this.
Yeah.
You've had a rough time.
Yes.
Here's a couple Playboys.
It was the funniest thing.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
Man, the military has
Changed.
it's changed a lot. That's crazy.
Yes.
Did you have an opportunity to talk to the nurses about like what was going on? And
They
like,
really knew nothing. Really, just they came to get us, and that's it.
and that
They
was
said
it.
we know nothing else.
Were they like testing vitals or anything, or were
No.
they just giving you
Just
food?
on the plane, giving us food and whatever. And so the whole thing when we were sitting in Iran waiting to take off, President Reagan is being inaugurated.
Oh wow!
Literally, when he was sworn in, he put his hand down. That's when we took off.
No kidding.
That's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. I've heard a lot of people, and this may be their opinions potentially, that a lot of people believe that the reason that the Iranians decided to let you guys
Yeah.
all leave was because Reagan came into office, and they're like, "We're
Reagan
not-"
came into office, and he had Bush working for him even
Yeah.
before.
as the vice president.
He had been with the CIA before, and then they kicked him out, and then he came back, and he was vice president.
Yeah,
But before
he was the sec def at one point,
yeah,
wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but the story is even before he became president, they were already negotiating with Iran.
Oh, really? Like,
Oh, yeah.
Reagan's.
Bush was
People-
already Bush and his people and whoever he had were already negotiating with Iran.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that's a fact. You can look it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were their opinions and perspective and view of Ronald Reagan was a very different perspective from
Exactly.
the way that they viewed
Exactly.
President Carter,
Correct.
which, like I said, a lot of people's opinions are that, Reagan made them a little bit more concerned.
Right.
And so like we need to get rid of these Americans, just get them out of here.
Correct.
That is nuts. So you took off from Algiers.
So we take out from Algiers and we fly to, I don't know where we're going.
Yeah.
So we finally land and they don't really tell us where we're at. And they said, all right, buses are coming up. Marines, you will get on the last bus. So we're sitting in the back.
Of course you get on the last bus.
Yeah, so we have to get on the last bus. So these buses pull up. We see everybody getting off, walk down the steps, get on the bus. And I remember it's our turn and we start walking off. And you could see these fences in the back and you see lights back there and you see people, hundreds, thousands of people on the fences and they're waving stuff. And all you hear when you come out is, Mark Bot America, Mark Bot America.
Oh no.
I look back and I say, Rocky, I says, do you hear what I'm hearing? They go, yes. Are they yelling what I think they're yelling? They go, yes. So we get in the buses. And I'm going, where are we? And we start driving and we're getting closer and the little windows up on top rope and they get closer and we're looking and we can see them now and they're still screaming, hollering, and they're not saying Makbata Medica, but to us, because we heard that every day. And we had to hear the prayers every day. They'd put speakers in our rooms and we'd listen all day long and they'd play them loud. It was on as on. I can sing you one if you want, but um what are they called, the prayers? But we're getting closer and we see them and they got an American flag and a German flag and they're going, welcome Americans, welcome, but that far away and in our ears, that's what we're thinking. It's just a shock to us still
Because you had been hearing that for so
all day
long, it was
long. And
ingrained
they're
in your
so far
brain.
away and what you can't hear exactly what they're saying, but we got closer, we could hear them. We're like, yeah. So we're out the thing and we're saluting them out and waving to them and they're waving to us and we're in Frankfurt, Germany.
You're in Frankfurt.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we drive in the buses for a little while, and they take us to Wiesbaden in Germany, where uh, the medical base was, a
Okay.
U.S. military medical base
Yeah.
in Wiesbaden, Germany.
And so you got there. I imagine they were probably going to do a medical exam on everybody, make
Yeah.
sure everyone was
So
good.
we get there, and they take everybody off the bus, and they say, "Marines, you will not get off the bus. You will wait." So we wait, and all of a sudden we're waiting, and everybody's they already gone in. We wait like 10 minutes, and all of a sudden we see Air Force guys marching up with dogs. And as soon as they march up, they get alongside the bus and they said, okay, come on, guys. One at a time. We walk out and we get two guys and they escort us in to the building,
Oh, they escorted you in.
escorted the Marines into the building. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. So they made they wanted to
Yeah.
make sure that you understood
Correct.
that was it was
Yes.
different. It was
Correct.
different for you than
Yes.
the rest of the
So the
civilians.
rest. Yeah. We were military. They're taking care of us.
That's cool.
Maybe. I'll tell you why in a little bit.
Okay.
So,
I'm done. This I
So-
I'm telling you right now, like hearing some of this stuff makes me nervous just
Yeah.
hearing it because I'm just like, oh my god, when is it?
Yeah.
When is it? Like you're still experiencing like
Yeah.
all this stressful stuff. Like
so we get inside and they put us in a room and we're standing there looking around and the doors open and a bunch of nurses come in and they got little boxes with a bunch of like clothes, hospital clothes and a t-shirt with the Marine Corps emblem on it and toiletries and stuff like that. And they go, all right, boys, you smell, let's go. Well, they took us downstairs to the showers. But before we walked in the shower, they had barbers, Marine Corps haircut.
oh, they gave you a fresh haircut.
Buzz right there, high and tight.
Oh, up high and tight.
High and
Okay.
tight. And then I remember I went into the shower and there were big showers and they had a big curtain in front of them and they had benches. I got in that shower and I got soap and I put it all over and I was soap and I was in there for like 45 minutes to an I'm not kidding you.
But you hadn't had a hot shower in so
hot.
long.
It was so hot. I was burning myself. I let myself burn in that water. I was like so hot. And I just kept rubbing soap and washed off and I smell it. And I was like, smelled so good. And then all of a sudden, all right, boys, let's go. We got to go. So we dried ourselves, got out, put our stuff in. We had hospital blue pants on and then our t-shirt and some slippers. And they take us out and we're standing there and we have a whole bunch of military guys out there again. All right, gentlemen, listen carefully. You're going to go down this hall. You get to the end of the hall, you're going to take a left. You're going to take a left, you're going to take another left, and you're going to walk down the end of the hall. They'll be waiting for you and they'll open the doors, but you will have an escort the entire way and you will not deviate. So we get out, single file, and they come out with us two on each side. We go all the way down to the other one, and it's the chow hall. And they open the doors, and everybody always are already in there, and they have the entire chow hall there. And you go in there, and a guy walks up with a tray, and he says, "Sir, I'm here to help you." So I go, and he's got my tray. He goes, "What can I get you?" And they had everything you could think of: steaks, chicken, mashed potatoes, everything you can think of for food.
Yeah.
I mean, I grabbed a bunch of stuff, sat down, started eating. I could barely even eat anything. I mean, I took bites of this, bites of that, and I was already full.
Or your stomach had probably shrank so much
Oh, yeah.
from not eating very
Absolutely.
much.
So I got something on me.
But they had a smorgasbord.
Smorgasbord. Everything you could think of was awesome.
Good.
And so they go, "All right, Marines, let's go." We go, "What?" They go, "Come on, let's go." So we take us out, and they said the same thing. You're going to go down the hallway. You're going to take a left. You're going to go all the way down the hallway. There's a set of stairs on the right. There's a set of doors. You're going to walk up the stairs 2 flights. You will not deviate. You will be escorted the entire way. So we get there all the way down the hall, and then we go up the stairs, and there's guys sitting there, Air Force guards, Army, whatever. Get to the top of the stairs, and they say, "Into that room." So we go into that room, and we walk into the room. I have a picture of it too. And President Carter's waiting for us.
President Carter
Yeah.
was in that room.
And Mondale.
In Mondale.
Yep. Yep.
Wow.
So we go in the room, we're standing there at attention, And he comes over to us, and then they said, "At ease," and we stop attention. He comes up, walks to us, hugs us, kisses us on the cheek. Or a great, good job, Marines. Thank you. That kind of stuff like that. Walks up to us, pretty cool. And they go, "Yes, sir, Mr. President. Yes, sir, we answer, Mr. President." And then Mondale walks up behind us and he goes, "He's no longer the president." And then he had some of the hostages behind us, other guys. And I remember Jerry Plotkin's back there, and I remember he goes, Mondale goes, he's no longer the president. And Jerry Plotkin goes, "Who is the president?" He goes, "Ronald Reagan is president." And he goes, "You mean the actor?"
'Cause he didn't, I mean, you guys probably didn't know who was
Well, yeah, we didn't really know who was running
necessarily.
at the time or what was, going on or who got elected or anything.
You mean the actor?
Yeah.
Yes, it's
So
the
it's pretty
same
funny.
person.
So he talked to us all. We sat there. He stayed with us up there for about an hour or so, and then he left, and then we all went back to our rooms.
Wow.
So we're down in our room, and we're looking around, and we're going, and Sergeant Curry looks out, and he goes to open the door. He's looking out the window. He goes, "Oh, and it's locked." He goes, "What the heck?" And there's a balcony and there's a door there, but it's locked and we can't get out. We go, "What the heck's going on?" So he knocks on the door. He says, "Yes, sir. What can I do for you?" And it's one of the guards. It's a guard, military guard.
Yeah.
"What can we do for you?" He goes, "What's going on?" He goes, "I can see the other hostages out there. Why are we in here?" He goes, "It's for your safety, sir." He goes, "What do you mean it's for safety?" "It's for your safety, sir. If you need to go somewhere, please let us know and we will escort you."
Oh, so you could leave. They just you had
But
to
you have to have an
escort you.
escort. But the door was locked.
That's strange.
Yeah. So anyway,
What? Why was it that you guys were
I'll tell you a little bit.
okay?
So anyway, the next day we get up in the morning, straight down to the doctor's. Spitting in tubes, peeing in bottles, doing tests, looking at stuff, reading stuff,
Yeah.
everything you can think of. This went on for 4 days. In the morning, doctors. In the afternoon, um, debrief. Every agency you can think of. Marine, CIA, everybody. Debrief.
Yeah.
Pictures, this guy, that guy, whatever. I kind of asked us, but they didn't really ask us anything because if they asked us stuff, there's a lot of stuff we can tell them, but they wouldn't ask us. And we went to tell them stuff, but they didn't. They just want to know what they were asking us.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Oh, they wanted to know what the Iranians were asking
Right.
you.
No. Yeah, kind of in a way, but they were showing pictures, this guy, do you know this guy, this guy. They showed us some pictures. One of the pictures was Soleimani.
Oh, really?
He was one of our captors with the
Soleimani.
Postron, yeah. Soleimani.
No kidding.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see him while you were there?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So they showed you a picture of Soleimani when you
No,
got
they
back?
showed a bunch of them there and said, this one, this one, this one, but Soleimani was one of them.
The same Soleimani
Yes.
that hit by a missile.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. He was one of our captors.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever interact with him at all?
Never interact him. I never interact him. He would just come in the room every once in a while when something was going on. But one interaction, well, it wasn't even an actual interaction. We were in the embassy one night before they moved us in a room, and Rocky was in the room. I think Paul Lewis was in the room. I remember, but I remember we acted like we were sleeping because they could hear him coming down the hallway,
Yeah.
and so we acted like we were sleeping. We just kind of got ours open. They didn't have the lights on. They turned the lights on in the hallway, and they're looking in. And a couple of Iranians, and they open the door, and there's a bunch of guys, and they're just like looking in this, and these guys were wearing the PLO scarves,
What is a PLO scarf
the
exactly?
red and white scarf, like the Palestinians were. But that was the
Oh,
PLOs were wearing those. That was specific to them, and they had their
okay.
face covered. And the Iranians you're talking about, they were talking about Arabic and stuff.
That's
And
weird. So
they
there was
had
people speaking in Arabic, but most
they
of the people
brought
spoke
so actually
Farsi.
they brought PLO people to look at to check us out.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and then that's what Soleimani started. He went back and started Hamas and Hezbollah and all those groups.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah.
And did you know about like anything about any of that at the time?
None of that time. The only thing they did was the next day they came in and they brought a TV in with their little recorder on the bottom, and they plugged it in. It was just a little tiny TV, and they plugged it in, and they says, "We have killed one of your Marines," and they showed a Marine hanging, and he was just hanging and spinning. And for the life of me now, because I'm having a brain fart, but he was one of the Marines that they killed. That was with the UN in Lebanon, and they took him and they killed him and hung him during that time,
Oh,
in that
they were
period of time.
showing you that.
And they were showing us that, and they said we killed a Marine, making it like it was one of ours.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Jesus.
yeah,
Yeah, the psychological impact of most of
yeah,
the way you've described it, it sounds like
yeah,
it was a large
yeah,
majority of it was
yeah,
psychological and they were trying
yeah.
to mess with you guys.
So who brought him that film was the PLO.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because that's who we saw that with. They were PLO.
Yeah.
We knew they were PLO. They were PLO, and that's who brought him that film because it was the next day and they showed it.
Wow.
Yeah, because the PLO are the ones that snagged him and killed him.
Yeah, and then 3 years later, they bombed the embassy.
Right.
Or not, sorry, they bombed the Marine barracks in Beirut,
Right.
you know, which was, a massive,
Right.
massive disaster. That's nuts.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy, like, all these figures that you personally had either
Hmm.
seen in passing or interacted with. It's like you said, Ayatollah, not Khomeini, but
Hal-Hali.
Al-Hali.
Yeah.
Like the fact that
Kal-Khali.
you
Yeah. Kal-Khali.
interacted with him
Yeah.
personally,
Yeah. Interesting.
that's crazy.
But
Like,
but he showed great respect. That's the problem. It was like great respect. I mean, the other guys, they always treat us, they were just like we were prisoners and
yeah.
Americans and trash.
I still think that is
Yeah.
unbelievable that he showed you guys respect for
Right.
being Marines,
Right.
like,
Exactly.
and that he was like, "I want my troops to be
That's what
more
he
like
wanted to
U.S.
be like
Marines."
Marine. Exactly.
That's yeah, and that's I mean, I think that's it's a testament to, like, how the world perceives Marines
Yeah.
in general, but I mean, that's a hell of an interesting story. I can't believe I've never heard of anything like that
Yeah.
before. That's what an incredible experience,
What's coming because I forgot to tell you is when he left, they took him out of the room, and then they were getting ready to take me out of the room, and one of the Iranians walked up to me, and he's looking at me in my eye like this. I'm looking at him, and he goes, and he throws a punch at me, and I go, "Kick," and I grabbed it,
Oh, no.
and I pulled it out, and I like this, and I look straight ahead. And he just looks at me, and he just let his hand go. He just softened. Pulled his hand away, and he goes, and he walked out of the room, and then they took me to the room.
Jesus, man. That well, I mean,
That was kind of funny.
that's insane.
But yeah, so anyway, we're there. So we do this for 4 days.
In the
They're
hospital,
in the
back to the hospital.
hospital.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
in the hospital, and it's in the morning. We get breakfast, get lunch, but we see all the doctors, all kinds of tests the whole 4 days,
Yeah.
and then the afternoon it's all debriefing and even talk to psychologists and all kinds of stuff. And they had us talking to psychologists, all kind of thing like that. And then the fourth day is that night. I remember we're going, what the hell is going on? Why are we not going home? I haven't talked to my family, nothing. Oh, and it was funny because the second night we were there, they said you have a phone call. I go, excuse me, you have a phone call. I go, oh. So they took me out to the offices and I get the phone. I go, hello, hello, mom. He goes, no, this is Steve so and so. I'm the president of Pepsi Cola bottling company in Germany. I go, yes, sir. My dad worked for Pepsi Cola bottling company in Pueblo.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I go, yes, sir. And he goes, how are you? I says, I'm okay right now. I says, have you talked to my family? He goes, yes. I says, could you please tell him I'm okay and tell him hi? And he goes, yeah. He goes, everything okay? What do you need? What's going on? Just talk to me a little bit about different stuff. And he goes, yeah. And he goes, yeah. And he says, I go, sir, they don't have Pepsi here. He goes, I'm well aware of that because bases only have Coke at that
Oh,
time. Yeah,
really?
they only had Coke and all the bases. You never got Pepsi.
I didn't know that.
He goes, yes, I'm well aware of that. He says, do you need anything? I said, I don't need anything right now. I can't think of anything. He goes, I says, but he says, I'm going to give you my number. Please write it down. So I wrote down. He says, you need anything, you call me. You got it. I said, yes, sir.
Wow.
So next morning we get up and we go to do our stuff. And they said, Sergeant Guy, we went to breakfast and then we went to the doctor's meet, whatever they did with us. And come back down the hall and he goes, Sergeant Guy goes, I go, yes. He says, you have a delivery. I go, delivery? He goes, yeah. And they took me down the hall and there's like 50 cases of Pepsi Cola and 16-ounce glass bottles.
Of course.
Potato chips, snacks, everything that Pepsi whatever makes. It was cool. And I go, what do you want me to do with this? I says, well, let's get it cold and then we'll have some later.
Yeah. So you shared it with everybody then?
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah. And then it was funny because right after that, I finished lunch and they go, someone wants to talk to you. I said, okay. So they take me into a room and then I go and as I'm walking in the room, the door opens and this army guy walks in and I look at him and it was my buddy from high school, Dan Miller. Went to high school with him. We were good buddies.
Wow.
We did martial arts and stuff together. He joined the army because of that incident and he ended up there and he
No
was
kidding.
there and they let him come and see me and talk to me. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It was awesome.
He joined because of seeing
Yes.
the hostage
Yeah, what
situation.
happened to us? Yeah.
What happened?
What happened to me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just happened to get stationed there at Frankfurt.
Yes. Or he's Wiesbaden. So I don't know if he's a Wiesbaden or Frankfurt, but he was there and they let him come and see me.
That's cool.
So I got to meet with him for like half an hour. So
Talk about serendipitous.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you guys got to hang out and talk for a little bit.
Yes.
And how long had it been since you last saw him?
I hadn't seen him since high school.
Jeez.
Since I joined the Marines. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And was he just like asking you about like what your experiences were?
Not really, just hey, cool. And he didn't ask me any of that. We just talked about old times and days, and I said, cool to see you, and yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
How much longer did you spend in Germany?
So anyway, we were there for that 4 days. So that night, the fourth night, we were there, and I go, what's going on? We're looking. we're going, something's got to happen. How long is it going to take? We hadn't seen our families. None of that stuff's going on.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we hear a knock at the door on the balcony, and there was windows there because they used to take us out in the day and on the balcony to get air and stuff. Then people come and they'd wave, talk to us and stuff from the bottom. And we hear a knock on the door, and Johnny McKeel, Marine, walks over and he opens it. He was in the Army before that, Marines, but he comes over and he was a Vietnam Army, and then he joined the Marines.
Oh, he's a
But
Vietnam vet.
yeah, and then he
Okay.
came. So he opens, pulls the curtains back, and he goes, "There's gals out here," and he has a Texas accent. He says, "There's gals out here." I go, "What are you saying?" I says, "There's some girls out here, some gals." "Well, what do they want?" "They're telling us to come out." He said, "Tell them door's locked." They said, "They got a key." So we all walk over looking, and they got the key, and they open the door, and they say, "Come on, come on." And they take us out, and we walk down the side, down the steps, into a door, go down into the basement, and under the basement, and there's like roads and everything underneath. And then walk us across into another building and take us upstairs in this huge room, huge. And there's all kinds of food, and they're playing music and booze and everything you can think of.
And this is still on the military
It's
base.
on the base, and it's all the medical staff, nurses and doctors and everybody there. Yeah.
So the medical
some of the
staff
guards.
came and kind of snuck you out of the room that you had been kind of confined to.
Right.
Not really confined to, but like you weren't
Yeah.
allowed to leave unless you had an escort.
Right.
And so they took you guys over there to like kind of hang out
Yeah.
and
Hang out. Well, to party.
to party.
Yeah. So partying was going on and dancing and drinking and
These are all Air Force people?
Air Force and Army and whatever, yeah, and out of uniform. But I just remember it was probably 5:30, 6 o'clock when they came and got us. And I remember we're there and we're drinking, and I was drinking. I don't even know what I was drinking, some thick stuff in the barrel, and it tasted good. And we're beers and shots, and we're just drinking it up and eating food and cheese and all that, and music and dancing, and the girls are dancing and everything. I was like, and all of a sudden they gotta go. Music stops. They go, they gotta go, they gotta go. So they come and grab us and they drag us and they take us back and take us back upstairs to the balcony, put us in our room, lock the door.
That's
I
so
go, "Oh, man."
weird.
Yeah. So I go down, I just go, cut. I lay down on my bed. Lights turn on in our room, like half an hour. Lights turn on our room, and you hear, "Attention." I go, "Holy shit." I stand up, "Attention," and it's commanding officer of Marine Security Guard Battalion, Colonel Cooper.
Oh, wow.
We all stand up for attention. He looks around, lights turn on, he's looking at us. "At ease, men. I'm here to take you home." And he moves away and he comes over and he's shaking our hands. And then a couple more Marines walk in with a rack of uniforms with our names on them and a little tag. Yeah.
Wow. So they had like fresh uniforms made
Fresh
for you
uniforms
guys?
made for it. Yeah. So that's why they always take your measurements, have your measurements, everything. Of course, they were a little big on us because we'd lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Just slightly big, not too big, but
Do you know how much weight you had lost?
like 25 pounds, maybe
Okay.
somewhere around there. So I was an odd guy, maybe a little. No, I lost a little more at the
Yeah.
time. I was okay because I weighed 198 pounds when I went in the Marine Corps. I didn't have an inch of fat on me. So every time I did a physical fitness test, they'd send me over to the infirmary and they'd do a pinch test on me, and I had to get a waiver, and then they'd send me back
Oh,
because I should have weighed 186 pounds because I was only 5'9".
oh, we still have that
Yes,
problem.
I know.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, there's still an issue with that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. They're getting better,
Yeah.
but now they tape people out, or they have they actually do what's called a DEXA scan.
Mhm.
So like if you're outside of height and weight standards, they have you get scanned because there's plenty of people that are out of height and weight standards, but it's just that they're short, and like the shorter people, obviously they're allowed to have way less weight than people
Right.
that are really tall.
Yeah.
So like if you're short stocky, you're gonna constantly be like right on the limit or on the cusp. But,
Exactly.
um,
So yeah, so I probably lost. Well, I'll get probably 30, 35 pounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
But the commander of
The
Marine
Marine Security
Security
Guard
Guard
Battalion
Battalion came over
came over to get us. So we
and
put our uniforms on.
yeah.
We go down, take a shower, put our uniforms on. We go down to get breakfast. And he says, "All right, let's go," because that's all we had. We didn't have anything. He says, "All right, let's go." We start walking out, and they take us down the stairs. They got buses waiting for us. It's kind of cool because I have a picture. It's not the picture I wanted. It's the picture before the picture that I wanted. It was in an
Wow.
article, but it's all the Marines, and we're all single file, and we're all standing behind each other on the steps, and you can all see our heads. And the article says, "You can tell how much these Marines have suffered by the look in their eyes," and we're all staring forward. It's a cool picture. The one I got is as we're getting ready to get in line with each other. And that was kind of BS. We were all drunken skunks.
In that picture.
And we're all just
because you had just gotten
we're just all
back.
standing on a step going,
You're like, I don't want to get in trouble.
exactly,
That
because the
what it
colonel was there. So we start walking in, and we start walking into the bus, start marching into the bus, and the colonel's down there, and he's talking, he's grabbing us and talking to us, and he goes, "We're going home, and he goes, He's like, he goes, who gave these men booze?
Jesus.
So he got us on the bus. He was mad. So that was actually the order of the day when we got there was we were not allowed to go or drink or do anything because the Marine Corps did not want us to embarrass the Marine Corps.
Naturally.
Naturally.
Yeah, that sounds about
So
right.
that's why we had to have an escort everywhere. And just
They're
in
like,
case we were a little crazy or whatever for that, they still didn't want us to embarrass the Marine Corps.
that is so classic. That
Yeah.
is like the most classic thing the Marine Corps would do is like, we can't trust these Marines to be by themselves because they've just been in captivity for 444 days.
Yeah.
They're going to want to party.
Yeah.
But that's cool that the Air Force and the Army personnel got you, snuck you out
They
a little
treated
bit.
us well. Yeah. It was fun.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. So you guys got on the bus. You ended up.
So we get on the bus, we get on the planes, we fly, we're in Frankfurt, we fly into London. Yeah, we fly into London
Okay.
and the plane lands and they refuel and Prime Minister comes on and talks to us and says hi and then leaves. And then we take off again and then we fly into Ireland. And we fly into Shannon, Ireland. We land in Shannon, Ireland, and they refuel. This time they get us off the plane. They take us inside, and they're waiting for us. And they get off the plane, and they all got their little Irish outfits on, really cool looking. And they take us to the duty free shop, and we're just walking through. We don't have nothing. They just walk us through there, and they give us a really cool scarf and a green scarf with all the like Irish kind of little plaid stuff and everything, and then a bottle of Irish mist, big bottle of Irish mist. We go, thank you, thank you. We walk out and we start the plane and I see the colonel out there and he's mad. He's fuming. He's still fuming. I go, do you think I can get one of those for the colonel? Kiss him butt. Go, yes, absolutely. So I grab one, I take it out to him and it has the scarf and everything wrapped around it. And he goes, it's sir for you. And he goes, looks at it and he goes, for me? I go, yes, sir. And he goes, really for me? I go, yes, sir. He goes, well, thank you. Big old smile on his face. That was the end of that. He was fine with the rest of the
Good.
trip.
That was good thinking, actually. Yeah.
So
Like, somebody's got to do something about this.
Yeah. So we get on the plane and we take off again, and he's on the plane with us, and we land at Stewart Air Force Base.
Stewart,
You know where that's at?
Fort Stewart.
Yeah, it's outside of. It's Stewart Air Force Base, and it's outside of West Point.
Oh, okay.
Or
yeah.
it's not Stewart Air Force Base. It was Stewart Airfield. It was Army,
Gotcha.
but it was an airfield. It was a military airfield at the time. Now it's a private air. You can fly in there a little more and just fly close into. And it's like 2 miles down the road from West Point.
Okay.
So we actually landed there. They got us off the plane, put us on buses, and took us to West Point.
Took you to West Point.
And we stayed at West Point.
Like, you just in like some spare rooms they had for you?
They took us and they put us at the Thayer Hotel.
Oh, at the Thayer Hotel there.
Right. So I guess they showed us a really good time, and I don't remember it.
Really?
I remember the one night there. We were there. It was the night of the Super Bowl, and they took us in this big room, and they had TVs all over, super on, food, beer, everything. We're sitting there, and against a girl, and we're talking. Rocky and I and Alden, we're just talking to the girls. We weren't watching the game. We were just like, whatever. But this is the Super Bowl, 1981.
1981, February.
Yeah, February, or sometime. No, that would have been January. So at least January 21st. So it was like January 30th, right around there, somewhere like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you guys stayed at West Point for how long?
I thought we were only there one day and we left, but years later they invited us back and we got there and they did a slideshow and we were there for like 3 days. And
Really?
3 days. They took us all over the place. They took us to the churches, to the schools, everything. And what was cool was one particular night they fed us at the chow hall. And then I remembered because they took us to the chow hall and they marched the Marines up to the chow hall. And nobody else, all none of the other hostages were there. We go, what's going on? So they lined us up to the door. They opened the door and they marched us in. They were playing the Marine Corps hymn. And everybody in the chow hall was banging their, I guess this looks like custom they do, or they do it with different thing. And they were banging their cups on the tables. It was awesome.
All the Corps of Cadets?
Yes. It was awesome.
That must have been
Yeah.
insane.
So we went in there, had dinner, and Neil came by and talked to us, and we walked around, and it was awesome.
I've never heard that story
Yeah.
from anybody.
Yeah. And then the next day in the morning, we had breakfast, and they walked us out amongst them, and we just checked them out, and they were all in tension and doing that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Did you have any conversations with any of them?
Yes, a few. We stopped and talked to a few, and then they didn't realize what was going on. They just said, "How are you? We're doing good," and that kind of stuff. And
That's
yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was great.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they flew us out, and then they flew us to Andrews Air Force Base.
Andrews?
Andrews.
in California?
DC.
Oh, DC, Andrews. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Okay. I
Yeah.
don't know why I was thinking something.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
another one. Yeah. In DC. Okay. And then when you got off there,
So they hauled all the Marines back off the plane, and they said, Marines, you'll be last to get off the plane. So we did. So I was one of the last guys to get off the plane. They started marching off the plane. Then our families come up. They got us off the plane, and their families run up. And then the next Marine went down. Their family ran up to them like that. So I came down. My family ran up to me. My mom and dad. They came up to me. I walked to my mom, and she goes, poof.
oh God, the
I
first
was like,
time back.
I go. She goes, don't you ever do that to me again. Then she gave me a big hug.
Oh my, like, mom, it wasn't my fault. Like, I mean, it didn't have a choice.
That's my mom.
That's so
But
funny.
yeah.
Classic mom.
Yeah. So we hung out in DC for a couple of days. Our family was there with us. And then I remember the second day we were there, I got up in the morning and the knock on the door, and Major Elm was there. Marine shop? He owned-
Chaplain?
no, he owned the Marine shop
Oh,
where you buy Marine goods.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The Marine
I've
shop.
been
Buy
to
your
the Marine
officer,
shop
you buy
in
your
Quantico.
officers' equipment, all that stuff.
The owner of the Marine shop.
He was the
showed
owner
up.
of the Marine shop. He showed up with all his little women that sew and stuff and machines, and gave us a set of dress blues and first anodized brass.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was he a major?
I think he was a major, if I remember correctly.
An active duty?
Active Marine Ranger. But then when he retired, he opened the Marine shop in Quantico.
Interesting.
Yes.
But,
lot
so
of
it
people
wasn't
don't know
open
that.
before he got out then?
No, so he was already retired.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. So he retired as a
Yeah.
major, and then he
Yeah.
opened the Marine
Yeah.
shop. I didn't
Because
know
in the
that.
Marine Guards, you get the regular outfits they issue you, regular uniform. They're all big and stuff, and have to get them tailored and whatever. They still don't look right. So you go over to the Marine shop and you buy the shirts that already have the pleats in them and all the stuff, and the nice shirts and the nice hats
Yeah.
and the nice shoes and the pants, and you buy all that extra stuff, and then you look really nice. You know,
Yeah.
like the officers do.
Yeah.
So,
You know, like,
so the Marine Guards do that and go do that too, and that's where the Marine Guards get all their nice stuff. So he came with dress blues and gave us our first dress blues, and then they were just coming out with the anodized brass, and he gave us the anodized brass on our dress blues, and that's how we got home. We flew home in our dress blues.
that's freaking cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of. I mean, dress blues. You know, if you're
Yeah.
buying them from the Marine shop, are
Yeah.
pretty expensive.
Yeah.
So that I
Yeah.
mean, they hooked you guys up.
But
which is
before
good.
that, so don't get me wrong, before that, so we're in DC, and they take us straight into DC to the White House.
Straight to the White House.
Straight to the White House.
When
and
you
we-
first got there.
Yep, we go on buses and they let us in the gate, the front gate of the White House. We're driving in, I'm looking down, and these people are sitting there waving. I'm looking down, I'm going, Elizabeth Taylor, Mel Tillis. For me, I knew those people back then. They're all standing there inside the gate, waving at us coming in.
Wow.
Yeah, all kinds of actors and people, celebrities were there, and yeah, it was interesting. It was very interesting.
That had to be so
Yeah,
crazy.
I even have a cloth where they all signed it at the White House on a yellow
Really?
cloth. Yeah. So they take us in the White House, and they're waiting for us in the White House. President Reagan is waiting for us in the White House. I have a cool picture with him.
Do
and,
you?
and he hands us a little box with a flag in it, and it's got a little cool coin on the top of it, and yeah, and then
A
a sign.
challenge coin?
No, it's just the coin on the top of the box.
Okay.
Looks like a challenge, but it's stuck in the box. And then inside with a card with him signing it and that kind of stuff. So it's really pretty cool.
Wow.
So yeah, so we got to talk to him for a little bit. Great guy.
What was he like?
He was incredible. Normal, like a normal person.
What kind of things was he saying to you guys when you showed
Thank
up?
you very much. I'm glad you guys are back. Anything I can do for you, anything I can do for you. And I got to tell you, times after that, he came to Colorado. And actually, we got invited to the White House a couple of times, and he was there and they gave us lunch and stuff like that. But he came to Colorado. His people would call me and say, President's coming to town. He wants you to be there. So like for a fundraiser or something, they'd have these big fundraisers for tens of thousands of dollars. They invite all these people, and they invite me and give me a ticket and say, you come on in.
That's cool.
I'd show. I have to go buy a suit. Didn't have any money then. After I got out, didn't have a job. I got out of the Corps.
Yeah.
I just had to go buy a suit. And then so I'd show up and show up at his table, and it was never a media event with him. How you doing? What can I do for you? You know, what can I do for you? And I never asked him for anything, and I guess I should have. But I didn't, because I never asked anybody for anything ever to this day. And I
Yeah.
never asked him for anything, because if I did, I'd be in charge of the FBI right now. But
I'd be in charge of the FBI right now. But he was a very kind man.
very
to you.
kind, very personable, like a normal person.
Yeah.
Because I've met other people, when you meet diplomats and you meet other guys that are in the government and they're in high positions, they're nice, but their mind's always somewhere else, something going on,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And
I know what you mean.
yeah. But even though they want to be nice, there's just something going on. They don't have time for you really. And it's not that they don't have time, it's just so much is going on, and they got stuff going on.
They have
He
a hard
wasn't.
time disconnecting from everything for a
Correct.
minute. Yeah.
He wasn't. He didn't have to disconnect. He talked to you. He looked you. He looked you in the eye, and he talked to you, and he was relaxed and talked to you, and was normal talking to you. And like when you come and I'd see me, it was a normal thing, and it was a great thing.
That must have been such an honor,
It
man.
was a very big honor, very for
Yeah.
me.
I mean, especially just given the fact that like, Reagan is a lot of people argue is one of the best presidents
Yeah,
we've ever had,
yeah.
and plus he was such a great orator.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
I mean, he could speak. His speeches are unbelievable, and a lot of other folks I've talked to that had interacted with him said
Mhm.
that he was a very personable
Yeah,
guy.
very like a normal person.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's awesome that he shared that like how much he genuinely
yeah.
cared for you guys. And I imagine he probably did similar things for when he showed up to other locations that some of the other hostages might have been
Oh,
located,
absolutely.
you know.
No, absolutely. He did. I was up. It wasn't everybody. It was only a few Marines. He loved the Marines.
Yeah, he did.
He did love the Marines.
Yeah, he did.
I can't say it was everybody. I can honestly tell you it wasn't everybody. It was just a few of the Marines.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's one thing that's very true is, his all of his some of his speeches where he was talking about the Marine
Mhm.
Corps, there was you could tell there's a lot of love
Yeah.
for the Marine Corps from
Yeah.
him. Like talking about like a lot of people go their whole life, wondering like if what they're doing mattered, and he's like Marines don't have that problem,
Right.
But I probably misquoted it, but yeah, you get the idea. He definitely loved Marines
Yeah.
for sure.
So it was a great honor.
Yeah. That's cool. And so you got to go to the White House, you spoke with him, like all of you guys, all the hostages together were there, right?
Yes.
And then
So we got to talk to him inside. He gave us that, and then they took us out back, and they had a huge ceremony.
oh,
All the military was back there, full dress uniforms. The Marine Corps band was back there. Eighth and I was back there, band. All that stuff. Eighth and I was there. Everybody was back there, and they had it all set up. I have a cool picture of it. They sent us pictures from the White House too, and it was just an awesome deal.
it's hard. I have a really terrible memory, so
Same.
I tend to forget some things, but I want to just make sure I quote Ronald Reagan accurately for what he said because we were talking about how much he loved Marines.
Yeah.
So Ronald Reagan said, "Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference in the world, but the Marines don't have that problem."
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
that is like one of the most famous
I love
quotes,
that
one of
quote.
those commonly quoted things that he said. I just wanted to make sure I quoted that correctly
Yeah.
because I know somebody's gonna be like, "You should know that." If anyone knows that, it should be you.
Yeah.
After you guys went to the White House, you saw him like you said later on, and then
Right.
where did you go after you guys left DC?
So we stayed there another day in a hotel, and then we all came home, and it was kind of fun because it's different for me because everybody got on a commercial flight with them, so they all went to the airport to Dulles. Back then it was Dulles,
Dulles, yeah.
and we went to a little airport on the side. Excuse me. So I go, "What's going on?" And they pulled up to the airport, and the smaller airport, and we went over, and we got out, and they says, "This is how you're going home," and it was a jet, a private jet, Learjet, red, white, and with red, white, and blue stripes on it.
Hmm.
Yeah,
A Learjet,
like a Learjet, yeah,
like a private jet.
private Learjet, yeah. I don't know exactly what kind it was, but like a Falcon or a Lear or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was a private jet, and had red, white, and blue stripes on it. And then I go to get on the plane, and a friend of mine and Mike Oshato, and he was at the time the president of the Pepsi Cola bottling company in Pueblo, Colorado, and that was the Pepsi corporate jet.
Oh,
So they came to take me home.
wow.
Yeah, Pepsi Cola.
That's because your dad worked
Yes,
for them, and
worked for
so
Pepsi Cola,
that's cool.
and they treated him well.
Good.
When I was over there, the Pepsi Cola treated him well, and when he retired from there, he got treated very well, and it was good. But yeah, Pepsi Cola, I love Pepsi Cola. It's my favorite drink. I still drink it to this day, and unfortunately now I have to drink Pepsi Zero, but it's fantastic. Still tastes good, but I
Good.
like it.
At least
But
you
yeah,
can still drink it.
yeah, but I've always been a Pepsi guy to this day. So
That's
yeah.
funny. My a good one of my best friends' dads worked for Pepsi for a
Mhm.
good bit of time, out of New Bern, North
Yeah,
Carolina, for a little while. But
yeah.
um,
They put me on a Pepsi can.
did they really?
Yes,
For what year?
I should have brought you one. When I came back, they put me on the Pepsi can.
Oh, that's so cool, man. What an honor.
Yeah.
You're like,
So
hey,
that
we
is
want
my
to make
Marine
sure.
Corps picture on a Pepsi can.
That's crazy.
It's
Your
kind of cool.
actual.
I thought it was very cool. I was very honored to do it too. But so I think there's only like 3 people on a Pepsi can that I'm aware of, and I was the first one that I know of, and then it was Michael Jackson,
Oh, wow.
and then Britney Spears,
That's crazy.
and they got 10 million each, and I just got a Pepsi.
Yeah. But that's
Yeah, it was
still
an
really
honor,
cool.
but it was
Yeah.
an honor. Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. So you ended up, where did they fly you to?
So anyway, we flew from there. We flew into Kansas City to refuel,
Okay.
and I remember they stopped, and then for the life of me, and I feel bad because I don't remember the name of it because so much things were going on.
Yeah.
But they came on board. I think the governor came on, said hello, and then some company a steak company, beef. They gave me a whole case of steaks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And for the life of me, I can't remember her name, and I apologize. And if you guys, I apologize if anybody's
Well,
watching.
let
But
us know in the comments
yeah, yeah.
if anyone out there knows.
So I had a whole case of steaks to take home. So we left there, and then they flew me back to Pueblo, Colorado. So I flew into Pueblo, Colorado Airport. We had an airport there, and it's open again now. But so that airport there, we flew into Pueblo, Colorado, and they got me off the plane, and the governor was there and waiting, and then they put me in a Cadillac with the top down, and I sat up in the back seat, and then they drove me from the airport into the city, and from the airport to the city was lined with people from Pueblo and everywhere. It was
Wow.
incredible. They said they never saw that many people until that's the only people. The only time they ever saw that many people before was when President Kennedy came into the town to visit.
Wow.
And
That's
it's a
obvious.
small town, but
Well, still obviously
yeah,
like a big deal.
yeah.
You
So
know,
it was
somebody
yeah,
they knew an American service member, Marine,
yeah,
was coming back after being held in captivity for 444
yeah,
days, you know. That's cool that they showed up like that to show
yeah,
respect.
yeah. So I came into the town and they had a little ceremony, and then that was it. Then I went home.
And what did your like who told you how long you had before you had to report back to base, or like what was going on with
There were
that?
Marines there all the whole time. From the day from I got back, there were Marines talking to me, telling me stuff, and who knows who they were with? I don't know. And then when I got back to Pueblo, there were Marines there waiting for us when we got there,
Okay.
and then they were in constant contact with me the whole time. And then they kept me here in Colorado, and I came up to Denver, and I was at the customs house in Denver. They kept me. I kept wanting to go somewhere, wanted to go somewhere, wanted to go somewhere, and they wouldn't. They just no, you're staying here right now.
So they didn't like have you report back to any base or anything. You just
I
stayed here?
actually, well, I let me put it this way: I did go back to Quantico first because I was still a Marine Guard,
Yeah.
and then I did go back to Quantico a couple of times, and then they sent me back here to Colorado.
And you EAS'd from here?
Yes.
Interesting. What did you do the rest of the time that you were still active?
They just had me down here at the customs house, and they'd take me places, and I'd go to schools and colleges and high schools and that kind of thing. And I was kind of done with that. And I was like, I'm home. And then my enlistment was coming up, and I was getting out, and they actually came and offered all of us, the Marines that were in Iran, OCS school.
They were offering you a slot to go to OCS. Wow.
I turned it down. I was
Did you?
home. I got out.
Yeah.
3 of the guys took it.
Really?
Yeah.
Did they require them to have bachelor's degrees, or they're just
So
like,
they actually sent him to put him in like a J, like a what they call them, a ROTC something
oh, okay, yeah,
thing. Yeah, they
ROTC?
put him in like one of those at the colleges or whatever. Yeah,
Interesting. That's interesting. So they offered you the opportunity to do an enlisted decommissioning
yeah,
program, but
yeah.
you were already kind of like I
I'm
think I'm
home. Man.
gonna
I was here. I was home, and I was
yeah,
like,
it's
got out. If
tough.
I wouldn't have been here, I'd have taken it.
That would have been a tough
Yeah,
choice.
yeah.
Yeah. So you EAS in what year? 83,
80 end of
82,
81.
81.
Yeah,
Okay. And that's when you basically just settled back down in Pueblo.
right.
Yeah. And Pueblo is like pretty close to Denver, right?
It's about an hour and a half
Hour and a half.
south.
But that is that closer to Colorado Springs
It's
then?
close to Colorado. It's like 30 minutes from Colorado Springs.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I've got some friends. Well, I've got a friend I served with in Third Marine Division
mm,
that lives down there now.
yeah,
Actually, I've heard that's where I'd heard the name Pueblo before because
yeah,
of him.
yeah. Great town. It was a great town when I grew up. It was a great town.
Yeah.
It was like living in the TV comedy show, The Happy Days.
Oh, it's like
It was
that.
like that when I grew up there. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
Interesting.
yeah.
It's a small town
It was a very
vibe.
small town vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. If you're on the other town, if you're on the other side of screwing around and you got home, your dad already knew about it.
Because everybody talked to each other. Okay. There's good sides and
It
bad
was.
sides to that for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. Yeah,
I wanted to make sure we don't miss anything
sure.
that's like a important part of your story because obviously I'm not gonna I'm not going to know all the right questions to ask you
Yeah,
because like I wasn't with you, and I probably don't know as much about the history of everything that took place throughout the entire duration of that
right.
that year or 2 year period. Was there anything specifically noteworthy that happened with you while you were in captivity that we maybe didn't talk about that you think's
No,
important?
we covered a lot of stuff. I'll tell you, most of it was my being with my good friend Rocky Sickman, Marine Rocky Sickman, my good friend, my brother,
Yeah.
and I think he. I have to say, our entire time in captivity was a hilarious one.
Really? Your
Yes.
entire time in captivity in Iran with Rocky
Even
Sickman.
though the stuff we were going through, it was hilarious because Rocky is a funny guy and did a lot of funny stuff, and he kept me going, and stories he would tell, and then the stuff we would do, and like the stuff where we shut the windows in the cars and they had the firefight and all kinds of things like that go on, and Rocky was all part of that. And I got to tell you, he would do things like they'd have us tied up and hooded, and they'd taken us down the hall like to the bathroom or something. And Rocky would go, oh, stop, stop. He goes, my finger, my finger. Then they go, what? Rocky Sickman, gee, what? He goes, my finger, it hurts. Pull my finger, it hurts. So they'd pull
Oh
his finger,
no.
and guess what he would do?
He would rip
He'd rip
farts.
farts. And they were like, oh no, Rocky Sickman, oh my no, shame on you, Rocky.
That's the craziest, like, this dude had to have, like, how did he fit his pants on with
Yeah.
cojones that big, man?
We did in the beginning, we didn't do that. It was just we're together, and then once we knew we weren't going home and they were probably gonna kill us, we were like, "Okay, it doesn't matter. We're just doing what we wanna do," and we did it.
That's crazy.
We did all kinds of stuff like that, just different things. It was funny stuff to the one time they caught us working out again, doing some, like I was showing them some, like, judo moves, and he goes, "Oh," and they caught us doing it, and they go, "Oh, would you teach us that?" And I go, "Sure." And Rocky'd stand there, and I grab these guys, and I would literally toss them into the walls. I'd take them and just toss them, throw them into the wall, boom, they get up, and they would try, couldn't do it, and they go, "We don't understand how that works." And I go, "I know," and I'd do it again. They show us again, I'd take one of their guys, and I'd toss them in the wall, that kind of
You were
stuff, and
tossing, like, the guards.
literally tossing the guards, or, like, mostly they were kind of our guard. They weren't the guards with their weapons outside, they were like the other guards that watch us, brought our food and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I would literally toss them onto the floor, onto the wall as hard as I could, and they were just like, "Oh my god," and they were
That is the most unusual experience
yes,
for a prisoner of war. That's the craziest
yes,
thing.
yeah,
And you just toss these guys,
yeah,
and they wouldn't get mad at you because 'cause they're, like,
right.
trying to figure out how to learn how to do
Yeah,
this.
so Rocky wrote a book, but they let him write this book. They let him write it because whatever he wrote in it was favorable to them. They liked it. But see, Rocky would put asterisks or little things by it and say, when I get out and write it, then I'll remember, I'll call you and we'll talk about this and then I'll write it, whatever. But when he got back, they just took the book from him and they printed it and he didn't get to say exactly. So one of those, he says, "Oh yeah, Billy was teaching the Iranians karate." But that's not what happened. That's when I was tossing them in the walls and they were getting hurt and whatever, whatever. And that's exactly what happened. And then they stopped and they didn't want to know anymore because they didn't want to get tossed around anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
So, and Rocky's still around, right?
Rocky's still around. He's good. He left the Marine Corps right after we got back,
Okay.
and he got married, and then worked around a little bit. And he actually went to work for Anheuser Busch in St. Louis,
Oh, wow.
and he was their director of world military sales for
World military sales.
many many years. He traveled all over the world to the military bases, Army, Navy, Air, whatever, and Pentagon, wherever they sold to the military, sold booze. He was there, or Anheuser Busch.
Wow.
And he did that for a long time. He retired, like, I think 8 years ago he retired. And then, he left there and he, went to work for Folds of Honor.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and he's
Okay.
still he's semi-retired with Folds of Honor right now. He does a lot for 'em. He's still the, Budweiser rep for them.
Yeah.
So he does a lot with Budweiser and them. If you see the cans, like, they come with had Folds of Honor on the Budweiser cans, stuff like
Yeah.
that. He was part of getting that put on there, all kinds of stuff. He's done a lot of cool stuff like that. He used to come and get me, and we'd go down to the Air Force games, and he'd come and get me. We'd go to the Army Navy games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Good.
So it was cool. So it was fun.
When's the last time you went to an Army Navy game?
2 years ago, in New Jersey. Yeah,
2023?
yeah. Oh, 2021.
Oh, 2021.
I'm
Okay. Yeah.
sorry, my head's a little.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, 2021 is the last time I went to a Army Navy game with them. Yeah.
Have you thought about going to another one?
No, I usually wait for him because he always got good tickets and seats.
Oh, that makes sense.
He always gets all the cool ticket from all that kind of doing that kind of stuff. And same with Folds of Honor, and then because he's still like I think he's like the rep for Major League Baseball and for NFL too through Folds of Honor. Yeah,
Wow.
through Anheuser or through Budweiser.
Where's he at
He's in St.
nowadays?
Louis.
Oh, he's still in
Yeah,
Missouri?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's cool. How old is he? He was older than you, right?
68.
Oh,
He just
68.
turned 68.
So he was younger than you or older?
He's older than me.
Older than you? Okay. So I know the Folds of Honor guys are pretty tied in with a lot of the folks over
Oh
at
yeah.
like Black Rifle Coffee and stuff
Yes.
like that. A lot of those guys.
Yeah.
So have you ever interacted with any of those
No.
cats?
No.
But with Rocky, yes.
With Rocky, when I'm around, he's doing that kind of thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. That's like, well, you remember the movie Argo, right?
Yeah.
I got to go to the premiere because of Rocky.
Really?
We
Where'd
went
you
to the
see the
premiere.
premiere?
In Hollywood at where they have
The Chinese theater or whatever?
where they had the Oscar. I can't remember where they have they used to have the Oscars there.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the place, but they have the big statue, everything there, all the big
Yeah.
things there. Yeah,
I
it
think
was
it's the
good.
Chinese theater. I think that's the one
No,
that's
we
with
didn't do
all
the,
the
we didn't do the
stars.
Chinese theater. It was a different one that they use. Another
Okay.
one they use for it. But yeah, they do a Chinese theater sometimes. But this was back then.
That was in 2012,
Something
I
like that,
want to
yeah.
say, because I saw that opening weekend with my dad in
Ah.
New York City in
Oh,
Manhattan,
wow.
because there's a Regal Theater in Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
Like in Times Square.
Yeah.
It had just come out. This was during it was during the presidential election for 2012 between Mitt Romney and President Obama.
Yeah.
And I remember watching like the debates and stuff like that when I had the opportunity. And we pulled into I was taking my dad's boat down the East Coast, and we stopped in Manhattan for the night
Oh, cool.
just to get some dinner and hang out for a little bit. And we went into town, and I remembered that movie was playing, and I was like, I really want to see this because I knew it was about the Iranian hostage rescue mission that the Canadians helped with.
Yeah.
And so we went and saw it in that theater
Yes.
in Manhattan, which was really freaking cool, man.
So his son was in the movie.
His son
Rocky's son was in the movie.
Really? What did he play?
He played. He was delivering mail in the embassy. He was pushing a mail cart.
Wow.
So
That's got to be so cool for
Well, it's
him.
kind of funny because I found out about the movie somehow. I was looking something up and I go, what's this? They're making a movie, something I didn't know was out. So I called Rocky and asked him about it. He goes, I don't know. I'll call my guys in California, wherever that they deal with the theater or the studios.
Yeah.
So he calls him and he finds out about it. Next thing I know, he's out there talking to him, and they put him on. He wasn't like a whatever they call it, a help with the movie or anything, but he was able to get his son in the movie.
Yeah.
And then when the movie came out and they had the premiere, we got invited. Well, Rocky and I, if you look in the credits, Rocky and I are listed in the credits.
Really?
Yes.
I'm going to have to rewatch it
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So it says Marine one, whatever. It says Billy Gallegos, played by Robert Garcia, and Rocky Sickman, played by whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Sergeant Rocky
you were
Sickman.
portrayed in the film,
Yes.
right?
Yeah,
because
kind
they
of.
showed the whole scene when the embassy was being taken.
Correct. And then so Rocky and I are actually in the credits. But so we got down there, we got to go to the premiere, we watched it, and it was crazy. We got there and they started the movie and they started the attack of the embassy, and they're coming in and they're chanting Makbat American Sea, and the sounds and everything. We freaked right there.
I bet.
And a couple of other guys were sitting there and we freaked, and Rocky, we're just like, it went through our head, and I go, oh my God, I thought I was there again. It was so realistic, that part that they played. And it looked like the embassy too, where they filmed it. It almost looked like the embassy.
Yeah.
And it was so perfect. And then there was another scene in there where they come in and get me. And it's me, and it's like in the basement, and they had these shelves, bookshelves, and we were in these little cubicles, and they come down and get us, and they kick me and get me up, and I pop up in a t-shirt, and they came and take us, and they go do the mock firing squad.
Yeah, in the film.
Yeah. It was so realistic, that part. It was like they took it right on my head, and I never said anything to them about it. It was like crazy.
Wow.
Crazy.
I bet your palms were getting sweaty watching that.
My palms don't sweat, but
Well, I'm sure that you were definitely like having some sort of
yes,
moment.
I had a moment. You can ask her. I had a moment. My
Yeah.
daughter was with me. She was young. She was like, because all these actors are there. But yeah, I had a moment. Rocky had a moment. A couple of the other people had moments. It was so, some of the parts in there were so realistic. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Like they took it right over our head. And then after the movie was over, they took us to the Beverly Hills Hotel, and they had a group party, and I got to sat down with Bryan Cranston.
You sat down with Bryan
We
Cranston?
sat and had beers with Bryan. He came over, sat with us, and had beers with Rocky and I.
That's so cool, man.
It was awesome.
That's awesome. Bryan Cranston's like one of my favorite actors. He was in the whole Breaking Bad series. and all
Very,
that.
very cool person.
Yeah.
Yeah, very cool.
That's awesome.
Drank beers with us, talked to us, all kind. It was awesome.
That's cool.
Yeah, I sat with for like almost an hour. Yeah.
That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. I'm
Yeah.
glad you were able to have that experience. Like you
Yeah, yeah.
guys, especially after
Alan Arkin, he's my favorite, one of my favorite,
Alan
because
Arkin,
I'm
yeah,
older.
another
One of my
great
favorite. He
one.
was there. I got to meet him. Got
Did you get to meet Ben Affleck or anything?
met Ben Affleck,
Nice.
John Favreau.
Oh, you met John
He
Favreau?
was there too. John Goodman,
John Goodman too?
yes,
Okay.
and some other bunch of that. And they brought a bunch of other actors came that got invited to the party after, or were probably at the premiere, but I didn't see them at the premiere. But a lot of actors were there.
Were they all wanting to like talk to you guys?
Not kind of, they were just there. Everybody's kind of watching. And then if they passed you, just like, hey, how you doing? Whatever that thing. But
Yeah.
Rocky and I sat down. We're drinking beer and on these couches. And Bryan Cranston came over, just sat down, grabbed beer, sat down with us. Actually grabbed a couple beers, brought them to us, and sat down with us.
That's cool.
Great
man.
guy.
What'd you guys talk about?
Just anything he taught. He told a story about himself too. We talked about it. And he told a story about himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. How because I told him, he said, "What do you do?" I said, "Well, I'm a cop." And I said, "Well, I was a cop, but I'm over at the Joint Terrorism Task Force now." And he goes, "Oh," he goes, "When I came out to L.A., he goes, that's what I came out to be, was a cop in L.A."
He wanted to be a cop
He wanted to
first.
be a cop. He said he was testing, doing all this stuff, and he was living out bumming off his brother, and he felt bad, so wanted to get a job so he could pay him back. And he went and did a commercial, and they liked him, and he didn't. They called him for another commercial. Next thing you know, he's where he's at today.
That's crazy. He
Yeah.
didn't even plan on
Yeah.
being an actor.
No.
It just happened by accident.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't know Bryan Cranston
Yeah.
originally wanted to be in
Yeah.
law enforcement.
Yeah.
Man, that must have been a very surreal experience. Just
Yeah.
going to Hollywood, like how many years later is that? What, like 20,
Oh my
30,
gosh, yeah.
32 years later after that moment?
Yeah.
What a wild experience that must have been.
Yeah. And we've had people want to make movies about the Iran hostage crisis itself, of us being hostage, but nobody's ever came through. They just
If
dropped it.
anybody out there sees this podcast that has connections in Hollywood that can get a producer that wants to make this film, for the love of God, you need to make it while these guys are still around so they can give you all the information, because this is the best, like from
Oh,
the
yeah.
horse's mouth, from the
Yeah.
experience, the people that were there.
We had a guy, I'll show you when we're done here. I can't show it because I probably have the right to do it, but I'll show you this little video I got of this person who said he was going to do that
Yeah.
on a certain TV station or whatever
Yeah.
TV thing.
This needs to be a feature film.
But it never happened. He never did it.
Steven Spielberg needs to
Yeah.
figure it out, to find a way, man. Like, this is a story
Yeah.
that needs to be told. And I think that there's definitely a lot of people out there that
Oh,
are
yeah.
talented enough to do it,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
for sure. And I mean, obviously you saw how successful Argo
Oh,
was.
absolutely.
And that was just one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
Like, imagine you could do so much with that.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, and not only that, but that is a piece of history that deserves recognition.
Yeah. Because nobody really knows.
Nobody knows.
They've read things in books and things like that, and maybe little tiny stories here and there, but
Yeah.
nobody's ever really know the whole story.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard because most of our guys have passed on. There's very few of us left. Very few of us
That's
left.
true.
Yeah.
And that's why I say it's so, like, this is a time sensitive thing, man. You got to get this done while we still have you guys here.
Yeah.
To help be like, hey, no, this is kind of how this happened, paint the picture.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's an important piece of American history and world history.
Yeah.
And this is the type of stuff that needs to be documented.
Yeah.
Especially, like I said, especially with everything that's going on right now. Like, have you been kind of keeping up with any of the stuff that's happening in Iran
Oh, yeah.
recently?
So, I mean, I have to tell you, people go, oh, what do you think about? How could I not think about it? They've been in the news every day since I was released as a hostage. Iran has been in the news every day.
Yeah.
Every day since then. I feel bad for the Iranian people because I knew a few Iranians there. Very nice people, very nice culture. The Persian culture is an amazing culture, very nice. But they've been living under a thumb of oppression for so long, and they're done with it. You can see that by the demonstrations and things, and and I mean, I have neighbors that are Iranians, good people, and people go, well, I know don't you have like PTSD about Iranians? I says, I know who the Iranians are and what they did to me. I said, most of the other Iranians have always been good people. I worked with Iranians, in the police department and other places and JTTF and things like that. Good people, great people. The Persians are great, great culture.
There's a lot of Persians in the United States.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
I mean, hell, there's a lot of very successful Iranians. Like Patrick Beat David, for example, is one of them. I mean, he came over here and served in the American military for a little bit of time, and he's been very successful.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And there's tons of other examples, of course, as well. But
I know a really cool Iranian who was involved with Delta Force when they came to get us.
really,
Oh, yeah.
wow.
And later came back. He was in the Air Force, and then when they came back, he wanted to fly planes, and they said he couldn't. And the Army was there, and he was working with the Delta Force guys at the time, and he goes, "All I want to do is fly." He says, "We can do that for you." So he went in the Army and was one of the main parts of the 160th.
Oh, of the development of it? Wow. Yeah, because the 160th was basically born
Yes,
because
because of
of
us.
what
Yeah,
happened with the
yeah,
failed rescue
yeah.
attempt.
Them and JSOC. Yeah,
Yeah, and JSOC, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's man, a lot of stuff changed
yeah.
after that. I mean, a lot of stuff changed for not only America but for the world
Oh,
after
absolutely,
that, after
absolutely.
1979.
Yes,
That's why I think it's so important to document this stuff and to get these firsthand perspectives and like this history written down and documented. There's just so much that's been impacted by this, like throughout all history. Because I mean, that changed so much for America, and then a lot of other stuff that happened after that was there's like the second, third order effects of things
yeah,
taking place after that
right,
have been pretty monumental.
exactly.
You know, um, yeah, I've seen a lot of Iranians that are in the United States and Canada and Europe talking about what's been going on in Iran with the government and hyperinflation and all this stuff that's been happening. A lot of catastrophic damage being done by their government to their own people.
Right.
Um, if you had to say, if you had the opportunity to tell the people, like the people of Iran, any type of message that you wanted, especially being a man who was held in captivity there,
Yeah,
what would it be?
I would say, be strong and let people know what you want. You know, and like I said, they've lived under a thumb of oppression forever, and it's time for them to come out of that, and they need to let that regime know that that's what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well, I hope.
unfortunately, it's not good for them because they're just killing them in the streets and things like. And it's
Yeah.
funny because that's the same thing they threw the Shah of Iran out for. They claimed that's what he was doing, so
Yeah.
they got rid of him, and they've actually done it worse than he did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I've heard stories about that happening
yeah,
as well, and like you said, I mean, they've been massacring their own people in the
yeah,
streets for protesting, and I I mean, I know people obviously want to be able to peacefully protest, but it's like I don't know how you can successfully change the government in Iran peacefully at this
yeah.
point. I
You
just
can't.
don't know how that's
There's no way you
possible.
can. There's no way you can.
Yeah, because it's like they're just gunning people down. They're going to the hospitals. They're gunning people in
Yeah.
hospital beds. I mean, it's just
Well,
it's tragic.
it's so funny because they go, "Well, we're in negotiations with Iran right now,"
Yeah,
and that doesn't mean anything because no matter what you do, whatever deal you make, they break it soon after they're done. They've always done that. They've never kept a deal, any of them.
yeah,
It's funny. It's like us. Like we tried to sue Iran for years
yeah.
for compensation. So we actually, when we came back, they actually started it's called the 1979 Hostage Compensation Act, a fund. But we came back, we were never allowed to participate in it. I did not know that because I did not know we were not allowed to sue Iran. So we started trying to sue Iran. We went to court. All these people helped us take it to court, and then it turns out you're not allowed to sue Iran. We go, well, why? Well, President Carter signed into effect the Algiers Accords, and he told the Iranians that he would not let you sue them
As part of the
as part of that
negotiation,
negotiation. So they took our rights away as Americans to sue the Iranians.
I don't even know how
Yeah,
you would start to sue a country.
yeah. Well, it's been done.
Really?
Oh yeah, they got people suing them all the time, and they get tens of millions of dollars each. They get like 30, $40 million a piece. So
Wow.
what happened to us in 2015? It was 2015, 2016. Congress and the House got together and they passed a bill, and they passed a bill to compensate us. $10,000 a day comes to like $4.4 million, and they said to pay them immediately. Well, somebody at that time, Obama's in office at that time, somebody in that administration decided, oh no, we're not going to pay them immediately. We're going to put them into that fund. Well, guess what? We got screwed. We're still waiting. That was in
You,
2015.
so they were going to give you guys
Yeah, it says the
compensation.
act that the passed through Congress and everything said that you were to pay these guys immediate compensation. Well, they didn't pay us. they decided, let's do this. We're going to put them, and they can get the money out of this fund, which is in effect, they pay a lot of people have been in acts of terrorism, and these guys get tens of millions, but they only give us 10,000 a day, which comes to $4.4 million. But these guys get tens, hundreds of millions of dollars each that the court has awarded them, and they put them into that fund. So whenever that money gets funded, they spread all that money out and pro rata rate, and it comes around, and we get like, I get enough to buy new shoes, that kind of stuff.
That's it.
We don't get very much, no. We get, I'm just saying, just we get a very little bit because our amount is so small, and people sue Iran all the time, and the courts award them all the time, and it's crazy, even
Yeah.
for stuff that's weird. But yeah, so anyway, so they took our rights, so we don't see it, and we're almost all gone now. So a lot of the guys have never seen any of that money. They're never going to see all of it. We'll never see all of it.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have the energy at this point to pursue something like
No,
that.
no.
That's a damn
Yeah,
tragedy.
not unless they got rid of those Algier cores and they say we could sue them. We'll sue for billions, but that'll never happen. But
Yeah. But then it's like, well, who's held
yeah.
responsible?
Well,
The
Iran has never
government.
wanted us compensated, and they've done everything they can to keep us from doing that. And everybody else has seemed to be doing the same thing. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's like they just a couple of years ago, 3 years ago, they awarded us they passed it and gave us the Congressional Gold Medal.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Okay.
but we've never seen it. We haven't seen it.
Oh, it's never been presented to
No,
you?
you're supposed to get it like right after.
If
Same thing we get. So this is another thing. So you read my thing and where I received the State Department Medal of Valor.
yeah.
So when they gave that to me, they gave it to me. I was here in Colorado, I was down here, and they came in, they gave me, they awarded it to me, and they gave me a ribbon and the citation signed by Alexander Haig, who was the head of the State Department at the time, Secretary of State at the time. And then, but we never got the medal. I didn't know there was a medal. It was years later. We went somewhere. I'm looking. I see the diplomats and some of the other guys with the medal, and I go, what medal is that? And they go, that's the Award for Valor. And they were just wearing the lapel style one. And I go, oh, we got that, but we didn't get a medal. The Marines never got that medal.
Hmm.
And I've been for years trying to get it. I even go trying to get all the State Department and say, please just give me permission to reproduce the medal. And I think it was actually the medal was actually solid 14 karat gold at the time. And I said, I don't need to do that, but I'll reproduce the medal as a regular medal. And I said, I will put the money up to get it done if you at least let me know who made it and give me permission to do that so I could have it made for other guys too. But I've never, nothing. It's nothing. It just goes nowhere. So
Do you have contact with any of the other folks that were held hostage
oh
there?
yeah,
You guys all have each other's contact
yeah. We all
information?
contact every now and then. We contact each other.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit more after this about
Sure.
that. I think it's a extremely unfortunate fact
Yeah.
that you guys haven't been
Yeah.
recognized
I'm not even going to
for
talk
that.
about dealing with the VA.
Oh, I can't. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a whole can of worms
Yeah.
right there too.
Yeah.
That we can also talk about that as well.
Yeah.
I might be able to see if I can like call somebody
Well,
and
that's kind of odd because we're considered POWs. So we have POW medal,
yeah.
and out of the whole group of us and other POW, but my group specifically is they were all given a POW physical. I was never given a POW physical, so I was never adjudicated properly through the VA with the POW physical. And I've been trying for years, and I just can't get it done. Nobody will do it. And they said, "Oh yeah, we'll look into that, and I'll contact them." You never hear back. I never hear
Did you ever
back.
get a VSO?
I don't know what that is.
Okay, it's like a person that helps guide you through the process for your disability benefits
I've
and
I've
claims.
had at one time I did. I literally had to go through a person. I couldn't get anybody to help me. I tried and tried. It would never go anywhere. So I'm dealing with a bunch of MARSOC Marines at one time when I'm over at the JTTF,
Yeah.
and interesting deal. And they were talking to me about the VA, and they says, "Oh, do you go to VA?" I said, "Well, I no." I said, "I get nothing." It says, "Really?" And I go, "No." Well, we know a person who only deals with MARSOC and Navy SEALs. I go, "Really?" Who's a VSO?
Yeah, yeah.
Something else. I didn't know what that meant, but I would call them something else. But
Yeah.
I go, really? They go, yeah. And she's not here. She lives in another state, way long way away. And they said, we'll give her a call and tell her about you. She called me
Oh, she did.
and she helped me out with a lot of stuff, but that she couldn't. It was kind of interesting.
There's got to be something that can be
Yeah.
done. There has to be.
I even had a person here at the VA. It was a supervisor. some stuff was going on. They were like charging me for stuff. And I go, "What are you charging me for stuff, whatever?" And they were charging me, and they were charging my wife's insurance and charging her copays. I go, "Something's not right." So I went and talked to their person that does that, and they're fine, so whatever. And the supervisor goes, "You're a POW, and you've never. I'm looking through your stuff. You've never been properly adjudicated as a POW when you started with us. They owe you a lot of money."
Yeah.
And I kept saying, and I think that's the problem is they don't want to pay me or something. Who knows? But I've never been. I've had VSOs, and they, "Oh yeah, we're doing this, we're doing that," and then I go look, and nothing happens, and I go ask other ones. They says, "Yeah, we don't see anything in there." I'm going, "That's not right."
I'm gonna make some phone calls when we leave here.
Well, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I
Well,
don't want you to get in trouble because nobody
no,
ever
no, no,
knows
no.
anything.
I'm not gonna get in trouble. There's nothing wrong with calling people
Yeah,
and just asking
and
questions.
then I'll
But
get blacklisted, and then they'll cut me off.
no, 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 definitely not. No.
But I actually, so that person I told you about, I actually called a couple of the other Marines I had who actually had the PO40, but they never did anything with them. They left them at no rating at all, hardly nothing. And I gave them to her, and she actually was able to help them also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think part of the problem is one of the big things I've noticed is that's the biggest problem is the fact that it is so big
Yeah.
and there's so many people
Yeah.
that are in the system, in
Yeah.
the VA system,
Yeah.
that it's almost become completely like
Like I'll tell
uncontrollable.
you a story what happened to me, I think. So many, many years ago when I started the VA, I was probably so about a year there, about a year. And I went over to the VA and used to go pick up your file.
Yeah.
And you take it to this lady and tell her I'm going, whatever. So I remember I finished, I went to take my file back so they could put it back in the file, and it had POW sticker on it. She goes, "You're not a POW," and she pulled a sticker off and tossed it and like, "That's not right. You shouldn't be here." I go, "Excuse me?" I go, "Okay, I don't know what that's about." And so right after that, I got a job with the police department. So I didn't need to go over there. And I never checked on it again, never checked on it. And I think that's what happened is when they filed and pushed everything over, it didn't have that POW sticker on the front when they were doing their upgrading and doing all their stuff. Because when I went to try to get to the VA again, um, they didn't have me in their system as a POW. I was in the system and I couldn't figure it out. And I finally talked to a guy and he says, "The problem is you've been contacting us here in Colorado. You're not a POW here." And then he started looking, he goes, "Nationwide, when they did it, to put you in there, they do you have a POW, but for some reason here, you are not." I literally had to go through a congressman and have him, he got a hold of the Marine Corps and the State Department and a couple other agencies to send paperwork to tell them that I was a POW. This is what happened to me, whatever, whatever, and I have the POW rating. And I had to turn that paperwork over to them. And that was like in 2015.
And they still haven't got you the
No, they gave me that rate as a POW, but that's, and then some other stuff went on, and it was just kind of, we'll have to talk about that another time
Yeah,
on the
yeah,
side,
yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah. Well,
But it was anyway. But
yeah.
anyway, but the Iran stuff, yeah, it was, uh, and we were talking about Rocky,
Yeah.
and Rocky kept me going the whole time, and I kept him going the time. That's the only reason we survived together. And we're doing it again, like I told you today, like brothers. We're literally like brothers, with each other, and yeah,
Yeah, I mean, having your friend there
yeah,
to provide, number one, comic relief,
yes,
throughout the time to kind of keep your spirits up. Like
yes,
that was probably invaluable throughout that
yeah,
miserable experience,
yeah,
because there were many, 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 many times where you were getting hit in the beginning for
yeah,
sure.
yeah,
And then a lot of times where they,
yeah,
were threatening to kill you guys
yeah,
and you thought that you were going to die,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And plus just not knowing what's coming or what's going to happen and
right,
like the psychological impact that leaves on somebody permanently for the rest of their life.
right,
And then, of course, going to the prison, I'm sure that was probably like,
yeah.
wow,
That
this
was
is
crazy.
it. We're done.
Yeah,
Like I can't, you know, especially experiencing like the embassy getting overthrown, a whole new government in place, going through everything leading all the way up to that. Like,
yeah,
what an insane experience, man.
yeah,
And the fact that you made it through and were able to come back
yeah,
and become a functioning member of society after
yeah.
experiencing all of that psychological and physical
And
trauma.
I wasn't sure for a while because I couldn't get a job for a long time. My hometown, I go look for a job at a place, and they go, "Oh, no, you don't need. You're going to be rich. You're going to be rich. You don't need a job." I go, "Explain that to me."
What am I getting paid
Yeah,
from?
why am I getting paid? I don't have anything.
Yeah.
I'm not getting anything. And it took a while. And then I remember I started school, and then I got a job actually here in town with the Petrolus Oil Company here in Denver. So I came up to Denver and worked for them for a little bit. But then they something happened, and when all the oil companies crashed at that point in time in the 80s, and I didn't have a job, so I went to school.
Yeah.
and VA paid for my school, so I actually had a scholarship. I got a scholarship there to Metro, and so I had a scholarship, so I got my VA, and I lived on my VA money, which wasn't very much. I paid
Mm.
my rent, and I could buy ramen noodles.
Jesus, ramen noodles and pay my rent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what year was that?
Like 80 when all that happened, started going to school was like 83, I think 83, 80.
And when did you actually join the police force?
So I joined the police force in 1984. I got in the police force in 84.
Wow.
And then I got kicked out.
Kicked out.
Yeah.
For what?
I don't know. I think I was
You're having some problems?
probably, I don't know. They probably saw it and gone. So then I left and I just worked a bunch of different jobs for a long time. And then I got on the Denver Sheriff's Department
Okay.
and I worked there for a while and I got on their SWAT team there for a while.
You're on the SWAT team.
Yeah, I've been their SWAT team there.
Wow.
But I did a lot of their escorts. So I'd travel back and forth from California and do escorts back and forth. And I go out and see Jerry Plotkin, who I told you about, was with us, who was a civilian. He came back and they wrote some bad stuff about him in a newspaper,
Really?
and he sued him. He actually had one of Michael Jackson's attorney as one of his attorneys, and he sued him. And they took us back and forth to court for 4 years.
Who wrote something bad about him?
A newspaper, and I don't know if I can say that or not.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you don't have to say. Yeah, I
But
don't want to get somebody in trouble.
yeah, so he sued him. They took us back into court, back and forth to court for 4 years, and we never had to testify, never testified, but they took care of us. They brought us back and forth. And on the fourth year, we finally testified in the morning. They got us in the stand. And it was weird because that day when we were there to testify, they got some that courtroom was full. There were Marines and Army and Navy, and there was everybody and people in suits we didn't even know. I mean, it was like who knows who was there.
What were they saying about him, whoever they were?
About him,
Yeah.
that I forgot, let me see. Well, I'll tell you what they did. The newspaper wrote an article about saying that the only reason he was in Iran was because he was running guns and drugs.
Oh, they were trying to say that he was like doing like
Yeah. But that
big
journal,
time
and they found out that
crimes.
journalist wrote that article. They found out the journalist lied. He quoted a couple of federal agencies, and they said, no, that's not true.
Wow.
So he sued him, and he went to court for years. In the fourth year, we got up to testify. And I remember they got us up to testify. And I was up there, it was my turn. I get up there, and this guy's jumping all over me, and this and that, and whatever, and whatever. And at one point, he goes, "You ever read the book Semper Fi?" And I go, "No, not really. I've heard about it, but I never read it." And he goes, "Why not?" I said, "Well, it's not really a true depiction of the Marine Corps, but you know." And he goes, "Well, what does Semper Fi mean?" I goes, "It means Semper Fidelis, always faithful." And you go, "Well, what?" He goes, "Oh, okay." And he just kept going on. And then he goes, and he brought this card. And he goes, "Did you sign this card?" Because I remember they brought this Christmas card around that they wanted everybody to sign. And I wouldn't sign it because we're not supposed to sign anything.
Who's not supposed to sign anything?
Marines, they always taught you never sign anything. Never, if you get caught for your POW, whatever, you don't sign anything.
Oh.
Yeah, back then that was a thing. But everybody signed it. Everybody signed it. They put their names. I looked. I go, well, that's not right. Are you going to sign this or not? And I was like, well, okay, I'll sign it. Because guess what I signed?
What?
Semper Fi. So when we were in court, they're asking me, "Did you sign this?" I go, "No, I didn't sign it." I go, "You sure you didn't sign it?" I go, "No, I did not sign that." Because I said, I remember I didn't want to sign it. I didn't sign that. And then he started to walk away. Well, and I says, "I'm sorry. That's not true. I did sign that." He goes, "You did?" I go, "Where's your name?" I go, "I didn't sign my name. I signed Semper Fi." So then he started again with the Semper Fi. He goes, "What exactly does that mean?" I says, "I'm not sure. So I'm sorry, sir. Can I ask you a question? I got to ask you, were you in the military?" He goes, "Yes." "Were you in the Marine Corps?" He goes, "No." I says, "Well, unless you were a Marine, I cannot explain to you what Semper Fidelis means." And the judge cut him off.
Oh man.
And then that was it. And we went to lunch. And when we came back, they said, "We're done." They settled.
They did.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And it was funny. After that, and we went back, and the judge called us. We went back into his office. He took us back, the Marines.
Yeah.
He took us back there because there was like 5 of us. And he took us in the back room. And well, guess what?
The judge was a Marine.
He had a huge hemoglobin anchor on the wall.
Good. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it was awesome. It was pretty cool. So Jerry got a lot of money, and I mean a ton of money.
Yeah.
And he moved into Bel Air, California, bought a house, tore it down, and built a new one. He lived like across the street from Aretha Franklin and next door to Corbin Burnson or something like that.
Holy
So when
cow.
I'd go back and forth doing escorts, picking up bad guys and stuff like that, he'd say, "Come stay with me, come stay with me." So guys used to fight with me to come with me.
Oh,
So
because
yeah,
they knew you were going
yeah,
there?
because we'd go a day early or so, and then we go before the pickup or a couple of days, and we go and have fun. And he'd say, "Stay with me," and we'd stay at his beautiful mansion, and then he'd take us out to dinner and all kinds of cool places and
Oh,
Studio City and
wow.
all those being a different place that night, and a nice place to have dinner. And then we go pick up our guy and bring him back, or we bring a guy and then we stay a couple extra days, and it was a great time. And unfortunately, he got sick and passed away. Yeah, so
Sorry to hear that.
yeah, but he was a good guy. I
When
mean,
when did he pass away?
oh shoot, in 1990, I think.
Okay, so a
Yeah,
while ago.
yeah, it's been a
I mean,
while.
he was pretty old at that
He was
point, right?
older at the time. He got sick and had some heart problems and a bunch of stuff like that. And he left the family behind. But he he actually spent time in prison when he was younger because he and they were trying to use that on him too, because he got caught with some marijuana, like a joint of marijuana when he was young,
Wow.
and did like a couple of years in prison. So they were trying to use that on him and all
Years
kinds of
in
stuff.
prison for
Like 1 year,
marijuana?
yeah, back in the day, yeah.
What year was that?
I think it was probably in the 50s, 60, early 50s, maybe 50s or
Okay.
60s.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, how old was he
He was
50
50,
years
like
old?
50 years old when he was with us.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha, gotcha.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great stories,
Yeah?
great stories, great guy. Had this Brooklyn Jewish accent, cool.
That was the guy that they were thinking he
He
was a
was a Mossad
Mossad
agent,
agent
yeah, we
who
felt
had a
so yeah,
briefcase of 100 or $200,000,
$200,000 and yeah,
$300,000.
and he was Jewish. Yeah. And
Wow.
and he didn't care if he told them they were Jewish and they didn't like it. And a matter of fact, they brought a rabbi in one time and because he was like he was some kind of what do you call him, activist type of rabbi
Okay.
guy. But he came in, and it was funny because he came in and wanted to do the prayers, and we'll do them with you. And so we put a yarmulkes on, and we sat there, and the guys read the prayer. We read the prayers with Jerry, and he was very happy about that, and that kind of stuff. And so we did that with him. We weren't afraid anymore. We were like, "What? Okay, you can kill us, Psh, do it, get it over
Yeah.
with." But yeah, but he was a great guy. He came back, and he treated us pretty cool. He was a good dude. He was a good dude.
So you've stayed pretty close with him and also
Him
with
till he passed, and then
yeah.
Jerry Rocky and I, we've called each other every day since we got back, or not every day, but once a week, at least once
Wow.
a week, and we meet all the time. We go places together, and we interact, and we show up at places and talk and do things. We do a lot of interaction with like some of the former Delta Force guys, original Delta Force guys. So they'll come and tell their story. And we tell our story, and they tell their story, and then that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And we travel line doing that kind of thing, and so it's just kind of fun.
How
So
did you become friends or acquainted with Mike Vining?
Mike Vining. So I've met a numerous of the original Delta Force guys over many years. And I met him. I actually got invited into one of their groups. Like, if you're only, you got to be like one of them, a former Delta Force guy or a
Yeah.
Green Beret, or I wasn't anything, but I was always interacting with different things with them. They'd call me and ask me if I come do this with them or come do that with them, or I'd meet somewhere and they'd be there and we'd do things. And I met him through another guy with Wayne Ishimoto. If you've ever heard of him, big time, one of the former Reginald Delta guys, had a lot to do with their training later on, and him and Nick Nichols, Andy Nichols, and a bunch of those guys. And I meet with him, and so every year they'd have a get together, and we'd all show up here in Colorado with a bunch of them that are here, and we'd show up and have a barbecue and have fun and tell stories, and then a bunch of them, I after even before that, after I met them, they would call me and we'd get together and just friends,
Yeah.
different places, and we'd show up and yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah,
Yeah, because that was
great
like
guys. Those guys are incredible.
I've only met Mike. I've
Yeah,
never met the other ones.
yeah,
I'm sure they're
and
awesome guys too.
awesome guys, extremely intelligent guys. Training. I mean, they Delta Force today is because of them,
Yeah.
because they've always been involved with them. And they actually took me to the unit and took me around, and I had a great time. It was awesome. I
When was
got
that?
to,
Like early 2000s or something?
yeah, late 2000. It was like 4 years, 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5
Okay.
years ago. Yeah,
That's cool.
yeah. They took me to the unit
Wow.
and got me in and took me and showed me around. And the only thing I didn't get to see was the range.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 24-hour range. I go, oh god, because I love going to the range. And I didn't get to see the range. I go, you love the range, but we had to go do a deal, and it was already got late, and we had to be there at 3 o'clock, so they had to run us out of there. And we went thing. But yeah, they actually took me, showed me the unit, and showed me all the different things. And I met some Marines that are part of that unit,
Yeah.
and was not aware till then.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. So I met a bunch of Marines, and yeah,
That's
it
cool.
was awesome. and great. But they're a great bunch of guys. When I got sick, they called me.
Really?
Can I come? These guys in their 80s. What can I do? I'll come mow your lawn. I'll come shovel your
I'll come mow your lawn.
mow your lawn. We'll paint your house. Whatever. Yeah, it was my wife. They were amazing, and they're old guy, but they're all in pretty good shape. Most of them. They're all in great
Yeah.
shape still. And I
Yeah,
was like,
Mike's in good shape.
Mike's in great shape.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's a accomplished mountain climber.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had no idea that he was like such a
yeah,
big mountaineer.
yeah,
I mean, he's got like badges from being
yeah.
certified in like the Swiss Alps and crazy
Exactly,
stuff.
exactly. And his wife she's an amazing, great shape woman too.
Yeah.
Incredible. And yeah,
She's
but
very kind. I
yeah,
spoke to her on the phone briefly the other day.
yes, she is.
Actually, because what's funny is I asked somebody. Well, we had posted the podcast that we did with him because we'd recorded it back in October and we
Yeah.
posted it recently. And one of the comments I heard was like people were saying, or I saw was that a lot of people were saying I was interrupting him too much. And so I called him. I was like, I wanted to, like, if I'm doing something that like I need to work on, I'm always open to trying to
Yeah.
become better at doing this stuff. And I asked, I was like, I want you to be brutally honest with me. Do you feel like I interrupted you too much? Because if I did, I want to like make sure I don't do that in the future, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, well, he put his wife on the phone. He's like, well, honestly, my wife kind of thinks I'm long-winded. He's like, so probably it was good that you would
Yeah.
interrupt me at all, just so that way I didn't drone on.
Yeah.
So that was kind of funny. And she was like, oh yeah, he can talk for a very long time
Yeah.
if you don't like stop
Good.
him while it's going. So
Yeah.
it's just kind of interesting. She was very, very kind. They were
Yeah.
both the sweetest people.
Yeah.
And like you said, he's so intelligent.
Yes.
It is
You don't think because
unbelievable.
you're looking and and then you're like, and then you listen to them, you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And then the stuff they know, and they tell you stories, and it's stories you can't tell.
Yeah, it's
It's stories
crazy.
they have to tell, but to tell anybody, they just don't understand it. And but they're all of them. They have some incredible stories, especially about the mission itself.
Yeah.
Things that took place on the mission that you would go, "Oh my God!" And they were like, "I can't believe we survived."
Yeah, like I'd love to interview somebody else that was on that
Yeah,
mission to
yeah,
get their perspective because I got his perspective from it, which was already crazy enough. But
yeah,
obviously, different people experience the situation in a different way if they were in a different
yeah,
location or whatever, So
yeah,
that'd be really cool.
yeah.
I
Well,
think
it's funny
that'd
because
be
and we do with them, and
cool.
then Rocky and I go around and we take some of our former hostages. We go to their hometown and visit them, and we take them out to dinner and eat and have stuff with them, that kind of stuff. And
How many of you guys are still left?
uh, probably only like 20 of us, maybe 25 of us, if that.
2025.
And some of them are very old, they're not doing well, they're ill, and a bunch of different things going on. And
Yeah.
yeah, we just went and took one of the former CIA guys out not too long this last year. We took him, we went down to his hometown, visit him, took him to dinner, and got him drunk. And
Of course.
and
Showed
I
him
was
a
like,
good time.
yeah, it was funny. So it was funny because we left the bar, we're walking, we've already been out all day and all night, and we're walking. He's in the middle of the way, Rocky's on the other side, and we're talking, we're yakking, and then all of a sudden we're walking, and we're looking at something in front of us, and it's in one of those southern towns, and pretty cool stuff going on. And I look over at Rocky and I go, yeah, and I go, Rocky looks at me and we go, we turn back and he's freaking face down in the gutter.
Oh, Jesus. So you
So
went back and picked him
we had
up,
to go
dusted
picked
him
him up.
off.
He's like, oh, okay, we dusted him off, got him, took him, and he says, I gotta have another drink. So we went and had another drink. And great guy, knew him too. And he was actually a former Marine, or shouldn't say former. He was actually a Marine officer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's so funny, man.
So he's
It's like,
cool. But he's like, we're good friends with him too. It's like, because we've always, with the Marines, we always try to stay together and do that stuff. And I talk to all the Marines all the time when I can. And yeah.
there's a special bond, man.
Yeah.
Like the other day I ran into I was at a Buffalo Wild Wings, just being your stereotypical, eating a Buffalo Wild Wings, eating some cheese curds and some
Yeah.
hot wings or something. Guy looks over at me from across the bar and said, "Hey," he's like, "Are you a Marine?" I was like, "What gave it away?" He's like, "Well, it's the haircut and the tattoos all over your arms too."
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay." I was like, I'm guessing you probably are too." He's like, "Yeah, I was
Yeah.
at this unit," and when we hit it off and had a good conversation. It's funny. You can go like no matter where you go, there's always that like that connection
Yeah.
that you have. It doesn't matter what time you served, how long you
Yeah.
served for, where you
Yeah.
served. There's definitely always that
Yeah.
that brotherhood, sisterhood that you have
Yeah.
that you share
Yeah.
that common connection. It's a very special thing
Yeah.
for sure.
Because I was actually I was in a great situation, and where I was able to be involved with training with some of the elite units,
Yeah.
and it was really cool. And I got to meet a lot of guys. And it was incredible because I met some guys that were on that. They were original Delta Force guys that were still in the business.
Really.
Yeah. I'm like,
Wow.
holy smokes. And I was just, "Oh, you kidding me?" And got tired. And they found out who I was and stuff like that. So great conversations and
Yeah.
met with them and still friends this day. And some of the other guys from the other elite units, younger, a lot of younger guys, and got to meet with them and do stuff. And after, and then once they found out, because I never told them who I was until after we were done, and then um, we do cool stuff because like they'd be doing this stuff and we'd like stop them in a car, police car, or stop them or something, and then hit them up, see what they're doing or what they're up to because they're out doing some training
Yeah.
or or bump them on the street doing something else, or just some cool stuff, and meet a lot of those guys and still in contact with a bunch of those guys. They're great guys to know and work with. It's just extremely intelligent individuals, believe
Yeah.
it or not. I mean, from guys I was with in the Marine Corps, knew in the Army, and like we were just kind of goofballs and do whatever. No,
Yeah.
these guys know their stuff. They're very good. They're very personable, but they're highly, extremely intelligent also.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
imagine it would require a certain level of
yeah,
intellect
yeah.
to do that job
Like,
anyway.
oh, that's something cool. I want to do that. We go, yeah, I never made it.
Yeah. I don't think I would have either.
Yeah,
I don't think I would have been mentally, physically, or spiritually
yeah,
qualified necessarily.
yeah.
But I'm glad that there are people out there who are, because we
Yeah.
need those
Oh,
people.
yeah, we need those guys. That's
Yeah.
like I was on the JTTF. I was on the FBI's JTTF for a long time.
Yeah.
Worked with a lot of great people. A lot of great FBI agents, a lot of great different agencies. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of buttheads, just like there are everywhere you go. Buttheads,
Sure.
my police department, whatever. Worked with a lot of great policemen on that job too. But there's always buttheads. But great guy, the FBI was a great guy. They treated, I was there so long, they treated me like one of theirs. I'm not kidding you. So I was able to get involved in all kinds of things that you would never think you would be involved in
Yeah.
as a cop. But since I was there with them, and I mean, I had all the clearances, I did the polygraphs, clear everything with them, and after all these years, I was trusted by them, and I got to help with with different kinds of things, counterintelligence, all kinds of different things they did, and it just help out, But it was fun. I learned a lot of cool stuff. Met a
Yeah.
lot of great guys. Yeah, that's which is funny because I'll tell you another. So we're talking about Ahmadinejad.
Yeah.
So I'm on the JTTF, and one day I get called by my supervisor. He says, "We got to go upstairs to see the SAC, special agent in charge." I go, "What's going on?" He goes, "I'll tell you when we get up there." I said, "Okay." So I get up there, and he says, "Yeah, you have to call this gentleman." He goes, "You want to do it privately, or you want to listen?" And he says, "It's the State Department, and it's the Undersecretary who handles Iran." I go, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "Do you want you to give him a call?" I said, "Okay."
He specifically asked for you.
Yes.
Oh,
So I said, "No, let's hang out and do it here because I don't know what's about." And they're two great guys I know. One guy's named Steve Olson. He's a retired agent and actually he runs some of the security for the PGA right now. Great guy. Changed my life when I went over to the FBI. Taught me some great things. Great mentor.
yeah.
So um, we go up into the office. He gives me. They call the number, and I sit there and I start talking. And he says, "Is this Billy?" I go, "So yes." He goes, "Hi, Billy. It's whatever." And I just talked to you. How you doing? I go, "Fine." He goes, "Yeah, I just wanted you to know I know who you are and what you've been through and all that kind of stuff." And he goes, "You know that Ahmadinejad is coming into the country in a couple of weeks." And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, "Well, nothing I can do about it." I said, "You guys are letting him in." And he goes, he was one of your captors." I said, "I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of that." He goes, "Well, I going on about just a bunch of BS and stuff." And he goes, "Well, I want one thing before we finish. I just want to know one thing." He says, "Will you be coming to New York next week?" I said, "No, I will not." And the other guys looked at me and they go, I go, "Why would you ask that question?" He goes, "Nothing. I just wanted to ask." And he goes, and I said, "No, sir, I will not be coming to New York." He goes, "Well, thank you very much and enjoyed talking with you. And just if I can ever assist you, I think please call me." I hung up.
Wow. So,
So
because that's where Ahmadinejad was going to
yeah.
be.
And so we start talking about it. We're just looking. We started laughing. I go, "Why would they?" I said, "I don't know. Why would they call me and ask me that?
That's weird.
Weird."
Yeah.
And so I walk out of the office. Steve Olson leans out and he goes, "Hey, Billy." And I go, "What?" He goes, "You're not going to New York next week, are you?" I said,
Gee.
I'm not." And he just laughed and I laughed.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a funny story. But so I called the other guys and I go, "Did they call you to ask you if you're coming to New York?" And they said, "No." I said, "Well, why would they call and ask me?"
Yeah, that's really strange. Like, what were they hoping for? You want to
I,
meet Ahmadinejad and talk to him or something?
well, I kind of figured they thought it's because I have credentials.
Oh, okay. They wanted to see if like you were just
Yeah.
planning to go up
And see
there.
if they knew. And if I go there, maybe try to do something because I could get through some of the points, but
Oh,
not all of them, but maybe some of them.
wow.
Yeah.
So they maybe thought that you're like seeking
Yeah,
vengeance.
yeah,
That's so
and that's the only thing I
crazy.
think of. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah, I can't imagine another reason why they would
No,
reach out to you
no,
specifically for that. Yeah. Well, and I mean, I imagine at that point, I mean, based on just our brief time here, I would imagine you're not the kind of guy that's really trying to like meet up with any of your captors necessarily or anything like that,
not
you
unless
know.
they showed up here in front of me, but
Yeah. But you're not going to go out of your way to like go
oh,
meet
I'm
up
not
with
gonna go to
them.
Iran or go somewhere to do it. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous because, especially with those guys, because as I told you, they took our rights away. So if I would literally do something with them, they would come after me.
Yeah.
Our country. For a long time, I kept thinking with the stuff that we've been going through, and I go, shoot, I wonder when they're gonna come after us to get money from us for room and board
Yeah.
while we were held there,
Something
you know.
weird.
But a lot of stuff the government was doing, and I shouldn't say government. We have a great government. It's certain people in our government that just do stupid things.
Well, I'm just grateful that you're still here so
Yep.
that we could, I could hear your story. And I'm grateful that you were able to take the time to share it with me. And I'm glad that you're feeling well today enough. I mean,
Oh, sure.
for the folks out there that don't realize you've been dealing with cancer,
Yep. Stage 4 cancer.
stage 4.
Yeah.
And what type of cancer was it?
It's actually stage 4 prostate cancer that metastasized, and it wasn't detected immediately. I had it for a long time. There were certain things going on, and it took them a long time to find out. It was, and by that time, it had already spread everywhere. So, yeah. But I got great doctors. They're taking good care of me right now.
Yeah,
And I feel great. I've had it for a while, and they've actually taken good care of me. I've actually, like I said, in the last couple of weeks, they switched it up a little. I'm feeling actually pretty good. So,
that's good.
yeah.
Yeah, that's why I want
And prayers.
and prayers.
That's
Yeah,
what I tell everybody. The only reason I'm still walking the earth is by the pure grace of the Lord.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I'm glad I came here. I wasn't about to ask you to get on a plane and come to me,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with that
I could have
stuff.
this week. I couldn't back when we said it, but
Yeah,
this last couple, I've been fine.
absolutely not, though. I'm not gonna. I wouldn't dream of asking you to do something like that. But I'm glad that at least I'm able to come close to you
Yeah.
to this area where, I mean, because how long was the drive to get here? About 30, 40 minutes.
Yeah, about 30 minutes, if that.
Okay,
Yeah.
and but yeah, people don't realize for context like
Yeah.
that you've been dealing with this stuff. When did you first get diagnosed?
About a year ago.
About a year
Yeah,
ago.
actually, about a year ago
Was
now.
it already stage 4 by that point?
Yeah. So what happened was I was getting these really odd pains in my lower hip and my back.
Yeah.
And they got so bad, the pain was so bad, I had to go to the emergency room. They literally had to shoot me up with everything you could think of to get rid of it and then send me home with, pain pills.
Yeah.
And that just didn't work. It's just a lot of pain. So, and then it gets so bad, I had to go. I spent 7 times I had to go to the emergency. Well, before the 7th time, I was literally living on Dilaudid.
Yeah, that's no way to
12
live.
milligrams. They said 8 is most, but 12, and that's a lot. That's like the highest they gave me of anything they were trying to give me. And I was literally living on Dilaudid. And I went in again to the emergency room because it was so, I mean, it literally so bad. And they did another CAT scan on me there. And the doctor comes in and she goes, I just saw something I don't like, and I'm admitting you. And they stuck me in there, and actually previous before that, they were kind of looking at it because they saw my lymph nodes were kind of swollen a little. And they said that might be what it is. We might be able to take care of that. But they weren't sure yet, so they were doing tests. And then by that time, I had to go to emergency at that time. And then she saw me, and they stuck me in there, and I was in there for like 6 days. And they started doing all these tests, couldn't find it. My PSAs were normal.
Really?
Oh yeah, PSAs were normal. I said, I don't know what's going on. Then they did another PET scan, a specific PET scan. They said, we see stuff on your pancreas, on your bladder, on this and that, whatever, all the way your arms. I says, but we don't like the one on your bladder. We're looking at, and I have a feeling it's going to be your prostate. So they had to go in there and check and sure it was, but it had already been metastasized.
And then how long have you been doing chemo for now?
I do the oral stuff. I've been doing it for a year now,
And
and other stuff. I have to do infusions and get shots and all that kind of stuff too.
how's the chemo been?
The oral stuff was it was interesting. They had to change my. I'm also type 2 diabetic, so that
Yeah.
didn't help either. So it's been a. The doctors have had a hard time with me. I'm one of those guys where normal people everything works, but with me it doesn't work that way. You
Oh
gotta do
yeah.
it different with medication and stuff. So they've actually found different ways to handle it because I had a bad time in the beginning with it. There's all kinds. I was bringing all kinds of stuff out. from captivity, all kinds of things were going on because it plays stuff with your mind, the medicine, and there's a lot of things going on. And they finally figured that out. And then they figured a bunch of other stuff was going on. And my other doctors figured they figured my oncologist figured out. He goes, yeah, we're gonna have to might change up some of your other medications, like some of your diabetes medication or something, and because this is affecting it. And they did. They changed it up, and in the last few weeks, incredible. It took about a month, but then I started feeling really good. So I'm feeling really good.
I'm glad to hear
Yeah,
that
yeah.
because I know a few people who've experienced chemo, and uh, I don't know anybody that said that it was fun.
No,
I'll say that.
no.
It's a very difficult process, and you usually feel like crap all the time, and it's hard to eat, and it's hard to sleep,
Yeah,
and feel weak. So I'm glad to hear
yeah.
that whatever they put you on is making you feel better.
So it's making well. They changed everything. And they're feeling good, and I don't know how long this medication will last. Hopefully, it'll last a while. They say they do it for so long, and then it might stop working. Then I'll have to start doing chemo or things like that. And I only have like a 35% survival rate, but hopefully the medication works and it'll keep me longer. But we'll see.
Well, I hope it does too.
Yeah,
I do, and I hope that maybe they can find a way to get this thing into remission so that you can start,
hopefully.
feeling better. And
And they've done some stuff, and they've been putting people in remission with stage 4,
yeah,
and it's kind of interesting. I haven't been able to get on any of those trials yet, but we'll see.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I'll be praying for you.
thank you.
And look, Billy, I appreciate you taking the time again. Like, this has been an absolute honor to sit down with you. Not only are you a Marine, but somebody that
Yeah,
experienced the things that you've experienced. It's been an honor to be able to, sit down here and hear your story firsthand. Because again, I think this is so valuable for people to hear from your experience,
yeah.
the things that you saw and did and went through. And, we'll have to try to work out something um, with Sickman,
Yeah.
and see if we can't work
Yeah,
something out with
Rocky's
him.
a great guy, great dude.
Yeah, because I mean, I'd love to talk to him too, and hell, if we could get him here with you, at the
Oh
same
yeah,
time, like I'm sure that you guys would be able to bounce stories off each other, and it's been a pleasure talking to
we do
you
about
as well.
stories. You will laugh because it's crazy.
I can imagine. I can only imagine, and he'll probably remember some things that maybe you wouldn't think
Well,
of.
like I said, I left a lot of stuff out, but he'll remember a lot of that stuff because he'll say something. I go, "We did," and he goes, "Yeah, we don't you remember?" I was like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
He goes, "Oh no," like food and stuff. Like we were eating different foods every day. I was like, "Oh man, that's nasty." He goes, "No, I like it. No, it's nasty."
yeah,
Different things, and we just, it's kind of funny. We argue about it, and
yeah.
it's good fun.
Well,
Well,
listen,
I want to thank you for having me. It was actually an honor to be here,
yeah,
and thank you very much for giving me a call. And yeah, it was Mike Vining called me. He says, "Hey, do you think you might want to do this?" And I go, "Who the heck is that?" Because I don't know. I don't do social media stuff
yeah.
like that. So I looked up and I said, "Sure." I said, "He says, all right." He says, "Well, I'll let him know." I said, "Okay."
That's awesome. Yeah, he told me about you when we were talking in out west, and because I was telling him about like some stuff that was going on and around. He's like, I know a guy that was held in captivity there
Yeah,
during the Revolution who was on Marine security guard duty. And I was
yeah,
like, no way, really? And I was like, I need to call. I like whatever I got to do to
yeah,
talk to this man.
yeah,
Please, let's
yeah,
figure something out. So
yeah,
I'm glad that we were
yeah.
able to do it.
And I have to apologize. I I apologize to the Rangers that were involved in that mission. Because there
Yeah.
were a group of Rangers. They call themselves the First Special Operation Rangers Force, and they get together every year and they invite Rocky and I out to Oklahoma
Okay.
and on a ranch, and all these Rangers show up that were part of that deal, and it's an amazing group of guys, and then a bunch of new Rangers, and some that are retired, and some that show up, and this guy puts them up on his ranch and everything. Rocky and I stay in a hotel because we got our own things going on,
Yeah.
and then but a lot of the former guys that were Delta Force guys that were Rangers at the time that went over into Delta Force from that unit and stuff were there, and it's like 50, 60 guys show up, and this guy feeds everybody, and they bring a band in, and it's a fantastic great time, and they treat us great. And so I apologize, so not just the Delta Force was involved, but it was that Ranger unit also. Yeah, amazing guys. Those guys are amazing too.
I mean, you've probably met a lot of unbelievable people throughout the past
I have
30, 40 years
I have
now.
amazing people that I never thought I would meet,
Yeah.
but amazing, specifically in the military.
Yeah.
Guys, the people you meet people and you're like, people have no clue about our military. They really don't. They read stuff, they see stuff on YouTube or whatever, but you really
Sure.
have no clue. It's
Yeah.
like I said, the JTTF. You got people in the JTTF that are out there every day doing stuff, and they keep us safe every day. I was there. I saw it. I
Yeah.
helped. I was there. I worked with these guys. It's all over the country. They did a lot of stuff here in Colorado when I was there that stopped a lot of terrorist actions.
Yeah.
I mean, it was incredible. Those guys are incredible, incredible people, and they don't get enough of a you know. Thank you.
They don't get enough credit.
Yeah, enough credit, and I thank you for that. But yeah,
Well, Billy, sir, it's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
sir.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
Thank you so much for your time,
Absolutely.
brother.
Semper
It's,
Fi.
yeah, Semper Fi. And dude, you've got my number. Obviously, if there's
yeah,
anything I can do to help you at any time or anything you want or
sure.
need, or like I said, I'm gonna make some calls, in the next week because there's some things I think should happen. But
Oh, I don't know.
my cell phone is always available anytime you want
Sure.
to call, even if you just want to talk.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same with me. Give me a
Um,
call. You need something, let me know if I can do
okay.
anything. But
Will do. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure,
all right. Thank
and
you, sir.
we'll see you hopefully again soon.
Thank you.
All right, brother.
Appreciate it.